With hearts ablaze, the students roared their oath to enlist and defend their homeland. But amidst the chorus of patriotism, a lone figure stepped forward. Nanziing declared he would join the support sector. A stunned silence fell over the crowd. How could the academy's top student be such a spineless coward? Only 5 minutes prior, the general delivered the grim news. 10,000 clans of alien races had descended upon their continent, filling the cemeteries to overflowing. Standing on hallowed ground, the general honored the fallen. "These are the heroes who bled for our nation. Your brothers, your sisters, your sons," he thundered. "Will you let their sacred sacrifice be for nothing? Enlist now, and we will grind our enemies to dust." His words ignited a fire in their souls, and 99% pledged their lives. Only one soul refused the call to battle. The shockwave was so immense, newspapers ran headlines about the boy who shamefully refused to fight for humanity. As he scrolled through the torrent of online hate, Nanziing alone knew the horrifying truth they couldn't see. In his past life, he was a celebrated warrior, one of the last survivors of the Great War, eventually rising to the strategic war leadership. It was there, buried in ancient texts, that he discovered a perfect synergy of talents, a divine code that promised limitless power. He unlocked the 5 sacred talents, but it was too late. Before he could ascend to absolute power, humanity was wiped from existence. If only he had known sooner, the world could have been saved. But fate, in a miraculous twist, granted him a second chance. Nanziing was reborn 10 years before the apocalypse. The 5 legendary talents lay dormant within him. He knew the brave souls enlisting today were marching to their doom, a tragic fate he could not yet prevent. He made his way to the youth training grounds. With every able-bodied man sent to the front lines, the massive facility was utterly deserted. Only women and the elderly remained tasked with processing captured monsters into rations for the army. Nanziing approached them with a simple offer: let him slay the captive beasts to lighten their load. They offered their thanks, but as he turned to leave, a woman's eyes widened in recognition. "It's him, the coward who ran from the fight." The young girl from before Oblivious led Nanziing toward the monster containment pens. But our hero had a hidden agenda. To awaken his sleeping talents, he needed monster crystals, and this was the only place in the city to find them. The girl couldn't help but be impressed by his quiet courage, secretly admitting he was incredibly handsome. But an older woman quickly stepped in, poisoning the girl's thoughts. "He's as handsome as he is yellow-bellied," she sneered. "That's the infamous Nanziing, the one who betrayed his duty." Inside the training room, however, his eyes burned with cold resolve. The gates flew open, and a tide of monsters lunged from all sides. In a flash, he delivered a devastating kick to the back of a creature's skull. Before his feet even settled, his hand plunged into the fallen beast, tearing out the precious source stone from its core. It was just like before. The rush of power flowed through him, the talent enhancement mechanism activating perfectly. He knew the path forward each level up would grant him control over a new mutant beast. Clutching the crystal, he steeled himself. He could endure this pain. As long as the attacks didn't hit his vital spots, his incredible healing factor would handle the rest. The monster charged, but Nanziing met it head-on, his expression an unmoving mask of determination. Using one beast's corpse as a springboard, he vaulted into the air, carving through another, before twisting to shatter a third with a powerful kick. Landing gracefully, Nanziing decided to eliminate the aerial threats first. He launched himself skyward, a whirlwind of death cutting down foe after foe. Just as he'd calculated, his combat prowess had already skyrocketed. He surveyed the carnage around him. Then a chilling presence emerged from the shadows. The undisputed alpha, the Umbrella Bird Emperor. His battle-honed instincts screamed at him. In his current state, felling this behemoth was an impossible task. He dodged back narrowly, avoiding the Emperor's brutal strike. A direct confrontation would be suicide. Twisting midair, he made a new resolution: he would become a phantom, striking only at its weaknesses. Nanziing shot forward like an arrow, landing a solid blow. But the monster's hide was far tougher than he remembered from his previous life. Still, he refused to back down, pressing the attack with another ferocious strike. Elsewhere, an intercom announced the lunch break. "Aunt Wong, Sister Lee," Xiaolu called out. "Aren't you going to the cafeteria?" Aunt Wong scoffed, her eyes locked on the monitor. "I want to see just how long this coward can keep up his little act." "I bet he runs away within minutes," Sister Lee added. Aunt Wong smirked. "And we'll be here to catch him when he does." But Xiaolu had her doubts. An A-level test couldn't be that easy. Suddenly, a sharp announcement echoed through the hall. "Participant Nanziing has successfully cleared the first floor of the A-level trial." Sister Lee gasped. How could anyone be that fast? Aunt Wong just snorted in derision. He probably just gave up. He couldn't handle it. She stood up, marching toward the door. "I'm going to see for myself." Just as she spun around, she crashed right into someone. Landing hard on the ground, she stared up into the face of Nanziing himself. A system window blared to life. Participant Nanziing has slain 2,000 foes, setting a new record for the first floor. Aunt Wong rushed over, sputtering, "How did you get so hurt? And did you really pass the A-level test?" He answered with a single word. "Passed." Then Nanziing coolly announced the demon corpses were ready for collection. As he walked away, Xiaolu watched him, her gaze sharp with intrigue. But when she turned to the processing area, she froze before a literal mountain of bodies. His progress, however, felt agonizingly slow. The experience needed to level up had more than doubled. His status confirmed it, Beast Tamer level 2. Reaching level 3 on this floor alone was impossible. An urgent war report suddenly crackled over the intercom. The next wave of the offensive was about to crash down. In his past life, not even 2 elite skill bearers could stop the 8th defense line from shattering. He shut off the water, his eyes filled with grim determination. There was no time to rest. He had to speed up his plans and ascend to the tower's 2nd floor. As the workers hauled away the monster carcasses, they began to whisper. They never imagined Nanzi would actually pass, figuring he'd need months to recover. Mr. Lee had to admit he gave it his absolute all. After all, passing an A-level test was a legendary feat. Aunt Wong, however, sneered that trying to swallow the sky in one bite was pure foolishness. The only true path is one step at a time. They wondered aloud how many weeks he would need to heal, some even joking that he might be gone for good, as they watched his limping figure fade away. But then one of the workers turned, calling out his name. Nanziing. Mr. Lee tried to quiet everyone down, but Aunt Wong's face twisted with pure contempt at his return. She snarled, "What do you want now?" Nanziing's reply was ice cold. "I'm heading to the 2nd floor to continue the test." Aunt Wong stared, utterly speechless, before asking again. You're actually trying to climb to the 2nd floor. What are you trying to prove?" she shrieked, pushing yourself with such terrible injuries. Xiaolu gently stepped in. "You should wait until you're fully healed. The next floor is crawling with massive, ferocious mutant beasts." He thanked her for her kindness, but his voice was firm. "I prefer to handle this alone." Outraged, Aunt Wong screamed, "If you're so damn powerful, go fight on the front lines." Xiaolu watched him depart, wondering why he was putting on such a brave face. She thought to herself, Mr. Nan doesn't seem like the kind of man who fears death or hides in the back. At that very moment, the system's voice echoed through the hall. Commencing the A-level test on the 2nd floor. The pressure on the 2nd floor was on a completely different level. Nanziing moved like a shadow, expertly dodging a storm of claws and fangs. But despite his incredible speed, one beast broke through his defense. The brutal impact sent him flying backward. He gritted his teeth. He couldn't afford any more direct hits. He had no advantage in power or size, especially not while injured. As he forced himself back up, the beast seemed to mock his broken state. Even so, he declared, "I am not one to charge in unprepared." A dangerous glint appeared in his eyes as he faced the creatures. In the next instant, he vaulted clean over one of them. In a single seamless motion, he plunged his blade deep into the monster's spine. The creature shrieked, then dissolved into nothing but dust before his very eyes. Since these level 2 beasts were within his power, he would tame them before truly beginning his assault. He activated his Beast Tamer talent. A surge of his dominating aura washed over the monsters. Every single beast fell to its knees, completely subservient. He nodded, confident that this was enough to seize absolute control. Finally, it was time to evolve once more, to reach level 3 in one fell swoop. 3 days later, at the Ye City training grounds, a worker yelled for help from his colleague as they butchered the carcasses. "Hurry up," Sister Lee shouted. "We're running out of room." Nearby Nanziing took a moment to rest, deciding he'd done enough for the day. His status window confirmed it, Mutant Beast Tamer level 6. In just 3 days, he had slaughtered over 10,000 beasts. And with his taming talent now at level 6, he was finally ready to venture into the untamed wilderness. Monsters rarely attacked the city directly, not with powerful ability users and firearms standing guard. This made the wild an incredibly deadly frontier. Still, taming these creatures was the key to his grand strategy, against the coming of the 10,000 races. An older worker approached him. "Will you need us to work overtime for the next batch? Everyone's fired up to support the front." He stood shaking his head. "No, that's all right. I have to leave early today." As he departed, Aunt Wong's mocking voice followed him. "Ha! Giving up after only a few days." One worker tries to speak up for him, claiming his efforts have sped up their progress. But she shuts him down cold, telling him to stay out of it. He fires back, accusing her of being the real problem harassing Nanziing, instead of doing her own job. Xiaolu steps in, telling him the work is on track, and that he should get some rest. He thanks her for the concern, but insists his path lies elsewhere. She nods, wishing him well. At the city gates, a guard screams from his vehicle, ordering everyone to clear the road. A convoy of military trucks thunders past as a citywide announcement blares from the speakers, announcing that the wounded from the front lines require immediate medical aid. Nanziing watches the endless stream of casualties. The situation must be catastrophic. Civilians point to the heavens, shouting in alarm as rockets scream across the sky. As the missiles arc overhead, one bystander remarks that they must be winning. But he knows the truth. This is an act of desperation. The defensive lines are on the verge of collapse. He pulls his mask tight and grips the hilt of his blade. Leaving the city, he ventures into the snow, knowing there isn't a second to waste. Further down the road, inside a stalled truck, a man curses their luck, questioning why they had to stop there of all places. The driver can only reply that the engine is dead. They're stranded in the worst place at the worst time. A woman panics, saying they should ditch the truck because of the mutant wolves. Another man agrees, telling them to grab their gear and move out. Suddenly they see it. A lone figure darts through the blizzard as Nanziing blazes past their convoy at impossible speeds. The woman stares out the window in disbelief. Who would possibly be leaving the city in the middle of this nightmare? The man shouts a warning after him. Be careful, there are giant mutant wolves ahead. Inside their vehicle, a young woman grows anxious. The director keeps calling. The city hospital is overflowing, and they desperately need this medicine. She points out how dangerous the area is, and that they have no weapons, but her colleague coldly dismisses her. We've handled our share of desperate fools, he scoffs. This isn't our problem. The driver cuts the argument short, ready to move on. But suddenly, a blood-curdling scream from outside makes them both freeze. Her companion grabs her arm in terror. Drive go now, he screams. There's a giant steel wolf right behind us. But the young woman grabs a rifle instead. Just drive, she commands her friend as she takes a steady aim. She lines up her shot and gives the order fire. Hearing the gunfire, Nanziing instantly recognizes the direction. It's the herb-gathering team. He realizes this isn't just a simple attack. It's a full-scale ambush by an entire wolf pack. A faint smile plays on his lips. This situation actually saves him a lot of trouble. As the world's spiritual energy rises, even beasts have become smarter, more organized. One of the wolves lunges for the truck. The young woman quickly reloads her rifle as the driver yells for her to be careful. She replies with cold resolve. This is our chance. You drive, I'll hold them off. The driver agrees, flooring the accelerator without a second thought. Meanwhile, Nanziing stands before the pack, poised on a snow-covered cliff. From his vantage point, he spots the Alpha, the Wolf King watching the chaos unfold from the shadows. He realizes if he can handle this pack, the medical team might just make it out alive. Just then, the Alpha Beast charges straight for him. Now that the boss has shown itself, he declares the real hunt has begun. He leaps into the fray, landing among the bodies of fallen wolves. It's time. He activates his unique talent, Beast Tamer. An invisible power erupts from him, a wave of subjugation washing over the beasts. An intense aura flares to life. The Wolf King answers with a defiant roar. Their auras collide on the battlefield, creating a cataclysmic explosion, and Nanziing begins to dominate them one by one. His strategy is simple: capture the king, and the entire army will fall. The wolves look on stunned by this overwhelming display of power. He unleashes his will upon them, an absolute authority that cannot be defied. The force of his ability slams into the earth, sending wolves flying into the air. Now his eyes lock onto the leader. Subduing it is his only priority. Nanziing storms toward the Steel Wolf King, unleashing his ability to forcefully tame the creature. The mighty wolf roars in defiance, fighting against the power trying to consume it. But slowly, it begins to bend to his overwhelming will. At that moment, the rest of the pack collapses. Back in the truck, the woman keeps firing, picking off the stragglers. She screams at her friend to drive faster, to get them out of this hellscape now. The driver slams her foot on the gas, desperate to escape, but the engine sputters and dies. Her companion's face drains of all color. We're done for. Outside, two wolves slam into the vehicle at the exact same time. The windshield explodes into 1,000 pieces, and in the next instant, a snarling beast lunges through the broken glass. But then, the savage assault stops. The wolves fall silent, completely surrounding the truck. A young woman whispers, "What's happening?" In a blink, their menacing aura vanishes. They almost look harmless. One of the creatures stares back, its eyes holding a strange new light. And just like that, the entire pack turns tail, melting back into the wilderness. High on the cliff, Nanziing stands beside the Wolf King, watching the scene unfold. From the truck, the blonde woman gasps in realization. The giant mutant wolves, they've been tamed. She's stunned. What level of Tamer could possibly command such power? The scene defies all logic. Meanwhile, Nanziing checks his own status. Level 7, Beast Tamer. He decides not to waste precious source stones. Leaping onto the Wolf King's back, he gives the command for the pack to disperse until he calls again. Then he makes one thing crystal clear to his new alpha humans are now off limits. Nanziing stares out at the vast horizon, his mission clear. He must subdue every last beast in these uninhabited lands. For his grand battle plan to succeed, he must forge an army of over 10 million mutant beasts. On top of that, he remembers his promise to secure a safe path for the herb-gathering team. Just then, an emergency summons from the factory blares through. He wonders what in the world could have happened. At the Ye City training grounds, a furious voice booms, declaring everyone there a complete and utter disappointment. The workers had hoped their accelerated progress would finally ease the crushing pressure on the front lines. But a pompous official flanked by guards merely scoffs, claiming they still struggle against slightly stronger mutant beasts. The elder mayor tries to explain, saying this is the first time Ye City has ever faced beasts of level 4 or higher. They just need more time to adapt. But the official spits the word back with disdain. Time. He demands to know if they grasp the gravity of the situation at all. Our frontline troops are on the verge of starvation. He bellows that the beast stockpile is dwindling. They need to hunt higher-level monsters to support the army. The elder mayor quickly agrees, promising more people from Ye City will be sent to help. But he's cut off. The official sneers that he's watched them for half a day and found no one useful, accusing them of deliberately delaying the supplies. He gripes that Ye City has been holding back all progress. He even points out that the very first deserter came from this pathetic place. Finally, he smirks, saying the city lives up to its irresponsible reputation, completely useless. An older woman's eyes flash with fury. She roars that her husband and 3 sons died on the front lines. How dare you call us irresponsible? Auntie Wong adds that they all work themselves to the bone in shifts just to keep the supplies moving. He's trampling on everything they've sacrificed. The man simply sneers at their pain. His guards step forward, a silent threat. Do you truly dare to disrespect an official? In response, Auntie Wong shoots back. And what are you going to do about it? Suddenly, a fist slams into a guard's face with a sickening crack, sending his glasses flying. Nanziing appears holding the stunned man. He calmly tells the official there's no need for violence. The workers erupt in cheers, celebrating Comrade Xiaoan's arrival. The elder mayor is in shock. What is Nanziing doing here? And how did he just take down a level 5 ability user so easily? The official whirls around, demanding to know who he is. He then points a weapon straight at Nanziing, accusing the people of Ye City of staging a mutiny. But Nanziing stares back, a cold flicker of recognition in his eyes. He knows this man. A memory from his past life surges forward. Lin Yukai, the infamous traitor, known as the supply line leech. In that life, this parasite trafficked military supplies for his own gain. Now, it's clear he's eyeing Ye City's resources. So that's why he's here. Nanziing decides he will deal with this trash, but not before draining him of everything he has. There are no rebels here, Nanziing declares, stepping forward. Why point a weapon at people who have sacrificed so much for this war? From the crowd, another worker shouts, "What more do you want from us?" The official suddenly realizes this situation is spiraling out of his control. He scrutinizes Nanziing's face, trying to understand why he seems so familiar. After a few tense moments, it clicks. He finally recognizes him as the deserter from Ye City. He accuses him of hiding here and assaulting a soldier of the Union. Nanziing simply shrugs. I don't care. But he issues a chilling warning. If I die, the supply progress you're so worried about will grind to a halt. The elder mayor and the others gasp, utterly shocked. This is Nanziing, the legendary ace of the slaughterhouse. Nanziing continues explaining that high-level beasts possess the ability to interfere with the human mind. That, he says, is the real reason you came to Ye City. He looks the official dead in the eyes. But I have no intention of helping you. You intend to kill me. In that instant, the official's blood ran cold. This deserter, an expert on mutant beasts, had just flipped the entire game on its head. The whispers from the crowd confirmed it. Nanziing's words were no empty threat. The elder mayor simply watched from the sidelines, his eyes sharp, eager to see how this drama would unfold. The official finally saw his chance. If Nanziing wanted this impossible task, it was the perfect way to get rid of him. He proposed a binding military oath. The very next day, 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts would be delivered. These were terrifying titans with impenetrable hides and potent psychic attacks. But to Nanziing, these demons were something else entirely. They were the perfect fuel to evolve his Asura talent. While Lin Yukai was blinded by greed, Nanziing's true objective was crystal clear. First, slaughter every last beast and absorb their power. Then obliterate Lin Yukai and his entire corrupt network. As dawn broke, the news spread like wildfire. The 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts had arrived. The entire Ye City branch was summoned to witness the spectacle. And there stood Lin Yukai. The military supply officer himself stepped forward, a smug look on his face as he read the military order. Logistics soldier Nanziing was assigned to process all 5,000 level 4 beasts. He had 1 week, and he would answer directly to Lin Yukai. Without warning, the trap was sprung. Lin Yukai's voice boomed, accusing Nanziing of insubordination. He was a rioter, an attacker of a superior officer. Any delay, any failure meant immediate execution. No trial, no appeal. And with a chilling smile, he added the method, death by firing squad. A wave of horror washed over the workers. A firing squad. Their shocked murmurs filled the air. Lin Yukai sneered. Are you scared now, boy? He mocked him for so eagerly accepting the oath just yesterday. When the time comes, he purred, I will personally carry out the sentence. His cruel smirk widened, and I'm going to enjoy it immensely. But Nanziing was a statue of calm. A lot of noise for a simple errand boy, he replied coolly. A guard bristled at the insult, but Lin Yukai waved him down. Let him talk, he chuckled. We must be generous to a man on death row. Let the show begin, he declared. I'll be watching. But then one of the men stepped forward with a grave warning. These high-level creatures required a special tranquilizer smoke. But the key components had all been conveniently sent to field hospitals. Shalu rushed to Nanzing's side. Be careful, he urged. We don't have enough doses to subdue them all. Nanziing merely nodded, his focus unbroken. As he strode toward the beasts, the onlookers held their breath. Those things can attack your mind, one whispered. To be that calm, he must be a psychic. Lin Yukai's bodyguard reported the kid showed no psychic potential, but Lin Yukai just waved it away. It doesn't matter. he sneered, feigning pity. Their psychic power is overwhelming. What a shame. He'll probably go mad before he can even feel the terror of his own execution. He then grumbled about his boss's foolishness in trusting a deserter. Once the kid is dead, Lin Yukai declared, all these spoils will be mine. But his bodyguard's voice was ice. You were sent only to supervise. Remember how to write your report. A clear warning. Everything that happens here, he said with hardened eyes, will be reported truthfully. Meanwhile, Nanziing faced his challenge. Even chained, the beast's mental pressure was immense and suffocating. He surveyed the terrifying scene, and a small smile touched his lips. Not bad at all. An illusion suddenly materialized before him. So vivid, he murmured as the phantom figure lunged. From above, a skeletal monstrosity descended, swinging at Nanziing, but its attack simply dissipated into dust. Nanziing didn't even flinch. He struck back at the true beast, his voice dripping with contempt. Nice try, but it's still just an illusion, his declaration echoed with absolute confidence. If you can't break my mind, you're nothing but sitting ducks. He cracked his neck. I still need more energy to evolve my talent. He then threw down the gauntlet. Show me what you've really got, he roared, even as shadowy tendrils began coiling around his feet. A seductive voice then whispered into his very soul. You're so tired. Just let everything go. Think of the price you've paid. All who have died. His father's face flashed in his mind. Was it worth it? Stop resisting fate. In a tone like silk, the entity offered him a sweet release. But Nanziing's will was iron. My revenge is not complete. Humanity's fate will be decided by human hands. The entity shrieked in shock. How can you withstand this power? Just give up. In response, a grin spread across Nanziing's face as he explained that by activating his Asura talent, his mind and body would surge with unimaginable strength. And all this psychic energy was the ultimate shortcut to awakening that very power. At last, he commands the raging energy to obey. His legendary Asura. Talent awakens. Elsewhere, a man seethes with rage over the phone, crushed by the pressure of a delayed delivery. He barks orders at his subordinate, telling them to just string the other party along. At the same time, a woman serves wine to her boss, her voice a silky suggestion that he spend more time with her. After all, the end of the world is just around the corner. He scoffs, remarking that demand for their products is now an urgent, desperate need. It's better to cash in quick before their precious mutant beasts are lost for good. Annoyed, he gripes about ambitious underlings and secret military snoops, calling it all a massive pain before throwing back his wine. Moments later, his mind turns to strategy. Where could he possibly find a stable location to handle high-level mutant beasts? Just then, his phone screams to life. Impatiently, he snatches it up, roaring at the caller to speak. The report begins detailing a military order at the Ye City branch. He grumbles that those fools are as useless as ever, demanding to know if the boy named Nan has been dealt with. But the answer he receives is stunning. They have just returned, and the mission is basically complete, in only 4 days. The caller explains that the beasts were level 4, a power level far beyond the city's wildest dreams. Stunned, the boss asks if they truly finished the job. The confirmation comes back without hesitation. The mission to eliminate 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts was a success, and it was all accomplished by Nanziing. Hearing this, the boss lets out a dark laugh, asking how the kid is holding up. He's told Nanziing is exhausted, but otherwise in perfect condition. The boss then gives his new command, keep the boy under constant surveillance, and if he does anything more than kill beasts, act immediately. Lin Yukai confirms his own mind, still reeling from the impossible news. He inwardly questions how any of this was even possible. He had investigated Nanziing personally and was absolutely certain the young man had zero psychic potential. Suddenly, a system window flashes, before Nanziing's eyes, detailing his talent tree. His Asura level is now 5, and he's unlocked the Alloy Evil Blade ability. Nanziing feels the change instantly. Both his physical and mental fortitude have soared. Though he hasn't reached level 6, he successfully awakened the first ability of his Asura talent. While he's being treated, he realizes he can now venture deeper into the wilderness, tame even stronger beasts, and accelerate his master plan. One of the workers praises Comrade Nanziing for bringing them great honor, knowing that otherwise certain people would have belittled them. Lin Yukai mutters under his breath that it was obvious they couldn't handle it, so they arrogantly chose to use his team instead. In that instant, Nanziing realizes the truth. The increase in his Asura talent has also dramatically enhanced his perception. That man, he thinks, is an ability user after all. Across the way, Lin Yukai is fuming, held back by his bodyguard. He rants about his income being threatened and his pride being insulted, deciding he must investigate that boy once more. But the bodyguard issues a cold warning, reminding him that as long as they complete their missions, their superiors couldn't care less about the methods. By acting out like this, Lin Yukai is directly defying the boss's rules. He continues stating they must wait until the boss is finished using Nanziing before they can eliminate him, adding that a massive amount of residual mental power still lingers in the area. Lin Yukai scoffs at this nonsense and vows to report this matter to the boss himself when the time is right. Nanziing watches the men around him, his gaze sharp and focused. He recognizes their trick immediately, a psychic ability designed to invade his mind. But he smirks, confident they've made a huge miscalculation. This he thinks is the perfect chance to test his newly awakened Asura abilities. Lin Yukai begins to panic, realizing with dread that he cannot invade Nanzing's mental system. Utterly confused, he wonders why he's surrounded by absolute darkness. He should be able to perceive mental entities, so why is there nothing? A voice calls out from the void, making him spin around in terror. The voice guides him to the side where he realizes he is trapped by an impossibly dense energy. Before him, a condensed entity of pure malevolent power manifests. Petrified, Lin Yukai screams. He demands to know how Nanzing could possess psychic abilities and grow so powerful in such a short time. He remembers investigating every last detail about him. "Who the hell are you, really?" he shrieks as the energy blasts him backward. The entity's voice is chillingly calm. "Who I am is irrelevant. You are the one who chose to spy on my mental world." Lin Yukai stammers about the terrifying level of its power and begins to beg for mercy, but the entity simply replies, "I'm going to give you a good show." The figure then lunges forward and attacks. Back in reality, the workers can only stare at the scene in utter shock. Lin Yukai, now raving like a madman, declares that everything there belongs to him, and no one should even think of touching his money. He scrambles to his feet, babbling that he was a fool and could have handled everything on his own. The workers whisper to each other, wondering if the immense pressure from leadership has truly driven him insane. As one woman frets about the repercussions, terrified that Lin Yukai couldn't even withstand a simple interrogation, the bodyguard realizes the truth. Lin Yukai's mind has been shattered by psychic energy, driving him completely insane, as he screams that anyone who touches his fortune will die. Watching this pathetic display, the guard makes a cold calculation. Letting this madman live will only bring dishonor to the boss. Without a shred of hesitation, he lunges forward, his attack a blur of motion, and in an instant, he ends Lin Yukai's life. He then turns to the others, offering a slight bow. "My apologies for this incident. He was corrupted by the monster's mental power, and had become a threat to us all." The bodyguard notes Nanziing's condition. Collapsed his mind seemingly in tatters. He scoffs internally. What a fool getting himself killed in such a pathetic way. The boy might be useless now. He decides to report back to headquarters first. He then addresses the others with cold authority. "Someone will be here to handle this. All of you return to your duties." Just then, a system window materializes before Nan. It declares his current Asura level has reached level 6. A worker cries out, "Mr. Nan is awake," and everyone immediately rushes to his side. Still dazed, Nan asks, "How long was I unconscious?" The answer hits him hard: over 2 days. One of the men shoos the others away, then helps Nan to his feet. "Give him some space. You need to get up and eat something." Nan's first question is urgent. "Did that scumbag Lin Yukai send more mutant beasts?" The man's headshake is grim. "No, but the military's demands on us have doubled." And the news gets worse. The battle at the 9th defense line was a complete slaughter. Humanity was forced to retreat to the 8th. The situation is beyond dire. Our troops are utterly outclassed by the 10,000 races of mutant monsters. A level 7 ability user barely escaped with his life but lost an arm. A level 6 flame giant made the ultimate sacrifice in battle. A cold dread washes over Nanzi. He knew this defeat was inevitable, but it's happening far sooner than it did in his past life. The worker quickly changes the subject. The higher-ups have officially ruled that the officer was under mental control. Ya City is cleared of all blame. He then adds with a serious tone, "But what comes next is even more critical." Nanziing demands, "What else happened?" At that very moment, Xiaolu bursts into the room, calling out for Mr. Nan. She reports excitedly, her eyes gleaming. "Everyone, even the teams on patrol, we all voted for you. You are the new chief of Ya City's Judgment Tower branch." She hands him an official appointment letter from HQ. Aunt Wong steps forward, her voice thick with pride. "This shows everyone's absolute trust in you. Please take care of us, Chief Nan." The other workers erupt in cheers. "Long live Chief Nan. We'll give it our all." But Xiaolu's expression darkens as she explains the impossible new reality. "Our team has been cut in half, but the military's supply demands have doubled. How many of us can even survive a month without proper food or rest?" She turns to Nan, her voice filled with desperation. "Chief, what is your plan?" Nanziing's voice is calm and steady. "Worker efficiency can only go so far. This burden falls to me." He thinks to himself, "With my abilities, doubling our output is possible." With this new position, he muses internally. Crushing Lin Yukai after his resources are spent will be child's play. Xiaolu begs him to appeal to command, calling the task impossible. But Nan just reassures her, "Don't worry, I've already found a way." As he rises from the bed, she warns him not to push himself. "You can't do anything reckless. You're under immense pressure and you've just recovered." But Nanziing faces his team, his confidence unwavering and absolute. "We can complete this mission." His powerful resolve ignites their spirits. They roar back, "We trust you. Chief Nan, we will follow your lead." Just as someone yells for everyone to get back to work, a blur of motion streaks past the doorway, startling the entire team. Nan's senses scream at him. That speed isn't human, and it's certainly not one of his crew. He bolts into the corridor demanding, "Who's there?" He bursts out into the open, his eyes scanning the area. Where did they go? Suddenly, the cold steel of a gun barrel presses against his head. A voice hisses, "Bold of you to follow me!" A woman grabs him from behind, pinning his arms. "Don't move, just answer my questions." She wastes no time. "Tell me about Lin Yukai's order. How many are coming in the next batch?" Nan retorts. "You should be asking Lin Yukai and his dogs that." The gun presses harder. "Are you his accomplice? Answer me seriously." But Nanziing sees her momentary distraction. It's the perfect window of opportunity. In a flash, he grabs her arm and unleashes his Asura talent. She reacts with blinding speed, moving to block his hand. But he's quicker. She fires her weapon, but he snatches the bullet right out of the air. "Who told you," he snarls, "that I was an accomplice to that scoundrel?" "You've got the wrong person." The woman recoils, shocked. "Then why are you helping Lin Yukai?" Nan clarifies, "I don't help him. I simply complete the tasks assigned to Yacity, and for now, technically, he is still our superior." His answer visibly surprises her. A moment passes, and she offers a truce. "Let's join forces to deal with Lin Yukai," she suggests, extending a hand. "Jang Yuan of the 8th Defense Line," she stated, hand outstretched. Nanziing paused, then met her offer with a cold, stunning rejection. "So you're choosing to be part of the problem?" She shot back, her voice laced with ice. He retorted that while Lin Yukai had to be stopped now wasn't the time, and she certainly wasn't the right partner for the job. Nanziing explained that she was blind to the full consequences of taking Lin Yukai off the board. "What consequences?" she demanded. He clarified that her reckless plan only had 2 crude options: assassination or a public expose. He then pressed her, asking how she planned to silence all the loose ends, especially against a team of enemies. And on top of that, he warned her to think about the crushing aftermath that awaited her should her little assassination attempt fail. Nanziing explained that any investigation would be endless, and after their recent soul-crushing defeat, the slightest whisper of internal conflict would look like total disarray. This would ignite a catastrophic chain reaction, plunging the entire rearguard into chaos. Jang Yuan was silenced by his grim logic. Finally, she asked him what he proposed they do instead. His answer was simple and absolute. "I will handle it personally." She was stunned. "You think you can do this alone?" She warned him to stop reminding him he was nothing more than a defector. She insisted that even she, with all her authority, couldn't tame those vipers. In response, he calmly reminded her of their recent clash, then asked what she thought her chances were against him now. Jang Yuan's mind flashed back to his terrifying reflexes. He was impossibly different from just a week ago. The truth hit her like a thunderbolt. He stayed in logistics on purpose, to absorb the power from the incoming mutant beasts and grow stronger. Nanziing stated that he'd said all he was going to. He warned her not to make a foolish move, reminding her she was an intelligent woman. He then gave his word to personally eliminate that scheming rat, Lin Yukai. Jang Yuan reluctantly agreed to his terms, but gave him one final warning: failure was not an option. He sealed their pact, adding that once Lin Yukai was gone, he'd be counting on her to secure the mutant beasts he needed. She questioned why he needed even more beasts. His current power level was already a formidable force on the front lines. She then accused him directly. "Are you plotting against humanity? Tell me, whose side are you truly on?" He scoffed at her paranoia, telling her she was overthinking it. He affirmed his absolute loyalty to humanity's war against the 10,000 races, but declared his current power was still far from enough. With that, Nanziing bid her farewell. Declaring he had said all he needed to, he simply vanished. She watched him disappear, knowing that while he was a deeply unsettling man, she had no other choice but to place her trust in him. Several days later, an announcement echoed through the base. Chief Nan's last mission was a perfect success, and the next task was once again assigned to Y City. As they walked, Shalu nervously mentioned that their last mission had ended with a serious injury. However, Nanziing swiftly reassured her, confidently declaring he could handle the assignment. An official noted Chief Nan's straightforward nature, and without a moment's hesitation, signed off on the transfer. He then acknowledged that Nan's competence was undeniable. He was an essential asset. Unlike the other troublemakers who took bribes, Nan was clean. A greedy thought sparked in the official's mind. This was a golden opportunity to make a massive fortune, especially since the raging war had already doubled military supply orders. He promised that if Nanziing delivered spectacular results in the coming missions, the great Lin Yukai himself would personally decorate him and his entire team. At this, Nanziing turned to his team and barked a sharp order to get back to work. As the crew scrambled to move the massive containers, mid-commands echoed through the facility. "Send one batch to the testing tower's first floor and direct that terrifying level 5 beast to the second." The official smiled, remarking how reassuring Y City's work ethic was. With a final nod, he took his leave, promising not to disturb them. Nanziing watched him go, his gaze sweeping over the vast resources he had accumulated. He knew every last one would serve as fuel to enhance his talent. It was time to unleash his power, the evil alloy blade. Activating his ability, he surged forward like a comet, crashing directly into the horde of beasts. With a single devastating sweep, he sliced through multiple creatures in a single blow. March 20th? A dark day. Eagle Land's 8th defense line finally crumbled after a brutal slaughter, claiming the lives of 800,000 soldiers and 50,000 espers. In the heart of the chaos, Nanziing ignited his Asura Berserker mode, carving a path through a monstrous behemoth with the alloy Fury Blade. Just 2 days later, the Northern Glacier's 8th defense line was shattered under the relentless onslaught. The 10,000 races poured through a tide of slaughter. 600,000 more soldiers fell. But Nanziing fought on, summoning the Asura Dragon Hunter with his alloy Dragon Blade to face another colossal beast. March 24th. The Southern Glacier's 8th defense line faced the terrifying Steel Slaughter race. 500,000 soldiers were wiped out in a single hour. Against this overwhelming tide, Nanziing answered with the Alloy Demonic Blade, unleashing the Asura Demon Hunter, and striking back with every ounce of his being. By March 26th, the 8th defense lines of the France and Kawasaki nations crumbled to dust in just half an hour. That was the final straw. Enough, he declared. Ascending above the monstrous horde, he unleashed the true might of his Asura powers. Nanziing had reached the pinnacle of Asura. Immediately, he activated Hell on Earth mode. It was time to show his foes true despair. He lifted his blade high, then slammed it into the earth, triggering a cataclysmic explosion. Atop a mountain of pulverized monsters, he surveyed the absolute devastation. The power at max level is on a completely different dimension, he mused. The scale is just incomparable. With a heavy sigh, he deactivated his Asura form, collapsing onto the beast's massive carcass. A grim news report flashed across a screen. Only a few alliances remained standing, and the minimum recruitment age had been mercilessly dropped to 16. He frowned. This collapse, it's happening too damn fast. Meanwhile, Aunt Wang stared in shock. You finished the mission already, she gasped. An official rushed over, his eyes wide with disbelief. Chief Nan, your efficiency has reached another level. Pleased, the official then asked, what official position would you like to request? Nanziing simply replied, I want him. The official was utterly baffled. He then clarified, I need you to head to the northern jungle tonight. Bring back a pack of steel wolves to finish the task. The man chuckled. Chief Nan, your resilience and audacity are truly commendable. I like that. Nanziing simply nodded. I'll leave Commander Lin to handle the rest. The official tried to offer some empty words, but Nanziing's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. Try anything funny, and I'll erase you. His cold stare pinned the man in place. With enemies invading from the outside, you act like a parasite from within. You are beyond redemption. Alone in the falling snow, Nanziing contemplated. If his memories served him right, the 10,000 races would soon resort to assassination plots. He needed to start moving in the shadows. He then commanded his pups to summon the nearby wolf packs. Under the eerie glow of the full moon, the wolf packs answered his call. A system window flickered to life, displaying Nanziing's beast Tamer status. He noted with a grimace that the requirements for the next enhancement were growing exponentially. Meanwhile, 3 armored vehicles tore through the desolate snow-covered wasteland. A guard reported to the official, Sir, we've detected approximately 1,000 mutant wolves ahead. The official's lips curled into a pleased grin. The official barked his command, Advance initiate teleportation to the nano-cages. He was eager to finish this job and get back to his other activities. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the silence. What was that? He demanded. The guard in the front seat narrowed his eyes, scanning the road ahead with intense focus. Without warning, a literal tidal wave of steel wolves swarmed their vehicles. The official shrieked in panic. How could this happen without any warning? Teleport me out of here now. The guard frantically explained. Sir, the device has a minimum range of 1 kilometer. Our only option is to break through them. Enraged, the official roared back. Then shut your mouth and drive. The vehicles lurched forward, accelerating into the monstrous pack. Watching from a distance, Nanziing smirked. Perfect timing, he thought, noting the full moon hanging high above. He then descended the slope, ready to tame some powerful new allies and exterminate these parasites all at once. Nanziing unleashed the full might of his beast, taming talent, his energy engulfing the wolves and ensnaring them in his will. A guard saw the packs halt their advance and immediately suspected a beast Tamer was at work. He shouted for them to find this hidden master, seeing them as an invaluable asset. Nanziing took command of 100,000 giant steel wolves, then ordered them to obliterate the convoy, leaving no one alive. A guard screamed a report to the officer. The beast Tamer failed. We're completely swarmed by creatures. The officer snarled, demanding they suppress everything with overwhelming firepower. The men in the vehicles unleashed a hail of gunfire on the surrounding wolves, but the creatures were relentless, leaping onto the vehicles and tearing the soldiers apart. The guard grabbed both the officer and the woman, warning them. This place is a death trap, panicked. Activate the teleportation now, he demands, desperate to secure their escape. But as the portal begins to form, a vicious wolf lunges at them. In a flash of light, the bodyguard teleports away, leaving 2 wolves behind to witness the carnage. In the next instant, a monstrous 3-headed beast materializes from thin air, standing directly before the guard. He braces himself to face the nightmare, boldly declaring, You will soon taste the wrath of a level 5 Esper. He triggers the nano-cage teleportation, while another man aids him, just as more wolves begin to swarm their position. Realizing the cage's range is too short, he barks a new order. To the ancient city walls now! In a blinding flash, they all vanish. They reappear at their destination where a figure emerges from the deep shadows. I was waiting, he says coolly. You took longer than I expected. Who are you? The guard demands as everyone stares up at the armed man. The figure reveals his name is Nanziing, leaving the officer utterly speechless. Lin Yukai's voice shakes as he asks, You were the beast tamer? Are you here to kill me? A wicked grin spreads across Nanziing's face. Bingo! The officer roars a threat, but the young man's smirk only widens. Oh, I have no doubt you would, he sneers. It's a shame you'll never get that chance. Then he explodes into motion, charging the bodyguard. Nanziing's hand clamps around the officer's throat, who desperately chokes out a single name. The bodyguard frantically tries to teleport, vowing to save him. But in that exact moment, Nanziing unleashes his terrifying skill. Asura Dragon Hunter! He surges forward, his power colliding with the bodyguard's frantic escape attempt. The man panics, realizing his power is useless. I can't teleport. Are you a high-level Esper? His scream is swallowed by Nanziing's destructive energy. His body slams to the ground as he whimpers pathetically, begging for his life. Nanziing's voice is ice. My apologies. With a casual flick, he flings Lin Yukai into the air as the man shrieks, You traitor! The three-headed beast immediately rockets toward the helpless official, and the creature descends upon him without mercy. Nanziing simply turns his back, offering Lin Yukai a silent farewell. Meanwhile, at the Super Abilities Research Department, a woman relaxes leisurely in a bathtub. She muses about an incredibly potent Esper aura radiating from Y City. Suddenly, Su Lang's eyes snap open. Those strange sensations from days ago, they weren't just an illusion. A supreme Esper has truly awakened in that city. She knows she must report this unprecedented event to the department at once. Back on the scene, Nanziing declares the coast is clear. Come on out, he says. The wolves immediately swarm him, licking him relentlessly as he pleads for them to stop. One especially stubborn beast ignores him, continuing its slobbery display of affection. Finally, he snaps, ordering them all to calm down and get in line. He steps away from the burning vehicles, muttering that they're a lost cause. Turning to one wolf, he praises it. Good job! He rewards it with a firm pat on the head, then tells the others to hold their horses. With that settled, he announces a brand new mission for his pack. They are to invade the northern jungle and hunt down source stones for him. Nanziing stands before his loyal pack, bathed in the glow of the full moon. Later, at the Y City slaughterhouse, Nanziing has a meeting with Jang Yuan. She reports that Lin Yukai and his entire crew encountered a beast tide yesterday and were completely wiped out. Naturally, she asks if he was responsible. He casually confirms it, reminding her, I told you I wanted some mutant wolves. Shocked, Jang Yuan asks if he can also command beasts. Nanziing warns her that some secrets are best left buried. She then reveals that she has submitted the evidence against Lin Yukai. His assets are about to be confiscated. Nanziing welcomes the good news. Jang Yuan offers to buy him a drink, but he declines, stating the national crisis has ruined his mood. However, he adds, if you really want to show your gratitude. There is another way. Intrigued, she asks what he has in mind. He proposes transforming this exact location into Y City's largest slaughterhouse. Jang Yuan agrees without a second thought, certain the higher-ups will adore the idea. With the slaughterhouse up and running, he thinks to himself, harvesting source stones from mutant animals will be child's play. He also intends to capture the steel giant wolves and soon unleash a beast tide millions strong. Just 2 days later, Nanziing's status has updated. He is now a level 7 beast tamer operating in the northern jungle. He dramatically declares that the planet's fate now rests on his shoulders. Together, he roars, we will defend the Blue Star. His rank immediately soars to level 8 beast tamer after successfully taming a staggering 500,000 steel giant wolves. Next on his journey, he arrives in the Whitebone Plains, where he discovers a massive herd of yaks. A quick scan identifies them as level 6 blazing steel yaks. He grins, preparing to assert his complete and utter dominance. Unleashing his taming ability, Nanziing dives straight into the herd. A tide of beasts falls under his will, commanded to secure the Whitebone Plains and harvest source stones. His orders are absolute. Harm no humans, touch no cities, and await my next command. The system window flashes. Still a level 8 beast tamer, but his army has swelled to a staggering 1 million creatures. His dominion expands, with legions now stationed across the northern jungle and the Whitebone Plains. Deep within the treacherous Rift Canyon, Nanziing sets his sights on a new prize, a troop of level 7 mutant monkeys. But as he observes, he feels it. The aura of a level 7 beast is on another dimension entirely. In a flash, a monkey lunges with blinding speed. Nanziing barely parries the ferocious assault. He channels his taming power towards the primate. A flicker of relief, they're still within his taming range. But in the next moment, the entire troop swarms him, cutting off every escape route. A piercing shriek rips through the canyon, forcing his head to whip around. A projectile screams towards him. He weaves out of its path by a hair's breadth. The monkey roars in fury. His taming attempt has failed. Fine Nanziing thinks I'll beat you into submission first. With the savage roar of the Asura berserker, he charges. His attack shatters the very ground beneath him. Then, igniting his taming ability, he plunges into the chaotic swarm below. And then it clicks for Nanziing. That booming roar was the reason his taming was disrupted. He can't afford to waste his strength on these minions. He needs to take down the boss pulling the strings. Just then, a powerful attack rains down from above. Nanziing appears in a blur, intercepting the blow with ease. He feels the impressive raw power behind it, but it's completely mindless. Too bad all that strength isn't backed by an ounce of brains, he scoffs. Suddenly, a new challenger emerges, sending one of the beasts flying with a brutal strike. A massive four-eyed creature watches the chaos unfold. Even Nanziing is impressed, admitting, not a bad move. I'll give you that, he calls out. But you're all severely underestimating your new master. Without a second's delay, he retaliates, smashing another beast into the cliff face. Enough hiding, he roars. Show yourself. From the inky shadows, a colossal figure materializes, its voice like thunder. The throne is about to change hands. Nanziing can only marvel at its overwhelming size. If it weren't for my Asura ability, he mutters, this pressure alone would have crushed me. He gauges its power. Level 9, maybe even higher. The gigantic creature lunges with impossible speed. One moment, Nanziing is facing it. The next, he's been swallowed whole. Seriously, he quips from inside. You really think you can just eat me? I'm going to be the worst meal you've ever had. Unleashing his Asura Fury Blade, he plunges it deep into the monster's core, piercing the Monkey King's chest. The sheer force of the blow sends the gargantuan beast reeling backward right off the edge of the cliff. It plummets, crashing violently into the canyon floor below. Nanziing dusts himself off a smirk playing on his lips. I guess I need to make it clear who the real boss of this place is, he muses. With that, he activates Asura Hell on Earth, his power exploding outwards. Meanwhile, far away, a young girl whines to her sister. Are you sure about what you felt? It's past 3 a.m. I need my beauty sleep to grow, you know. Her sister Sulang remains unfazed. That level of killing intent, she states gravely, is no illusion. Our orders are to monitor Yi City. Her gaze hardens. And stop calling me older sister. The girl shoots back. Fine then, auntie. But before their bickering can escalate, Sulang cuts her off. Something's coming. Get ready. We're tracking it to Fisher Canyon southwest of Yi City. Her partner immediately confirms the order. With a focused gaze, Chenkure activates her unique ability, peering into the very fabric of time and space. Her eyes glow as the powerful technique takes hold. At that exact moment, Nanziing unleashes his signature attack, Hell on Earth. He lunges at the monster, delivering a devastating blow that sends the creature hurtling back from the sheer impact. Back at the agency, their tracking device violently shutters the shockwave of power, nearly knocking Sulang and Chener off their feet. Sulang gripped Chener, her voice laced with panic. What did you see in there? The young girl, still trembling, could barely speak. He's a terrifying Asura demon. Meanwhile, Nanziing faces the colossal ape. Had enough fun yet? He taunts the beast now, visibly drained before him. But his opponent pushes on. Get up! Fight me again, Nanziing demands. This time I won't hold back. In a furious response, the creature slams its massive fist into the ground, letting out a thunderous roar. But a thought crosses Nanziing's mind. What a waste to die like this, especially with so much fight left in you. The great ape extends its own fist, stopping just inches from his face. A silent offer to join forces against the 10,000 races. Nanziing touches the offered fist, a smirk playing on his lips. Good boy, he says, deactivating his Asura form in an instant. He turns to his new army of 1,000,000 ape warriors and issues his first command. From this day forward, you serve under the Monkey King. Your mission is to protect Rift Canyon and gather source stones. You are forbidden from attacking any cities. Await my next command. Instantly, a system window appears detailing his newly conquered army and their vast territory. The scene shifts to the Paranormal Investigation Agency, where Sulang leans closer to Chenier. I felt another power signature last night, she whispers. But my tracking abilities are still too weak. She wonders aloud if two such immense powers could truly belong to the same person. But Chenier dismisses the idea, reminding her of the ancient hidden families that secretly dominate the Eastern Esper rankings. Perhaps I'm just overthinking it, she admits. Just then, it's time for the official announcement. A massive screen flashes to life, revealing the new rankings. In 10th place, a mysterious man in black appears his Asura ability, listed simply as unknown. The very next day, the news explodes across the entire Eastern Alliance. A mysterious new powerhouse has claimed the 10th spot in the official rankings. Online forums are buzzing about the new Eastern Asura Esper. Some even say, I'd rather be a mindless killing machine than a coward like Nanziing. Back at the slaughterhouse, Shalu hands Nanziing a cloth. Your phone won't stop ringing, boss. Nanziing checks the screen, his face hardening as he reads the devastating news. The Me country, the Mad country, and the 8th defense line have all been annihilated. A breaking news report confirms the worst. The Eastern Alliance has activated its veteran recall policy. All forces are mobilizing to the 5th defense line. Nanziing's expression turns grim. This time, he thinks defeat is closing in even faster. The recall, it's happening far sooner than he ever predicted. His thoughts drift to his father, and at that very moment, a message arrives. An invitation for dinner, at home. Meanwhile, an older man, Nanziing's father, politely addresses a reporter. "I've just finished cooking for my family. They're about to arrive, but you're welcome to join us." The reporter declines, insisting she only needs a brief interview about the veteran recall. He calmly agrees, bracing himself for the questions. "What were your thoughts when you signed up for the veteran recall?" she asks. "It is my duty." His father answers, his voice unwavering. "There is no question?" She presses on. "And what about your son's refusal to enlist?" But his father remains silent. Just then, a woman arrives with 2 young adults in tow. "I found Xiaoying and Xiaosen at the neighborhood entrance," she announces, then turns to her husband. "And you're giving an interview?" He motions for them to sit down. "I'll be right with you," he promises his family. His wife simply nods. He then introduces them to the reporter. "It's rare for us all to be together like this. This is my wife Chinu, a volunteer at the factory. Our daughter Nanzishan is an esper doctor, and our son Nanziing works at the slaughterhouse supporting the front lines in his own way. As long as he holds true to his conscience, I support his path." Nanziing listens, his head bowed in silence. The reporter turns her sharp gaze on him. "Mr. Nanziing, what are your thoughts on the fall of the Eastern Alliance's 8th defense line?" "Stop pressuring him," his father cuts in, his voice sharp with authority. He continues, his tone cracking with emotion. "I was assigned to the 6th defense line, but I volunteered to be transferred to the 7th. My son's work slaughtering mutant beasts is a vital contribution to this war." Nanzishan then steps forward, her voice filled with resolve. "And I just volunteered as a medical esper for the 7th defense line as well." Even his mother declares, "If that's not enough, then I will go in his place." The reporter, overwhelmed with shame, quickly apologizes and flees with her crew. Nanziing's hand tightens into a fist on the table. He looks up at his father, standing with grim determination. "Dad!" He says, his decision made. "I'll go with you all." "Where are you going so late?" his mother asks, concerned. But Nanziing quickly makes an excuse. "There's an emergency at the slaughterhouse." She presses him, asking if it can't wait until after they've eaten together. But before he can answer, his father intervenes. "Let him go," he says firmly. "Everyone has their own responsibilities to fulfill." Without another word, Nanziing turns and walks out into the night. The scene shifts to the gloomy, ancient sunken forests. Darting through the forest, he knows the night is still young. He has one mission: to tame the legendary war elephants. The young man bursts into a clearing, his voice booming as he challenges the shadows to reveal themselves. A behemoth of an elephant crashes through the trees. Without a second thought, he surges forward, carving a deep wound into the creature's leg. In a blur of motion, he lands on the beast's head, his voice like ice warning it he has no time for games. He instantly activates his taming skill, breaking the monster's will. Now riding his new mount, he issues a command to the entire herd. Any who dare to resist will face execution. From the darkness, another titan of the forest approaches. One by one, more war elephants emerge, only to see their leader tamed. They recoil in absolute terror, their charge broken. Nanziing then addresses his new army. Their sacred duty is now to protect the primeval sunken forests. He also commands them to gather all the source stones they can find and await his next order. A system window blazes to life. He's now a level 8 beast tamer with 3 million creatures under his control. Another screen confirms his new status, Formation Master. A smirk plays on Nanziing's lips. The formation skill tree was finally unlocked. With this newfound power, he decides it's time to accelerate his growth. He'll return to the slaughterhouse for more source stones. Back in the haunting quiet of Y City's slaughterhouse, he moves among the fallen beasts. With enough energy gathered, he prepares to unleash his new sword key formation. Behind cold steel bars, the caged beasts begin to awaken. His eyes shut, he channels the very heavens and earth, summoning a storm of 1,000 blades. Countless swords of pure energy swirl into a deadly vortex around him. Next, he gives the command, activate sword sheath formation. But Nanziing knows a single level 1 formation is far too weak. So he'll stack them, creating a whirlwind of 2,000 blades. An idea flashes in his mind. If he installs these formations in every workshop, the entire place could run itself. Moving to the second workshop, he activates 2,000 bloodlust formations. Only an hour later, a new system alert appears. His formation master system has already reached level 2. As the first rays of dawn paint the sky, Nanziing decides it's time. He must bid farewell and make his way to the front lines. But just then, Xiaoli arrives greeting Auntie Wang and Auntie Jing. They see the open door, realizing he must have come back late last night. Auntie Wang fumes, blaming the media for all the recent trouble. She admits she stayed up the entire night fighting with trolls in the news comment sections. Her phone shows an article dragging Nanziing's father through the mud, followed by a torrent of hateful comments. Xiao explodes. They've crossed the line, as the others worry. Suddenly, a voice from behind startles them all. It's Nanziing. He remarks that his timing is perfect, as he has a few things he needs to entrust to them. Xiaolu's eyes widen in fear. You're not really going to do that, are you? Just then, a senior worker hands Nanziing a letter from his father. The words on the page hit him like a physical blow. His father and sister are already marching to the battlefield, carrying the heavy burden of their family's honor and shame. His father knew Nanziing was destined for something greater. He reminds his son that he's never been one to run from a challenge. And then the shocking reveal the mysterious Asura on the leaderboards is Nanziing. His father's final advice stand tall, ignore the hateful whispers, and protect his mother who remains in the city. Nanziing finishes the letter signed with love and respect from his father, Nan Shinhong. His colleagues rush to his side, pleading with him not to be reckless. His work here providing supplies is crucial for the war effort. Auntie Wang even fiercely vows to personally shut down anyone on the internet who dares to slander his name again. He thanks them for their loyalty, assuring them he's fine. Then he announces that he has something monumental to tell them. The government has just greenlit the construction of the 5th Reserve Defense Line. He intends to apply for the position of chief engineer. He quickly reassures his stunned staff that this new responsibility won't slow down their work at the slaughterhouse. A long convoy of military vehicles rumbles down a desolate snow-covered road. Watching from the crowd, Nanziing reaffirms the promise in his heart. His father's words are law. Rushing to the battlefield now would accomplish nothing. He would only kill a handful of monsters, while leaving his mother completely undefended. Worse yet, without a steady supply of source stones to fuel his own growth, he would be powerless to protect anyone. To achieve true victory, he must pour every ounce of his being into building the 5th defense line, humanity's last hope. He will not disappoint his father. 3 days later, at the colossal construction site, Chief Engineer Nan is already being showered with praise for his tireless work ethic. Engineer Lee outlines the sheer scale of their task. The steel wall will stand 30 meters tall, 50 meters thick, and stretch for 300 kilometers. Nanzi gives his team a nod of thanks, but his expression turns grim. This wall is just for show. It will never be enough to halt the monster tide. He reveals their true shield will be the ancient art of formations. To power this grand design, he needs a mountain of source stones, and luckily he holds a stash of 3.5 million. The desolate wasteland between Ye City and the front line becomes the perfect canvas for his master plan. And so he begins his tireless work laying down 50,000 blazing flame formations within a single kilometer under the silent watch of the sun and moon. A giant elemental rises at his command. Moments later, he deploys another 50,000 elemental sword chi formations, and finally orders 50,000 more blazing flame arrays stacked kilometer after deadly kilometer. Nanziing continues his monumental task, weaving tens of thousands of sword chi and flame formations across the entire front line. Suddenly, a system window materializes before him. His formation master level has ascended to 3, with 500,000 formations now under his command. He gazes out at the 10-kilometer stretch ahead, now a death trap layered with powerful level 2 formations. Satisfied, he decides to conserve his source stones, saving them for the second, even deadlier layer. These arrays should be more than enough to slow the weaker Xenos. With that, the first line of defense for Ye City is complete, a staggering 1,250,000 stacked level 2 formations. The very next day, Engineer Lee sprints onto the site, his face pale with panic. He has dire news to report. Gasping for air, he thrusts his phone forward. The headlines scream that their plan is a failure, throwing the public into a frenzy. But Nanziing remains unfazed, calmly telling him to continue as planned. He promises to unveil an enhanced strategy. He confesses the wall is a mere decoy, a trick to lure the Xenos into a false sense of victory, right before they crash into his true masterpiece. And as he speaks, a new idea begins to form. How could he make this decoy wall more than just a simple trick? In a flash of inspiration, the answer comes to him. Nanziing snatches the clipboard right out of Engineer Lee's hands. Even though he hasn't unlocked the command rune element just yet, he starts laying the groundwork for its future use. He orders the engineer to dig 2 moats, the front one filled with water, the rear one brimming with volatile crude oil. The strategy is devious. Once the Xenos reach the wall, electrify the water, then ignite the oil, turning the battlefield into a fiery grave. Engineer Lee is ecstatic. He declares he'll rush this genius proposal straight to City Hall himself. As the engineer hurries away, Nanziing smirks. Once he unlocks that command rune element, this defense will become truly spectacular, thanks to his recent kills and the beast tide. You harvest, he's gathered enough source stones for another level up. He has now reached level 4. The cities of Huanqiu and Gun are now protected by a 45-mile defense line, reinforced with 375,000 level 2 formations. A system window confirms his formation master level is now 4, but the path to the next level is still long. Without warning, Nanziing feels a familiar, powerful Xenos aura. But at the same time, he senses an equally formidable human presence nearby. He glances down his instincts, screaming that this is bad. He realizes the Xenos are hunting one of their own kind, a powerful human. Deep within the mountains shrouded in secrecy lies the domain of the Chu clan. All at once, a figure bursts forth from their sacred retreat. The shockwave from his emergence obliterates the entire landscape. Patriarch Chu Chongsheng demands to know why Xingyi has broken his seclusion 2 years ahead of schedule. Xu Xingyi explains that he felt a tremendous aura from the northwest, a presence so powerful it triggered a breakthrough in his cultivation. The patriarch is stunned. That region is a barren wasteland completely devoid of spiritual energy. But Xinghai insists that's what makes this phenomenon so extraordinary. Xinghai declares he will journey to the border himself, ignoring his master's warnings about Xenos scouts patrolling the area. He leaps into the sky, proclaiming that in this apocalyptic age, danger is a constant companion. With that, he soars away using his domain flight. He's certain the journey will be worth it if he can just meet the master whose presence he felt. Just 1 hour later, he discovers formations of incredible power. Truly, a great master must be hidden in these lands. Suddenly, he feels a new presence as a colossal winged beast emerges against the full moon. Without warning, a Xenos from Slaughter Unit 3518 launches a devastating surprise attack. Chu Xingyi dodges with lightning speed, unleashing a counterattack at another smaller beast. But a Xenos warrior lunges forward again. The snow-covered ground erupts around him, and in that very instant, he understands. These are no mere scouts. They are an elite unit that has been hunting him for some time. The hulking Xenos Colossus locks onto a level 10 Esper prodigy. The order is given exterminate. The mechanical monstrosity charges, ready to kill. Shuing instantly unleashes his domain control. A powerful counterattack erupts. He manifests the domain sword, summoning the azure spirit of blazing hell. He roars a chilling vow that all invaders will suffer his eternal wrath. Nanziing knew. Altering the timeline had dire consequences for the world's chosen prodigies. He recalled his past life where their united power held back the tide of war for 8 long years. But now, with Xenos assassins lurking in the shadows, he would not let these future heroes fall before their time. Chu Xingyi's energy blades crashed against the mechanical Xenos, but the decaying Colossus intercepted the blow with its monstrous arm. He grit his teeth. Facing 2 elite Xenos at once was draining his strength at an alarming rate. Suddenly, both beasts lunged with everything they had. The resulting explosion blew all 3 of them back, utterly devastating the landscape. Chu Xingyi was sent flying, barely managing to deflect the catastrophic blast. Clutching a small creature to his chest, he wondered if his fate was to perish in this desolate wasteland. But he refused to accept such an end, vowing to drag at least one of them to hell with him. Just then, a warning cry echoed as a Xenos charged once more. A titanic explosion ripped through the mountainside, and from within the smoke, Nanziing emerged. He supported the wounded Chu Xingyi, recognizing the overwhelming aura of the senior he had sensed moments before. Chu Xingyi stared in disbelief as Nanziing asked, "Can you still fight?" Even wounded Xingyi affirmed he could. And a plan began to form. "You take the Iron Slayer, I'll handle the decaying Colossus." Without hesitation, Chu Xingyi agreed, and they charged as one against the invaders. The Colossus detected an Esper of unknown rank. Its command was simple and brutal: exterminate. Nanziing, however, remained perfectly calm, commenting that this Slayer had arrived at the perfect time to test his formations. He then activated the level 3 Twisted Earth Spike formation, trapping the beast in a prison of stone. Yet he realized instantly that a single formation of this level was not enough to stop this monstrous foe. Faced with this reality, he decided to go all out, stacking 50,000 Earth Spike formations with 50,000 freezing formations. Vicious spikes of ice violently erupted from the ground, and the Iron Slayer was struck head-on by the glacial assault. A colossal iceberg shot from the earth, completely dominating the battlefield, while Chu Xingyi clashed directly with the decaying Colossus. Witnessing this overwhelming power, he could only wonder in awe. Just who was this man, and what could possibly be his true purpose? His companion observed the frozen beast, confidently declaring their victory. But Nanziing's voice cut through the air like a knife. "Be careful. Don't let your guard down." True to his word, the creature shattered its icy prison and lunged straight for the man. Without a moment's hesitation, Nanziing unleashed his ultimate attack, activating his power and naming it Asura. The Berserker technique ripped the creature's body to shreds. His companion could only stare in shock, wondering if this man was the legendary rank 10 Esper Asura. Nanziing stood before the fallen monster, then turned and apologized to his companion for the delay. He approached, telling the man not to move, and touched his forehead. A 10-fold amplification formation appeared, weaving itself over the injured warrior. As his companion lay on the ground, Nanziing simply told him to keep fighting. A system warning flashed. The human body cannot withstand more than 10 amplifications. Exceeding this limit will result in certain death. Moments later, the man collapsed, and Nanziing was forced to stop the process. The other creature was still stirring, making it too risky to continue. Nanziing knew he had no other choice. He looked to the sky, and was stunned by the sight before him. Chu Xingyi had activated his domain, his sword manifestation technique wrapped around the beast, binding it completely. But then the other monster shattered its icy prison. It leaped high into the air, appearing directly above Nanziing, who prepared a level 4 lightning barrage formation, overloading it 50,000 times. Then he gave a single command: exterminate the monster. The blast struck the creature, revealing Nanziing's absolutely overwhelming combat power. Chu Xingyi knelt in gratitude, declaring his clan forever in Nanziing's debt. But Nanziing simply told him to rise. Chu Xingyi then probed, asking if the mysterious Asura was planning something monumental. Nanziing replied that the time was not yet right. Xingyi's eyes widened with realization. By placing these formations here, Nanziing intended to transform this land into the ultimate battlefield against the Xenos. Following that train of thought, he asked if Nanziing's surname began with an N. Chu Xingyi explained it was not difficult to deduce. The name Asura represents pure carnage, and the man from the news commanded a place known only as the slaughterhouse. He added that the formations were close to the 5th line of defense, so he would say no more to avoid being discovered. He concluded that it was all just intuition, and a hunch asking not to be held responsible if he was wrong. Chu Xingyi admitted he had been in seclusion for 10 years. Nanziing simply declared, "You win." Xingyi then offered to lead the Chu clan to the 7th line of defense, buying precious time for Nanziing's grand plan. Nanziing is left in awe. To think that people of such incredible genius truly exist in this world. He thanks Xingyi for his help, but warns him of the battlefield's horrors, asking him to promise he'll make it back alive. But Chuxing cuts in his voice firm. He understands the risks and vows to protect everyone on the 7th line of defense. A memory of his family flashes through Nanziing's mind. He asks to be taken to the clan, planning to gift them all his amplification formation. On the journey, Chu Xingyi reveals his younger sister wields teleportation powers, an ability that could change everything. Suddenly, the news feeds explode with updates announcing that Chu Xingyi, the Chu clan's ultimate prodigy and a mysterious formation master, are skyrocketing up the Esper rankings. The city buzzes with talk of these prodigies charging straight into the war zone, arriving even before seasoned veterans. Chu Xing then entrusts his younger sister Chu Tian to Nanziing's care. Nanziing stares at the tiny girl before him, and can't help but wonder if he's seriously being asked to babysit. Watching from the shadows, 2 figures sneer. While one prodigy wages war on the front lines, the so-called loser Nanziing is stuck playing with kids. Suddenly, Chu Tian focuses her power on a lollipop and shatters it into dust. A split second later, a manhole cover erupts into the air, crashing down right before their eyes. A scream pierces the air that 2 ladies fell into the sewer, and Nanziing knows instantly who caused this chaos. He stares at the girl in disbelief. Could this really be the Chu Tian from the rankings? It had to be a level 8 spatial ability. A grin spreads across Nanziing's face. With her power at his side, he can finally unleash his necromancy without a disguise. He steels his resolve for the trials ahead. At last, his 4th ability awakens necromancy, demanding 1 million undead souls to evolve. A woman is left in utter shock when she learns Nanziing plans to handle the work of 20 entire cities along the 5th defensive line. She can't comprehend it. How could one person possibly manage such an insane workload and the vast distances? But Nanziing remains perfectly calm, telling her to just get the authorization ready. She promises it won't be a problem. He gives a quick thanks and turns to leave, stating he still has much to do. As he walks away, she is lost in thought, wondering why someone so powerful would choose to work in the rear instead of charging to the front lines. Moments later, Nanziing summons Chu Tian to his side, and she readily agrees. He praises her brilliant work as she stands proudly beside her mighty summons. Nanziing declares it's time to begin the invocation and instructs Chu Tian to teleport them to the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. Without a moment's hesitation, Chu Tian unleashes her teleportation ability. But in a flash of light, they find themselves somewhere else entirely, a dangerous land swarming with hostile beasts. Nanziing's eyes widen. This is definitely not the mausoleum. She teleported them to the wrong place. He quickly deduces her amplified teleportation has a strict 100-kilometer range limit. Just then, a system marker appears before him, revealing a new path. Now the only way to reach the mausoleum. Thinking fast, he tells Chu Tian to find cover. She vanishes in the blink of an eye, prompting Nanziing to muse that she's even sharper than her brother. With the area secured, Nanziing begins. He activates his ultimate skill, necromancy. He calls out to the ancient Qin Dynasty to awaken. A colossal wave of spiritual energy erupts from the earth. From the depths, a colossal ghostly figure rises, its voice thundering across the land, demanding to know who dares disturb its eternal slumber. Nanziing stares up at the overwhelming presence. Hoping for a peaceful resolution, he asks the emperor to lend him his legendary army, but is instantly dismissed as a mere insolent child. The emperor scoffs in disdain, asking if Nanziing truly believes his legions exist to be commanded by any random fool. If he desires their power, he must first prove his worth. Nanziing accepts without flinching and unleashes his terrifying Asura mode. The emperor merely scoffs at this transformation, boasting that he once unified 6 entire realms. The 2 titans then collide in a devastating head-on clash of power. Nanziing roars that true worth is forged in combat. The emperor fires back, branding him an arrogant fool. Nanziing unleashes a devastating technique, Asura Art Dragon Hunter. But the emperor counters with ease, vowing to show the boy what a true dragon hunter looks like. As he summons his own ultimate supreme power, he unleashes the cataclysmic 9 Dragons' destruction. The young warrior meets it head-on, countering with the Asura Art Jinsi, Demon Hunter. Facing the ancient spirit's overwhelming might, Nanziing knows he must go all out, unleashing the absolute maximum power of his Asura form. In that very instant, he unleashes his terrifying domain hell on earth. The emperor scoffs at the display, dismissing it as a mere child's tantrum. But Nanziing's voice cuts through, posing a single potent question. To the emperor's horror, Nanziing's technique began to devour his magnificent dragon. The ancient spirit was utterly stunned. How could a mortal possess such impossible power? Nanziing knelt before the emperor, asking forgiveness from his majesty. But in a blur of motion, he lunged forward, delivering a single decisive strike. The emperor roared for him to stop threatening to bring the entire mausoleum crashing down upon them both. Nanziing retracted his weapon, bowing deeply and thanking his majesty for the test. The ancient spirit, finally admitting defeat, conceded that he had slumbered for far too many years. But before he would lend his legendary army, he demanded to be told the entire story. The emperor bestowed upon Nanzing a tiger talisman, a sacred pact to protect his descendants. Gripping the artifact, Nanzing summoned the legendary warriors of Qin. He called upon them to defend their homeland, and a colossal energy erupted from the very ground, manifesting an entire phantom army. The system screen flashed, 100 million soldiers invoked. Just then, the elemental forbidden spell skill tree finally unlocked, granting Nanziing devastating elemental magic whose power grew with every single level. The emperor warned him of a dire threat. Xenos assassins were hunting two prodigies, heading in opposite directions. Nanzing admitted he could not save them both alone. Faced with this impossible choice, the emperor called upon Wang Zhen and Meng Tian. The two phantasmal generals appeared, instantly receiving their orders to crush the invaders. Nanzing then told his majesty to head east while he handled the west, roaring for Chuan to join him. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the puppet master Su Chang of the Su clan found himself completely surrounded by monstrous creatures. He lamented his terrible timing, questioning the sudden surge of energy. He unleashed his collision of 100 phantom skill, commanding the monsters to perish, but was wounded in the process. It still wasn't enough. Su Chang snarled, ensnaring one beast with his threads. He calmly told his puppet not to worry, claiming their opponent was a friend who would not harm her. However, the Xenos attacked without a shred of hesitation, a brutal lesson that there is no mercy among its kind. Seeing the true nature of his foe, he urged his puppet, "Fight, show them your true power." The relentless onslaught continued, striking both Su Chang and his puppet. Another monster charged, and he barely dodged before a winged Xenos joined the fray. "A pack of rabid dogs," Su Chang snarled, fending off their savage blows. He decided if he was going down, he was taking every last alien bastard with him. A mysterious light then flared in his chest, making him wonder what it could mean. In that instant, Emperor Qin Shi Huang materialized, offering aid on behalf of someone else, and was immediately recognized. The emperor urged him to finish the fight quickly. Su Chang thanked him, completely bewildered by the situation. Qin Shi Huang then turned to the invaders who dared threaten his descendants and roared, "Show them no mercy." His phantasmal warriors acknowledged their majesty's command, and the spiritual army charged, tearing into the Xenos horde. In a desolate desert west of the Qin mausoleum, Qinying desperately told his sister Qinyu to run at his signal, but she stubbornly refused. He pleaded with her to listen as they both stared down a monstrous horde. With no other choice, Qinying activated his plant invocation, summoning a mighty lonewood behemoth before them. He screamed for his sister to flee while there was still time, but one of the vile creatures smashed straight through his summoned beast. Qinying bound the enemies with a tangle of vines, only to be attacked from behind. The Xenos beast prepared to charge his sister, and in a primal roar he screamed, "How dare you touch my younger sister!" Enraged, he unleashed a choking grip, attacking the monster with unbridled fury. Just then, his sister warned him of danger from above. And as an attack descended, she leaped forward, shielding her brother with her own body. Suddenly, Nanzing appeared on the battlefield, immediately commanding Chuan to teleport all the monsters 1 kilometer south. Instantly, in a flash of light, everyone reappeared in the new location. Nanzing ordered the siblings to stay perfectly still and silent. He then declared he would amplify their powers tenfold. Finally, he instructed them to handle half the monsters once the amplification was complete, while the other half would face the sheer destructive power of his forbidden spells. Nanzing unleashed a forbidden lightning spell, overcharging it 100-fold. The devastating attack obliterated the monsters, and his system proudly announced a skill level up. Jinyu immediately scolded him. "You were only supposed to take out half and leave the rest for us." Nanzing sheepishly apologized, admitting he got a little carried away, and didn't expect the spell to be so overwhelmingly powerful. Qinying pointed out there were still a few enemies left. The brothers charged forward with a joint vine strike, while Nanzing executed a devastating infernal armlock. Living vines shot out, coiling around the last monsters like inescapable serpents. Nanzing stepped forward, his gaze absolute. "I've seen enough from you two. This final enemy is mine." He prepared a forbidden spell, an earth-shattering incantation overcharged 50 times. Instantly, a colossal arm of solid rock tore its way from the ground. With a single command, "Bury it," the earth itself rose up, swallowing the creature whole. From a distance, Chuan witnessed the entire overwhelming display. Qinying turned to his sister, a spark in his eye. "I've thought of a name for that move." She nodded, intrigued. He called it flipping the heavens, but she countered with earth and chaos. It was clear their brilliant minds weren't quite on the same page. In the next moment, both siblings dropped to their knees. They bowed deeply before Nanzing, expressing the Qin clan's eternal gratitude for saving their lives. He couldn't help but wonder if all ancient clans were this formal. In perfect unison, they offered their very existence to him, swearing to obey any command as if it were a divine decree. Nanzing simply asked, "Do you even know who I am?" They both admitted their ignorance, apologizing for their oversight. He mused to himself that not every prodigy possessed the sharp intellect of Chu Xingqi. Suddenly, the Emperor's voice echoed through the spiritual plane, remarking how the young man's spirit mirrored his own, a potential friend in another era. Su Chang was startled by the Emperor's presence. "Is this the masked man you spoke of?" The spirit confirmed it. Overwhelmed, Su Chang offered his thanks for the rescue, acknowledging the immense life debt he now owed. In response, Nanziing made two simple requests. "Take me to your clans, and prepare everyone for a collective amplification boost." Su Chang and the siblings were completely bewildered. Amplification. What is that? Without a word, Nanziing gave them a demonstration, unleashing a tenfold amplification directly onto Su Chang. As Su Chang staggered from the sudden surge of power, Nanziing prepared to reveal his true intentions. Qinyang asked what else their benefactor required, but Nanziing paused, considering sending them to the front lines. But a question echoed in his mind. Was it right to send others into the crucible of war while he stayed safely behind? In the end, his only command was, just take good care of yourselves. Su Chang saw through him. "You have trouble expressing yourself, don't you?" He pressed on. "Why not ask for help? Do you see us as a liability? You're trying to be the lone hero fighting from the shadows." Chinsu immediately scolded him for his disrespect, but Nanziing stopped her. "No, he's right." He then gave them their true orders. "Lead your clans to the 7th defensive line. When this is all over, meet me at the 5th. That is when I will show you my true face." Hearing this, they accepted without a single question. Nanziing then entrusted the 10 million soldiers of the Qin clan to the Emperor's spirit, who understood the weight of the gesture instantly. Nanziing bowed to them all, a sign of his deep respect, but they urged him to rise. The Emperor's voice boomed, "The blood of emperors flows in you. Your spirit will never perish." Just then, grim news began flooding the reports. While some prodigies led their clans to safety, others were being hunted and systematically slaughtered. Across every region of the continent, pockets of survivors watched in horror as humanity's future, the prodigies, were being extinguished one by one. Nanziing knew these talents were awakening far too early, but he also knew he couldn't be a savior to every single person. He had to strike at the heart of the problem, the very root of this chaos. Trying to save everyone would be like trying to empty the ocean with a cup. Nanziing called out to Chuan, "We're going to the northern desert. There I will awaken the 5 great prodigies and draw out every last Xenos assassin hiding in the shadows." Finally, he declared his true audacious goal. "I plan to capture them all in one fell swoop." Nanziing then ordered Chuan to guide them to the nearby Han tombs. Standing before the ancient grounds, his voice thundered across the plains. "Great ancestors of the Han Dynasty, awaken! The world needs your strength once more." He specifically summoned the spirits of Emperor Wu General Weiqing and General Ho Chubing, proclaiming that all who offend Han will be purged from this world. The system screen flared to life, revealing a terrifying reality. Necromancy status. 70 million Qin Dynasty soldiers and 20 million Han Dynasty soldiers now under his complete control. Wasting no time, Nanziing commanded the 20 million Han warriors to surge across the northern desert and exterminate every single invader. A colossal pillar of energy erupted into the heavens as Nanziing announced that the grand entrance of the 5 prodigies had finally begun. Without a moment's hesitation, he decided to start with Asura, activating Hell on Earth mode to its absolute terrifying maximum. At that exact moment, alarms shrieked at the Paranormal Investigation Agency. Their sensors went wild, pinpointing the return of the mysterious Asura. One agent stared in disbelief. The energy signature, it's countless times stronger than before. He came to a horrifying conclusion. He's entered a full-blown berserk mode. Back on the battlefield, Nanziing commanded his undead legions to form their ranks, a perfect formation of front, rear, and flanks. But suddenly, another monumental power emerged. A formation master appeared, invoking the very laws of heaven and earth to shatter the sky and seal the ground itself. Simultaneously, he begins to weave an elemental sword chi, forming an earth spike matrix and a flash freeze formation. These intricate spells overlap 1,000,000 times, expanding across 100 miles before they even fully manifest. Back at the agency, the sensors scream to life, detecting another massive energy wave from that same point. She wonders aloud, could this be the work of the infamous formation master from the Esper rankings? Then, as if the battlefield weren't chaotic enough, another man named Duan unleashes raw necromancy, summoning the great spirits of the Han Dynasty. The spectral figures of Emperor Wu Weiqing and Ho Kubing appear in their full glory, their ghostly voices bellowing orders to annihilate the invaders for the honor of Han. A spectral general raises his blade, roaring the final command to attack. In the monitoring center, an agent whips around in her chair, demanding an explanation for the chaos. Her colleague's voice is grim. "Beyond Asura and the Formation Master, there's a necromancy prodigy in the northern desert now. The energy signature they detected is off the charts, stronger than anything ever recorded, completely shattering the conventional 10-Li scale." The agent struggles to classify a power level this immense. After a tense silence, she gives it a name: Divine Level. Her colleague is paralyzed with shock, realizing 3 divine level espers are gathered in a single location. Without another word, they make the only possible choice report to military command immediately. At the same time, Nanziing overcharges a forbidden light element spell by 100-fold. A blinding holy brilliance engulfs the region, illuminating the city as if it were high noon. Miles away, a man shields his eyes, wondering if dawn broke early. Someone else replies, "It's only 10 at night. Check the news if you want to know what's going on. The entire network is exploding." News channels are frantically reporting on 4 mysterious divine-level prodigies converging in the desert, igniting a fire of desperate hope across the entire population. On the front lines, a helicopter crew gets a new urgent command head to the northwest border of the northern desert now. An officer radios back, warning that the journey will take over an hour. His superior's voice roars in his ear, demanding they get there faster than humanly possible. Suddenly, a 5th prodigy reveals his hand. A beast tamer summons an army that defies all logic. 500,000 steel wolves, 500,000 flaming steel yaks, 1,000,000 battle monkeys, and 1,000,000 war elephants. He then commands his impossible army to gather, forming a single unstoppable tide. The news spreads like wildfire. A 5th divine-level Esper, a legendary beast tamer, has appeared. All over the world, people begin connecting the dots, their minds reeling from the impossible truth. Inside a pharmaceutical factory, Chinlani shows the news to Suzy Shan, who instantly remembers the mysterious man controlling wolves in the desert. Meanwhile, at the resource center, Jang Yuan sees the frantic headlines and knows without a doubt this is all Nanziing's work. A brilliant pillar of light then erupts over the eastern sea, originating from the Lan clan's estate. Hongland Hongdong emerges from the waves, determined to meet a beast tamer of such legendary power. At the Zhua clan's estate, Zhu Yuan sees the mastery of elemental magic as a challenge he cannot ignore, and resolves to head for the northern desert himself. Members of the Shang Tianhuang and Yu clans also mobilize, all converging on that one fateful location. Not long after the Ku clan joins the surging wave of prodigies, Nanziing observes the chaos, knowing this monumental disturbance will draw not only the invaders, but every ambitious prodigy in existence. With a sinister grin, he knows that all the pieces are finally on the board. Now he just has to wait for the Xeno assassins to make their grand entrance. At that moment, Huang Xuan of the Hang clan finds himself completely surrounded by assassins, but he refuses to die in such a desolate place. He defiantly roars at the filthy creatures, but they suddenly freeze in place. Hong Guanan is left utterly bewildered as his enemies simply turn tail and flee from him in absolute terror. Elsewhere, Xeno assassins are locked in brutal combat with countless monstrous beasts. A vast army churns beneath a suffocating cloud of dust and chaos. And then Nanziing finally descends upon the battlefield. "The beast tide has arrived," he declares, ordering his undead and summoned creatures to begin a full-scale massacre. Nanziing himself enters an Asura rampage, slicing through the horde of shadowy creatures that surround him. But his unstoppable advance is suddenly halted by one of the automatons. In response, he unleashes the Asura's hell on earth, completely vaporizing the monsters around him. At the same time, one of his spirit creatures finds itself utterly surrounded and overwhelmed by the enemy horde. Nanziing realizes that under his amplification, both the tides of beasts and the undead spirits become exponentially more formidable. Still, he saw his beast horde taking heavy losses against the Xeno's counter-assault. His undead legions were also being pushed back. This battle was thrilling, but continuing this way meant a pointless sacrifice of his forces. And so, Nanziing seized control of the battlefield's flow, ordering the tides of beasts and undead to crush the enemy from all sides. He commanded the beasts to target the Steel Slayers and the Trolls. Simultaneously, his undead spirits charged deep into Xeno's territory, targeting the venomous ape-men and decaying giants. He then announced the activation of the overlapping formation. The art ignited, unleashing a colossal pillar of energy that erupted into the heavens. Then it exploded, completely annihilating the surrounding area. Amidst the chaos, Nanziing turned to Chuen, ready for the next phase of his plan. His orders were simple. If any Xenos broke through the formation and approached the city walls, she was to teleport him instantly. Suddenly his senses flared. He twisted his body aside, just as Teuton teleported him away in a flash of light. Nanziing materialized high in the air, directly above a monstrous beast. The creature looked up, its eyes locking onto the new threat from the sky. He invoked a forbidden wind element spell, then overloaded it 50-fold. Creating a terrifying tornado of pure fire. Inferno slammed directly into the troll, completely vaporizing it in an instant. As the enemy turned to ash, he casually told Chen, "Next time you can aim a little higher." The immense power left him breathless for a moment. Surrounded by even more enemies, he simply shrugged, figuring he would get used to this feeling eventually. Without pausing, he began preparing another forbidden art. A lightning element spell also overloaded 50-fold. Nanziing declared that the prodigies were closing in, and he needed to end this battle now. He then unleashed the forbidden spell known as the Ascending Earth Pursuer. With a 500-fold overload, the burial technique activated, trapping the monster between massive walls of rock. The rock creature, witnessing this overwhelming power, questioned what manner of divine art this could possibly be. Even Zhu Yuan, the famed prodigy of the Juge clan, wondered how someone could manipulate the earth to such an impossible degree. The sight left him utterly baffled as a violent clash of powers erupted across the battlefield. Nanziing then activated an amplification formation for the newcomers. Jang Yuan cried out, struggling against the overwhelming surge of power. Once the amplification was complete, Jang Yuan asked to be teleported out, desperate to learn the senior's name and thank him properly. Music. As he vanished, Nanziing's voice echoed, revealing he'd left a message for Jang Yuan's group and the military in the North Gobi Desert. The price for his aid, they simply had to follow his instructions. Jang Yuan stared at the empty space where he'd vanished, realizing this master was not yet ready to reveal his identity. Music. He decided to honor the request and headed straight for the North Gobi Desert to find the message. A squadron of military helicopters soon approached a frozen mountainous region. The commanding officer questioned if this was even the right location, demanding to know where the prodigy and the Xenos assassins were. Suddenly, the surrounding rocks began to shift and float. Jang Yuan emerged from the rubble, informing the commander that the formation prodigy had buried every single Xenos assassin. The commander immediately pressed him, asking if he had found the 5 mystical prodigies. Jang Yuan explained he had only met the formation expert and couldn't even see his face. He added that the man had vanished right after amplifying their abilities, leaving only a single message behind. One of the younger soldiers pointed to a massive boulder, claiming the 5 prodigies' message was carved there. The commander turned to the stone and ordered them to read what was written. As he listened to the words, his eyes widened in shock. He began barking orders. Photograph this immediately. Summon all high-ranking officers for an emergency meeting. Watching from a distance, Nanziing knew it wasn't time to reveal himself. This was the only way to gain the military's full cooperation. If they knew he had acted unilaterally, any retribution would be 10 times worse. Human nature, he knew, was unpredictable in wartime. If his identity came to light now, all his efforts would have been for nothing. He then called Chu Tian, ordering them back to the slaughterhouse. Since everyone now saw him as a coward, it would be impossible to connect him with the prodigies. It was the perfect disguise for a strategist operating from the deepest shadows. News alerts blared across the nation, reporting that prodigies Jang Yuan and Xuan Yuanhong were leading their clans to reinforce the 7th line of defense. Meanwhile, during an emergency military summit, a general confirmed that the message was indeed from divine-level prodigies, and that everyone capable of reinforcing the 7th line of defense had already departed. The High Commander stood. The High Command gathered to decipher a cryptic message, one left solely for the military. Yuan Ruang, head of the Huan Yuan clan, spoke first, declaring this was no mere message. This was a grand strategy for their very survival. The source of the volcano, he claimed, was an artificial one. The water of the sky, a massive channel. And the forest of steel, a jungle forged from metal. As for the sky-burning stones, they had to be a source stone stockpile so vast it could devour the heavens. General Fang Lin from the 2nd Defense Line studied the etchings, speculating it was the work of the legendary Asura prodigy. General Li Fei from the 3rd Line agreed, but called it madness to gamble their nation's fate on a mysterious warning. Just then, a respected elder rose to his feet to speak. Duke Chingan, patriarch of the Juk clan, argued that even if the Asura did leave the message, the other prodigies were surely with him. He explained the carvings screamed of large-scale formations, meaning the prodigies had powerful reasons for staying hidden. Wen Rulong, fired with passion, shot to his feet, proclaiming, "If there was ever a time for an all-or-nothing bet, it is now." When we are on the brink of collapse, the commander then announced that their 5 divine-level prodigies had just wiped out thousands of alien assassins in under an hour. He declared that their destinies were now irrevocably bound together. With fire in his eyes, he ordered the plan to proceed. The nation was told it would begin 4 monumental construction projects. To the public, it sounded like a national suicide mission. As the massive undertaking began, Nanziing watched, praising their swift choice and congratulating them on making the right gamble. He thought to himself that since they'd placed their faith in him, he would not fail them. An engineer. Li approached him, noting the projects looked disturbingly similar to what Chief Engineer Nan had been secretly developing. Suddenly, a worker shouted, pointing at a monitor and asking what the terrifying vortex in the sky was. The engineer's face paled as he reported it was coming from the 7th Defense Line. Nanziing's blood ran cold. He recognized it instantly. The Xenos' vacuum portal. It had opened 2 years ahead of schedule. Horrific memories of his father and sister came rushing back. He knew the front lines would be annihilated. He had to find a way to reinforce them, and fast. He immediately summoned 20 million Han Dynasty warriors, ordering them to march for the 7th line of defense. Next, he called forth a tide of 3 million beasts to answer his command. Finally, he turned to Chu Tian, asking if she could possibly teleport the entire force beasts and all directly to the front lines. She strained, pouring all her power into the spell. Blood dripped from her mouth from the sheer crushing intensity. An unseen force pressed down on her, making her cough up even more blood. Nanziing grabbed her shoulders, crying out her name in alarm. He warned her they were over 1,000 kilometers from the defense line, pleading with her not to force it if it was impossible. The girl leaned on him just for a moment. Then Chu Tian stood tall, her eyes blazing with absolute conviction. "I can do this," she vowed. On the battlefield of the 7th Defense Line, a dimensional rift tore open in the sky as alarms blared. The command echoed across the field. "All units prepare for combat." Commander Wang Lele immediately ordered the prodigies to spearhead the attack, roaring for everyone to hold the line even if it cost them their lives. A soldier grumbled to his comrade Nan Shanshang, "We're almost out of ammo. What's the point in fighting like this?" Nan Shanshang shot back, "Look at the prodigies down there." He reminded him of their last battle when the prodigies summoned 10 million undead spirits and snatched an impossible victory from the jaws of despair. The soldier admitted he didn't fear dying, but the crushing hopelessness of this endless war. He pointed out that even prodigies were flesh and blood. They get tired, they bleed, and they can die. They both watched the young warriors below, mourning the children being lost to this brutal battlefield. Nan Shanshang then placed a firm hand on his comrade's shoulder. "That is precisely why we give it our all. We will cover them with every bullet, every last breath, and die for them if we must." The other soldier's resolve hardened as he nodded sharply. At that very moment, Wang Lele bellowed the order, "Attack!" A young Qin army warrior charged, rallying his comrades to paint the battlefield crimson with enemy blood. Another prodigy unleashed his sword domain, shattering the ground before summoning a storm of piercing blades to rain down upon the monsters. The ethereal blades surged forward like a wave of death, annihilating everything in their path. Mounted on a spirit beast, a warrior taunted the horde, "Come on then, rise. Let's fight until the bitter end." An elder warrior unleashes his righteous fury, declaring, "The glory of great Qin will not be tarnished." Instantly, another prodigy summons a hellish grip, trapping his foes in vines of cold steel. Spotting the enemy legion, Schwingi barks a command, "Troops, unleash hell." The artillery rains a storm of pure destruction upon the marked coordinates. The devastating volley slams into the enemy ranks, igniting a cataclysmic explosion. Nan Shanshang continues to roar orders, his voice raw, "Hold the line, brace for the next wave." The city walls have become a war zone with projectiles screaming through the air. Commander Wang Lei's eyes snap upward. What kind of Xeno is that?" He whispers in disbelief, having never laid eyes on such a monstrosity. A chained behemoth descends from the sky, crushing the spirit creatures below with its sheer weight. One warrior freezes paralyzed by the creature's impossible scale, as massive as the city wall itself. The beast then unleashes a blinding beam of energy from its gaping maw. Elsewhere, another warrior masterfully wields his power, ensnaring multiple monsters in a single fluid motion. The spirit of Emperor Qin commands Baiqi, "Protect Su Chang'e." Without hesitation, Baiqi vows to obey. Su Chang is blasted backward by the shockwave, but pushes himself up. "I'm fine, protect His Majesty." Emperor Qin himself rallies the soldiers, his voice echoing with ancient power. "Fight with me. We will bring this beast down." The colossal monster retaliates, swinging a massive blow that crashes directly into the spirit warriors. The impact hits them with unimaginable force, sending shockwaves of raw power across the field. In that moment, the spirits merge, forming a single colossal warrior of light. Wang Lele issues new orders. Esper Corps contain their forces. Infantry push forward, destroy the smaller aliens. From atop the walls, the soldiers move as one, responding instantly to his command. Next, the commander turns to his elite. "All prodigies join me. We're capturing their leader." 200 kilometers from the 7th defense line, a massive pillar of light plummets from the heavens. The force slams into the ground, detonating in the heart of the monster army. Nanziing turns to Chuyan, her voice strained. "Can you still fight?" Chuyan's gaze is fixed on the horizon. "Only 200 kilometers left. My brother is there." Su Chang requests that Emperor Qin lead the undead army to hold back the horde, leaving the giant to them. The ancient emperor's spirit agrees, commanding his spectral legions to follow his will. Su Chang then leaps into the heart of the battle, a fierce grin on his face. "It's my turn to shine." Channeling his power, he seizes control of several Xenos, forcing them to latch onto the giant's head for a critical 50 seconds. At the same time, a prodigy expands his domain, manifesting a sword of titanic proportions. The massive blade slams down, unleashing pure devastation. Another warrior summons a wall of metallic alloy vines, blocking the Xeno's path, while another ensnares them in a banyan strangling hold. Then a warrior charges in, attacking with blazing killing flames. The inferno completely engulfs the colossal beast, its roars echoing through the searing heat. Wang Lei declares, "It may be powerful, but it's no match for the combined might of 5 espers." The giant is smashed by the colossal sword, but it roars in fury, retaliating with its own monstrous weapon. "Don't get distracted," Wang Lei screams. "Keep up the attack." The monster looms over them as the warriors brace for impact. It begins spinning its weapon, creating a terrifying vortex of whirling blades. The deadly tornado of steel surges forward, annihilating everything in its path. Just then, the scream of a helicopter cuts through the chaos. A voice booms over the comms. "Everyone get clear. We're sending that thing to Kingdom Come." Shu Xinghe looks up, his eyes wide with recognition. "Senior Nan Shan." 3 minutes earlier, Nan Shan had ordered Lao Jiang to man the artillery. "I'm going in," he'd said, his face grim. "This is no ordinary alien. Prep a mini warhead? If the prodigies can't stop it, we will." There was no other choice. He'd stressed the stakes. If they fall, humanity falls with them. A grim-faced Lao Jiang could only agree. Now, in the present Nanshan pilots his helicopter straight towards the monstrous aberration. From the ground, Chu Xingqi screams, "Senior, don't do it!" At the same time, Wang Lei shouts, "Focus all group control powers now!" His sacrifice will not be in vain. Inside the cockpit, Nanshan knows the future of this war now rests on the shoulders of the young. He whispers a silent farewell, and his hand moves toward the detonation button. Suddenly, a forbidden spell manifests. A colossal wooden dragon materializes from thin air. Divine Dragon. A calm voice commands, "Retrieve the helicopter." The dragon gently plucks the vehicle from the sky as a new presence cuts through the chaos. Inside the cockpit, Nan Shinshang can only stare completely and utterly stunned. The moment the chopper touches down, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. For the beleaguered warriors, their savior has finally arrived. Nanziing entrusts Chu Qian's safety to Chu Xingqi. His next command is absolute savor-all satellite communications. Confusion flashed across Wang Lei's face, but Chuing He simply offered a calm smile. "Patience. You will understand everything shortly." Back at command headquarters, an urgent report crackled through. They had completely lost contact with the 7th line of defense. "Deploy a recon unit immediately." The commander knew the prodigies were in mortal peril. That defensive line, it had crumbled far too easily, like a phantom. Nanziing blurred into motion, then unleashed his full terrifying power in a single devastating surge. The other warriors could only watch frozen in absolute shock. His attack crashed into the giant's weapon with apocalyptic force. As the dust settled, Nanziing stood revealed his voice steady as he named the foe. "A bloodline Xenolade Titan." He stared it down without a shred of fear, remarking, "It's been far too long since we last met." Could this man be the legendary Asura, whispered about in legends? His companion immediately shot the idea down. "Impossible. Didn't you see the forbidden magic he just commanded?" The commander then wondered aloud. Could he be one of those legendary dual-class espers? But the other warrior shook his head grimly. "No. What we're witnessing is on an entirely different plane of existence." Baffled, Wang Lei demanded to know more, but his attention was dragged back to the raging battlefield. A lone spirit warrior was tearing through the enemy horde. The raw power erupting from the generals was a tidal wave of pure energy, annihilating every monster caught in its wake. Wang Lei staggered back, his mind reeling from the sheer might unfolding right before his very eyes. As he watched a single warrior lay waste to the entire field alone, the true weight of his companion's words finally hit him. One of the generals let out a mighty roar. "Soldiers of the Han Dynasty, charge forward with me!" Instantly, the spirit of Qin Shi Huang bellowed in response. "Warriors of the Qin, will you allow yourselves to be outdone?" Nanziing leaped high into the air, his command echoing across the land. "All soldiers and prodigies use this chance to fall back and recover," Chu Xing agreed. "Go, I'll handle this." The colossal beast roared in defiance, retaliating with a world-shattering blow. Nanziing braced for the immense assault. The impact slammed into him like a falling mountain, sending him flying backward. Activating Asura Berserker mode. A crimson aura exploded around him as he charged, unleashing a furious storm of blows against the gargantuan foe. The Asura's dragon and demon-hunting arts flowed in a deadly, unstoppable sequence. And for the finale, Asura Hell on Earth. The Blade Titan seemed to have been completely vaporized. A warrior whispered in disbelief. "Before, we couldn't even leave a scratch on it." Yet a nagging thought entered his mind. Even with that overwhelming power, the creature shouldn't have fallen so easily. Suddenly, the monster's scattered pieces began to writhe and regroup. Someone screamed in terror. It's morphing!" The creature reformed into a horrifying spherical mass, covered in countless unblinking eyes. "What in the heavens is that thing?" an onlooker cried out. Yet Nanziing remained utterly unfazed. "So you've finally shown your true form. Good. Now your weak spot will be much easier to find." In that same instant, he spun around as a gigantic blade cleaved down at him. From far away, Nan Shanchang's desperate warning screamed, "Look out!" A swirling vortex of pure wind immediately began to coalesce around him. Forbidden wind art, 50-fold overload. Nanziing summoned a colossal tornado, which slammed head-on into the monster's blade. Without a moment's pause, he prepared his next attack. Forbidden lightning art, 50-fold overload. The demonic blade of Asura materialized from thin air. With a single decisive strike, he cleaved the monster clean in two. The creature's core shot out, making a desperate escape, but Nanziing was already there to intercept it. "And where do you think you're going?" He then prepared yet another forbidden spell, this time drawing upon the power of the wood element. Once more, he executed the Azrae's ultimate technique. Hell on Earth was unleashed directly upon the escaping core. The remaining warriors could only gaze in stunned disbelief as the creature was annihilated completely. Nan Shanchang simply muttered, "My son, he's truly a monster." He then commanded the spirits and beasts to advance and form a wide circle, clearing a path for him to deploy his grand formations. Nanziing began by weaving 1.5 million elemental sword key formations into the very fabric of the battlefield. These glowing arrays spread out across a 30-kilometer radius. He then ordered the tides of beasts to tighten the encirclement. Next, he layered another 1.5 million formations of crushing earth spikes and impenetrable ice barriers, and crackling walls of lightning. Nanziing then invoked a forbidden earth spell, causing the ground itself to violently rupture and heave. From the primordial chaos between heaven and earth, his voice thundered, "The ancients shall rise once more." He followed by activating a grand amplification formation, encompassing 3 million undead warriors within a 300-kilometer radius. The spirit warriors absorbed the formation's immense power. Empowered by this boundless energy, they surged forward to unleash the true might of Yan and Huang. A system screen flashed into view. Formation Master has reached level 5. Nanziing commented with a slight smile. Perfect timing. He then prepared to activate his final masterpiece, 3 million colossal beast-slaying formations. But a quick assessment of the battlefield reveals a critical flaw. He's dangerously low on source stones. Was he too hasty? The question hangs heavy in the air. Nanziing knows they must conserve every last drop of power. With a new strategy, he unleashes his plan, a single target amplification formation, designed for a tide of 3 million beasts. The heavens ignite as the formation blazes to life. Below, the monstrous creatures begin to warp and mutate. Under its immense power, with 6 million source stones left, a new realization dawns. It's enough to fortify the entire length of the city wall with deadly formations. The time has come. Nanziing prepares to play his final ultimate trump card. He unleashes an amplification formation, 50 times stronger than before, stretching an unbelievable 30 kilometers along the wall. Soldiers stationed there feel raw power surging through their very souls, crying out in awe that their benefactor has deployed formations beyond all imagination. Watching from a distance, Chu Xingyi understands. Nanziing saved his most decisive weapon for the 7th defense line. He finally sees the true nature of the man. How ironic. Humanity prays for a god, yet when one appears, they seek to destroy it. But a comrade clarifies Nanziing's intent. He gave his all because he trusted them completely, asking them to leave the war to him. Chu Xingyi gives a solemn warning. They have 3 hours until dawn. Precious time for rest and recovery. But even with his source stones depleted, Nanziing declares his own strength is far from spent. He makes a terrifying vow. Even if it means becoming an Asura, he will personally exterminate every last alien invader. Unleashing his Asura berserker form, he plunges headfirst into the enemy horde. Watching the god of war on the battlefield, Chu Chongchong, is filled with an overwhelming sense of pride. Chu Xingyi agrees, recalling how the boy saved his life. But he wonders, isn't calling a prodigy like that a kid a bit disrespectful? His father just laughs it off, asking what else to call him. Just then, a voice brings good news. The patient is only exhausted. Her life is not in danger. Inside the hospital room, Nanziing urges Chu Xingyi not to worry and to get some rest. He's been awake for 2 days straight after all. He knows, but he's glad his brother isn't wasting energy here because ultimately this all happened because they were still too weak. Music. Nanziing begins to offer some wisdom, but stops herself simply telling him to follow his own judgment. With a farewell, she promises to tend to the other wounded and receives his permission to go. But before she leaves, she adds that deep down, she believes Nanziing is truly grateful to him. Chu Xing watches her depart quietly, affirming that he knows. At that moment, Chu Qian's eyes flutter open. She calls out for her brother, who is overcome with emotion at her awakening. She asks how long she was out, and how the battle is going, worried that he needs source stones for his powers. The mention of source stones sparks an idea in Chu Xing's mind. He tells his sister to wait, promising he'll be right back. Outside, the furious battle still rages on, with Nanziing clashing endlessly against the beasts swarming the city wall. After fighting the entire night, he sighs with relief. The wave of enemies is finally thinning out. Suddenly, Chu Xingyi appears at his side, announcing that Tamer is awake. They can finally leave. He praises Nanziing's flawless arrangements, but urges him to return to his true battlefield, the one where the very future of humanity will be decided. Nanziing agrees, promising to buy them all the time he can. He makes a solemn vow that everyone will survive until they meet again. Chu Xingyi marvels at how meticulous he is, to which Nanziing calmly replies that if it brings others peace of mind, it's his pleasure. Chu Xingyi thanks him once more as Nanziing mentions an old soldier asked him to pass on a message. The message from Chu Chongchong is a promise to meet after the war so he can cook a meal for that rascal. Then Chu Xingyi hands him a small card. On it, Nanziing sees a drawing of himself with a single word written beside it. Respect. He can't help but smile, calling her a cheeky girl. The scene then shifts to a grim building known only as the slaughterhouse. Inside, a display shows 60 million source stones remain. But Nanziing knows relying on formations alone is far too slow. He needs a new weapon. He needs to tame the next beast tide itself. His undead spirits on the front line desperately need replenishment. The 6th defense line is gone, and the 7th won't hold for much longer. Elsewhere in a sterile corridor, 2 operators discuss the 7th line's signal. It vanished completely, but now it's back, revealing a battlefield littered with alien corpses. One whispers that this place must be haunted. The other corrects him. Call it a divine haunting, since only the aliens were annihilated. And if that wasn't strange enough, another staff member reports that plants in the northwest have begun to mutate. Even the grass by the roadside has grown wild, its blades becoming as sharp as steel. A new vitality surges through the workers who claim an infinite energy, now fuels their labor, as if the world itself has awakened. Nanziing understands. With every portal the invaders tear open, the world's spiritual energy intensifies. Earth's spiritual energy is surging, causing the planet to awaken at a terrifying rate. His concerned colleagues tell him to take care, but he waves them off, saying he's just heading home for some rest. His next stop, Meteor Valley, where he tells Chuen it's time to tame a swarm of level 7 mutant giant eagles. Suddenly, a storm of wings darkens the valley, as a soldier screams a warning about an approaching beast flock. The men are instantly overwhelmed, and one screams the order to fall back, shouting that they can't possibly defend the valley. A colossal eagle dives toward the soldiers, but one man charges forward, unleashing his ultimate technique. His grand flood fist slams into the creature, but the attack is utterly useless. He can't believe a level 5 Esper can't even leave a scratch. Trapped within the eagle's deadly talons, the soldier lets out a desperate scream for help, begging anyone to save him. A furious comrade roars at the others, accusing them of being cowards for abandoning their friend to die. The monstrous creature prepares for the final devastating strike, and the captured man can only wonder what kind of nightmare this beast truly is. In that very instant, Nanziing and Chuen leap onto the giant eagle, and Nanziing begins the process of taming the magnificent beast. The steel giant eagle receives its first commands guard. The valley collect all source stones, and above all, never attack cities or humans. A status screen flashes showing Nanziing's beast Tamer level, and the experience needed for the next rank. He smirks. Another skill is finally nearing its absolute maximum. The soldier recognizes him instantly, his voice trembling. The legendary divine-level beast Tamer. Almost forgetting the man's predicament, Nanziing casually tells the eagle to release him. The man is immediately dropped to the ground, but the eagle, in its great wisdom, snatches him up again and launches him high into the air. "You idiot!" Nanziing shouts, demanding to know where its brotherly spirit is. Furious, he smacks the creature's head, ordering it to hurry up and save the man. The eagle finally snatches him from midair, and Nanziing asks if his injuries are severe. The grateful man introduces himself as Huangjia, explaining his companions had fled the moment Nanziing appeared. Huangjia reveals a shocking truth: he was sent by the Huang clan from the inner territories to explore and claim these spiritual mountains. He explains that prodigies from every powerful family are rushing to the northwest, all aiming to seize these mountains for their own cultivation. Nanziing realizes the source of the energy. This surge is from hidden portals. He decides to use these very mountains to help 1 million people in the northwest ascend. He then gives Huangjia a chilling warning to deliver to the Huang clan. These mountains are his, and no one else is permitted to touch them. Nanziing reinforces his threat. It doesn't matter which clan a prodigy belongs to. Anyone who disobeys his command will be ruthlessly killed. With that, he tosses Huangjia down the mountain, who scrambles. A sound echoing from the mountains suddenly catches his attention. Could it be Huangjia's cowardly companions? He orders the giant eagle to take him to the source of the noise. As they draw near, he spots a massive, mutated venomous lizard below. A grin spreads across Nanzing's face. This is the perfect chance to tame another powerful army of beasts. The Xenos may have their behemoths, but with these venomous lizards, he can finally even the odds of battle. A system notification confirms his success. 10 million steel giant eagles and 10 million mutated venomous lizards have been tamed. The lizards are commanded to protect Meteor Valley, gather source stones, and await his orders, with the strict rule of never attacking cities or humans. Nanziing notes that all the other soldiers are dead, dismissing them as disloyal cowards, who would have been useless anyway. Next, he turns to Chuen, telling her to follow him to the Tang Dynasty tombs. She readily agrees. Nanziing channels his power, calling on the emperors and generals of the Tang Dynasty, an empire that once shook the world, to rise again and expel their enemies. The spirit of Li Yuan, the founding emperor, answers the call. Then Li Shimin of the Zhenguan era, followed by the reigning Empress Wu Zetian, materialize before him. And with these legendary figures, he summons the spirits of every warrior who served the dynasty for 300 years, commanding them all to awaken. Nanziing declares that even though the flying general of Dragon City is gone, no enemy will ever set foot on his land again. His necromancy skill skyrockets to level 6, placing millions of soldiers from the Qin, Han, and Tang dynasties under his absolute control. He proposes his strategy to the majestic spirits: divide their forces across the 3 great mountain ranges. The spirits immediately agree. Nanziing advises them to try dialogue first if anyone stands in their way, but he stresses that they must always be prepared for war. Meanwhile, the Huang clan prodigy Huang Xiao scoffs at the warning, declaring that spiritual mountains belong to whoever claims them first. Huangjia desperately tries to warn his young master. He reminds him that Nanziing is a divine-level beast tamer, and that retreating is their only safe option. But Huang Xiao dismisses the warning with pure arrogance, proudly announcing himself as a level 10 lightning prodigy who fears nothing at all. He stands atop Tang Moda Mountain, the perfect nexus for cultivation, where 3 colossal mountain ranges meet. Wang Xiao's arrogant voice echoes, claiming other clans have already bent the knee, and if that so-called beast tamer dares to appear, he will be erased from existence. Just then, Nanzing's voice cuts through the air, repeating the threat. "You'll make sure I never return?" Wang Xiao whirls around, his eyes filled with contempt. "So you're the cowardly beast tamer they've all been whispering about." Hongja desperately tries to intervene, explaining he already passed on the warning. But the young master seizes him, roaring that he has shamed the Huang clan. He casts him aside, ordering him to vanish. Nanzing remarks coolly, "It seems the servant has more sense than the master." With ice in his voice, he gives Huang Xiao one final chance. "Will you truly forsake the greater good and claim this sacred mountain for your own selfish desires?" Huang Xiao laughs, declaring he's no mere prodigy, but a warrior who has touched the half-step sovereign king realm. He offers Nanzing a single path to survival: turn around and run. With utter disdain, Xiao boasts that every beast on this mountain has either submitted to his power or fled in terror. Nanzing's patience finally snaps. "Persist in this foolishness and do not blame me for what comes next." A crackle of energy fills the air. Huang Xiao stares in disbelief, shocked by the sheer power radiating from Nanzing. How could a simple beast tamer command the fury of lightning? "We've talked long enough," Nanzing declares, unleashing his devastating lightning blade. "Young master, look out," Huang Jia cries in terror. But Huang Xiao does the unthinkable. He grabs his loyal subordinate, using him as a human shield against the blinding attack. Nanzing's eyes turn cold as stone. "What kind of prodigy are you? You're worse than a beast." Wang Xiao just scoffs, proclaiming that a servant's life is meaningless. They are nothing but pawns born to be sacrificed. That monstrous cruelty ignites Nanzing's fury. He decides it's time to show him the true, terrifying power of lightning. As he gathers celestial energy, the prodigy mocks him. "What's wrong? Scared, ready to beg for your pathetic life." "It's far too late for that," he sneers. Nanzing retorts that he won't even draw his blade lest he be accused of bullying such trash. But he promises this arrogant fool will learn a painful lesson. "I will make you choke on your own poison," he swears. Huang Xiao proclaims himself the very incarnation of lightning, boasting that his enemy's cheap tricks are worthless before him. But even as he speaks, a shadow of fear flashes in his eyes. In that single moment of doubt, Nanzing unleashes a forbidden lightning spell, activating it at its absolute maximum power. Huang Xiao's face drains of all color, realizing he's facing the impossible forbidden magic. The devastating force crashes into him and he screams in agony, "This can't be real!" Nanzing warns him that he's about to learn the meaning of despair. He slams Xiao into the ground, declaring that compared to his level 2 power, Huang Xiao is nothing. Suddenly, a powerful new voice booms across the mountain, announcing the arrival of Huang Juqian, patriarch of the Huang family. The patriarch's voice thunders, "Who dares to cause chaos on my family's sacred ground?" Nanzing wonders to himself if the entire Huang clan truly has a death wish. As more clan members appear, the patriarch glares at his son, saying this sacred ground should have been a blessing. One of his men demands to know why the young master was injured, but the patriarch, with his sharp wisdom, already knows the truth. His son must have arrogantly claimed the mountain and refused to listen to reason. "The Huang family has always acted with integrity," he announces, allowing Nanzing to state his case first. But he reserves the right to execute him if his story proves false. Nanzing nods, respecting the patriarch's judgment, and agrees to make everything clear. He then reveals his true identity, one of the 5 god-tier prodigies of the Northwest, the Forbidden Spellcaster. Gasps ripple through the crowd. They immediately recognize the name from the legends of the prodigies who annihilated the Xeno-assassins. Nanzing explains that for humanity to have any chance of survival, all spiritual mountains must be yielded for the grand strategy. And the young master, he adds, had been given a proper warning. The patriarch nods gravely, admitting that his son was completely in the wrong. But Xiao's father explodes with rage, calling the patriarch a coward, and vowing to get revenge for his son, even if it costs him his own life. The patriarch's response is swift and brutal, reprimanding him for his utter insolence. He strikes the man down, blaming him for spoiling his son and causing this disaster. As others try to object, the patriarch silences them with a single glare. "Do you truly understand the fate of all humanity is at stake?" He roars, reminding them of their solemn duty. He then turns and bows deeply to Nanzing, offering a sincere apology for his family's transgression, and promising to withdraw immediately an act of righteousness that Nanzing praises. The patriarch orders the disgraced father to be bound and taken away for punishment, while Nanzing promises to empower the Huang family once they join the final battle. Meanwhile, on Dragon Mountain, the spirits have spoken. A decree from the 5 prodigies rings out across Hua Mountain, a warning that it cannot be privately claimed. Those who defy the greater good and ignore this command will face merciless annihilation. From high atop Qin Mountain, ancestral spirits gaze upon an ancient monument, knowing their descendants have proven both wise and just. Upon the peak of Tangmoda Mountain, Nanziing's voice rings out, "The time has come." He then unleashes the level 6 undead spirit resonance. A wave of immense energy erupts as an ancient verse celebrating the Emperor's wind and ultimate victory echoes through the mountains. The song tells of the mighty Qin dynasty and the day the Yellow River itself was purified of all impurity. In an instant, the power of the heavens descends upon Jade Gate Pass, while the spirits continue their sacred uninterrupted chant. The Emperor's wind now blows across the 4 seas. 1,000 years of virtue makes the waters flow bright, its holy light reaching a distant hospital. Lying in a hospital bed, a man hears it, this triumphant anthem of Wang Qin that stirs his very soul. Suddenly, immense power surges through his veins. At the rear defense line, a soldier wonders if he's awakened a superpower as his comrade lifts massive steel beams like toys. In another room, a group of people shout in disbelief. It's real. They have all awakened incredible new abilities. One man feels strong enough to hunt mutant birds with a single swing, while his friend roars, feeling the same surge of power. Even an elderly man lifts a mountain of rocks with ease, proudly declaring he can finally be useful again. The streets erupt in wild celebration. The news reports 8 million awakenings, a true blessing from the heavens. Now everyone can join the fifth line of defense. Another citizen realizes that even without enlisting humanity's overall power is about to skyrocket. But as hope ignites, grim news flashes across the screen, warning of dangerous mutations spreading through the primeval woods. Chudian turns to Nanziing, asking if this was his doing. He denies it, explaining the Xenos' dimensional rifts are the cause, and that they must act now. Without hesitation, Nanziing decides he must personally investigate the massive changes in the primeval woods. Chutian immediately agrees, already preparing the teleportation coordinates. They arrive to a horrifying sight. The trees haven't just mutated. They are moving, marching towards the city like a monstrous army. A wood elementalist named Lili stands his ground, refusing to retreat until he understands the enemy's strength and prepares to strike. He unleashes a torrent of vines, attempting to ensnare the creature's roots. But his attack is utterly useless against the gigantic tree. He realizes with utter dread that he has no control over these terrifying new life forms. The creatures are not just alive, they're intelligent, coordinating their movements to encircle the entire group. Lili screams for his squad to prepare for the assault and unleash their full power. He names their new foe the Forest Legion and orders the charge, but their combined attack is useless. One man realizes in terror that these trees are level 7 or 8, impossible for them to stop. Still, Lili insists they have to at least get a message back to headquarters. On the verge of being crushed, one soldier braces for the end. But just then, Lili notices something strange. The trees aren't attacking them. Utterly confused, he can only watch as one of the colossal creatures actually bows before them. Then Nanziing commands the ironwood behemoths to defend the woods, and the creatures immediately obey his will. With that single command, his beast Tamer skill skyrockets to level 10 for a total of 100 million tamed beasts. He unlocks a new ability, Aura of the King, which can subjugate beasts with the divine presence of the beast god himself. The Ancestral Awakening ability is also unleashed, allowing him to summon the progenitor of any beast tide. On top of that, he gains the forbidden spell, Storm of Life, born from the convergence of land and sea. His power was now nearing its absolute peak. Nanziing now plans to tame the beasts of the sea and finalize the formations for the fifth line of defense. But just then, Chushin rushes over in terror as he suddenly collapses to the ground. She catches him in the nick of time and teleports them both back to the slaughterhouse dormitory. Nanziing awakens disoriented as Chudian explains he lost consciousness in the woods. He grumbles, irritated to have been out for an entire day. She calms him, reminding him he'd barely slept while trying to save the world. Chudian tells him that no matter how strong he gets, he is still human. Nanziing silently agrees, thinking that humanity is still far too weak. She asks if he ever gets tired carrying the weight of the world, feeling helpless, because she can't share his burden. Nanziing apologizes for worrying her and offers a reassurance, explaining that he's not alone. Millions of people now stand by his side. He insists that she's helped him more than she knows, and that he never could have come this far without her. Chudian's worries finally fade, and she offers to take him to see the fifth line of defense. At the defensive line, a breathtaking sight awaits them: 10 million flame and elemental sword formations, stretching for 200 kilometers. She asks if all the source stones she teleported from their previous battles will be enough to power it all. Nanziing confirms the account. It's more than enough to fortify the entire line. With a single command, millions of ice and lightning formations roar to life, each one blanketing an additional 300 kilometers. A web of crackling power surges across the snow-capped peaks. A system window flashes before his eyes. His formation master skill has ascended to level 7, unlocking devastating new techniques. Nanziing declares the wall of formations complete. The remaining source stones, he'll save them for the day. This impenetrable line finally shatters. Suddenly, breaking news flashes across the nation. The colossal Northwest Canal project is finished, sparking an explosion of public outrage over the monumental waste of resources. The Zhao family watches in stunned disbelief. Fueled by righteous fury, Sun Li makes a public declaration. He accuses the Northwest of corruption, vowing to dismantle their 3 grand projects. Brother Zhao has an idea. Let's broadcast this live, he suggests, so the entire nation can witness this act of so-called justice. The others eagerly agree. Meanwhile, another report surfaces: prodigies from the interior. All at the peak sovereign king level have finally broken their silence to question the Northwest's ambition. Nanzing's eyes narrow. The time has come. He will unleash a forbidden spell and forge the most terrifying extermination field humanity has ever known. He begins to channel his power, preparing to conjure a level 5 forbidden art, a water element spell. Its name, the Water Dragon Assault. Over the roiling ocean, the technique activates. Slowly, the water writhes and shapes itself, forming an immense dragon that soars into the sky. Nanziing commands his water dragon to charge. But his opponent is no coward. Activating Asura mode, he becomes a living missile rocketing straight towards the monstrous beast. He barely deflects the devastating strike. The young master retaliates with his own forbidden water spell, cleaving the colossal wave in two. The attack nearly shattered his defenses. He realizes he must go all out, merging his very power with the Grand Canal itself. He unleashes a level 5 forbidden art, now amplified 500 times its original might. A system window flares into existence, detailing his elemental forbidden spellcaster ability. Meanwhile, 2 onlookers can only gaze upon this absurd display of power. One of them declares, "The Grand Canal livestream is on." Brother Zhao immediately hijacks the broadcast, dramatically announcing it's time to give the people what they crave. He declares he's taking point on the channel, but Chen Bing volunteers to go first, until Nanzing's sudden arrival cuts them all off. The newcomer unleashes a torrent of scorching flames. The attack instantly vaporizes the water, catching Brother Sun completely off guard. There was no time to react. Nanziing prepares 2 more devastating strikes, his goal to reverse the currents and flood the entire mountain. Across the livestream, viewers erupt in awe, exclaiming that the power of these sovereign king-level prodigies is truly epic. Back at Fangmo Mountain, 2 figures sense a shift. The energy of the undead spirits is growing ever more intense. Shooting wonders aloud, will the awakening city dwellers grow stronger too? The answer is a chilling yes. She then points to the sky, where 4 shooting stars just made an impossible turn midair. That familiar chilling aura? Nanziing recognizes it instantly. The presence of a rank A Xeno. Have they sent more assassins? He wonders. At the same moment, he feels it. The canal's water spells are spiraling out of control. Could it be, have those aliens discovered his master plan? He concludes there's no point in hiding any longer. He activates the canal's forbidden spell to supercharge his water dragon's assault at the Grand Canal. Brother Zhao is still scoffing, calling their grand mission mere child's play. But then, he notices something is terribly wrong. The water itself begins to twist and churn violently. Terrified, he stammers, "What in the world is emerging from the surface?" Before anyone can react, a horde of water dragons erupts from the depths simultaneously. Someone screams for everyone to run. But it's too late. The live stream is consumed by water, leaving bewildered viewers staring at a blank silent screen. In utter shock, Brother Zhao slowly raises his head. A colossal shadow looms from the depths, while beside him, a companion frantically begs for help. Brother Sun collapsed on the ground, stares up at Brother Zhao, and whispers, "Are you one of them? An alien?" Raising a hand, Nanziing commands them to halt. He demands to know who they are and why they bring such devastation. But Brother Zhao simply begins to introduce himself. Impatient Nanziing cuts him off, dismissing them all as ignorant fools. Finally, Brother Sun speaks. He explains that seeing Nanziing here makes the entire situation horrifyingly clear. Nanziing realizes the truth. These are the prodigies. And the aliens are hunting their clans. He barks a single command, "Take me to them, now." The 3 men are utterly bewildered by his sudden demand. Seeing their hesitation, he snaps, "Hurry! Any delay means your clans will be exterminated." That one word, exterminated, sends a wave of pure terror through the trio. That night, the heavens themselves were torn asunder above Skyrest Mountain. A colossal explosion bathed the world in a horrifying light. Brother Zhao watched his home burn, his world collapsing into a nightmare as he discovered his entire clan massacred. In that moment, Nanziing appeared, his voice grim. This was the work of a rank Xeno. "Grief is a luxury we can't afford," he declared, his eyes cold steel. "If you crave vengeance, follow me to the Qin family estate." But destiny twisted again. Another explosion erupted from the Qin compound, a beacon of death. Nanziing's path shifted instantly now, racing towards the Sun family. At Jade Pass Mountain, a monstrous Xeno had already unleashed a devastating blast upon their home. Roaring with pure undiluted fury, Brother Sun crashed into the alien beast. "You will pay for my family's blood," he screamed. The Sun Clan's leader, wreathed in a vortex of flame, vowed to drag the monster to hell itself through a final suicidal blast. He became a human meteor, plunging into the Xeno, as a colossal explosion consumed them both, his clan crying his name in despair. On the broken earth below, the survivors spat curses at the alien invader. They swore it would not leave this place alive. But the creature merely floated there, its laughter a blade of contempt. Humans were weak, pathetic insects, nothing more than walking corpses. As this chilling arrogance filled the air, Nanziing stepped forward, his blade leaving its sheath with a whisper. He spoke, his voice ringing with absolute certainty. "Today you will learn the true meaning of human power." Nanziing unleashed a storm of steel, the army-slaying slash, followed by the earth-shattering, land-slitting mountain, and finally the all-consuming annihilation fire. The Xeno took the full force of the barrage, a few of its feathers drifting down. The sheer power of the assault sent the beast hurtling through the air. He barked an order to the 3 wounded warriors. "Stay back and watch, do not interfere." Giving the enemy no time to recover, Nanziing descended from the sky with the Asura's freefall massacre, striking them head-on, then flowing seamlessly into the Asura berserker technique. The young man became a whirlwind of destruction, a relentless storm of blows that gave no quarter. Watching this divine fury, the 3 survivors felt a spark of hope ignite. They knew this legendary power. This was the Asura of the Northwest. Pushed onto the back foot, the Xeno began to gather a blistering wave of fire for a counterattack. But just as it was about to unleash its inferno, reality itself seemed to split open beside the creature. Quan appeared from thin air, striking a critical blow and earning a nod of approval. Seizing that perfect opening, Nanziing charged forward, his blade glowing with the Asura Demon Hunter technique. Surprise flickered in the Xeno's eyes. "Not bad," it admitted, a cruel smile forming. "For that you have earned the right to be my slave, not my victim." Nanziing scoffed at the insult, his own grin sharp as a razor. "You'll swallow those words," he promised, and without a breath of wasted motion, he unleashed the Asura Dragonslayer. An ethereal dragon of pure energy roared towards the Xeno. "Let's see you heal after being torn to shreds," the young man challenged. The creature's form shifted, hardening to block the attack. "Ignorant, arrogant humans," it hissed. And with a voice that promised oblivion, the Xeno commanded, "Die." But Nanziing refused to yield, charging again and countering with the Asura Hell on Earth technique. A slash that could split the world was unleashed, but the enemy laughed. "Useless. As long as my spark of life exists, I am eternal." In response, the young man summoned a grand formation of chilling ice, amplified with 50,000 times more power. He ignored the boast about the spark, and with a final command, froze the creature into what saw into statuette of ice. The other men stared utterly stunned. The mighty blazing sky eagle was frozen solid. The Asura was also a formation master. Nanziing then activated a 10 times stronger single-target amplification. Streams of pure energy shot from his eyes, pouring directly into the 3 survivors. Floating above them, he explained that the ice was only a temporary prison. He then commanded them, "This is your chance. Take your revenge with your own hands." "After you are done," he instructed, "head for the 5th defensive line. Prepare for the coming war." His final words were a chilling warning. An enemy far greater than this awaits all of humanity there. Soon after, the news spread like wildfire. 4 Class A Xeno assassins had been sighted. The Xiaoqian and Sunan clans, and the Wang clans had been completely annihilated. A wave of fear spread, but with it a sliver of hope, as all eyes turned to the prodigies of the Northwest. Music. Meanwhile, Nanziing told Quan their new mission: gather source stones, head for the East Sea, tame the beasts, and wipe out the remaining assassins. Facing the vast ocean, the young man began a world-shaking chant. He then gave his decree to the depths. "Mighty beasts of the sea, hear my command, submit to me and serve." Across the churning surface of the ocean, a colossal glowing symbol began to take shape. A moment later, a system notification echoed in his mind. Millions of mutant swordfish tiger sharks and great white sharks had been successfully tamed. Heeding his summons, legions of monstrous sea beasts rose from the abyss. With a roar that shook the very heavens, Nanziing called forth their whetstones. From the bottom of the sea, an object of immense size began to rise, dragging the ocean into a titanic whirlpool. The colossal horn-shaped structure broke the surface, dwarfing everything around it. Seeing it, even Nanziing had to admit escaping something like that would be nearly impossible. But Chu Tian remarks that the real test is yet to come. Will the assassins dare to show themselves? In the distance, Lan Chongkong, the prodigy of the East Sea's land family, spots a terrifying frenzy of marine beasts. Without a second thought, he orders his entire clan to prepare for war, while he himself forges ahead to confront the threat. He dashes across the waves, his water control technique. Dragons march, parting the sea before him. He declares with absolute certainty that his family has guarded these seas for generations, and he will not allow these beasts to wreak havoc. But the horror lurking beneath the surface was far worse than he imagined. He soon found himself ensnared, surrounded by a monstrous army of diverse marine beasts. At this, Chu Tian wondered aloud if Nanziing forgot to order them not to attack humans, as the command shifts to target only invaders. Lan Chongkong feels the change, instantly wondering if this is the power of the Northwest prodigy. He then looks to the sky, where 3 ominous shadowy figures descend from above. The creatures introduce themselves as the Sea Masters, offering him 2 simple choices: slavery or death. Lan Chongkong wonders if assassins are after him, mistaking him for the legendary beast tamer. A colossal sea creature lunges directly at him, its maw wide enough to swallow the sky. But he defiantly challenges his foes, declaring it an honor to fight those bold enough to face a divine-level tamer. Orcas surge towards a sea serpent, and he realizes the beast tide is attacking on its own. He begins to question if the real tamer is commanding this from the shadows. Meanwhile, Nanziing's will becomes law, commanding the swordfish to pierce the Cyclops demonic turtle, while tiger sharks shred the thorny serpent. At the same time, the great white sharks are given a single order: tear the glacial dragon to pieces. Surrounded by the great whites, the glacial dragon sneers, calling them mere insects before retaliating with a chilling absolute zero breath. The attack is so devastating that both the thorny serpent and the sharks around it are frozen completely solid. And yet the resilient thorny serpent shatters its icy prison, its will unbroken as it insults its opponents with a sneer insects. Immediately after, it unleashes a devastating barrage of gigantic stingers. Across the chaotic battlefield, the Cyclops turtle deems the swordfish's attacks futile. Without delay, it unleashes its devastating collapse attack. Observing the unfolding chaos, Nanziing remarks to Chu Tian that their sea beasts can crush any enemy below rank A. However, she admits that against a true A-rank opponent, they are still not enough. With that, the duo conjures 50 amplification formations, stretching them across an unbelievable 700 nautical miles. From afar, Lan Chong Kong feels an immense energy ripple across the sea, wondering what this power could be. Meanwhile, the three shadowy creatures carve through the beasts, heading straight for him. Preparing for the final clash, he vows to fight until his very last breath. One of the creatures taunts him, "Freeze me if you can." In response, the glacial dragon slams into Lan Chong Kong's water dragon. The impact makes it clear the enemy's power is so immense that not even his water dragon can withstand it. Blasted backward by the force of the blow, he begins to fall, the creature closing in as he loses his footing. Suddenly, an enchantment circle flares to life, erupting across the water's surface. The shadowy serpent is swarmed by empowered sharks, erupting from the sea. Moments later, one latches onto the glacial dragon's neck. A surge of energy flows into Lan Chong Kong as he finds himself surrounded by a vortex of sharks. Recognizing the amplification formation, he instantly channels his water control technique, then unleashes his ultimate skill, the Endless Ocean. The glacial dragon takes a direct hit, its arrogant sneer turning to disbelief as it disintegrates, its dying breath still a sneer. Insects. Shortly after, the thorny serpent and the Cyclops demonic turtle are also completely neutralized. Satisfied, Nanziing remarks that their battle strength has reached its peak, with Chu Tian concurring that not even a rank S alien could survive this. He then asks her to bring him Lan Chong Kong, and her reply comes with a knowing smile. "I already understand your intentions," she says. From a distance, Lan Chong Kong profusely thanks his saviors for sparing his life. Finally, he begs them to reveal themselves so he can offer his gratitude in person. Chu Tian appears before him, leaving Lan Chong Kong utterly speechless, to discover that one of the legendary masters is just a child. The small girl gazes at him with a faint smile. As he's brought forward, the man asks who she is. Just then, Nanziing appears, telling him not to ask questions, but to listen very carefully. She then asks Lan Chong Kong if he could shoulder the immense responsibility of using the eastern continent as bait to draw out the alien assassins. Without hesitation, the man kneels, declaring that for the sake of the world, he would willingly lay down his life. At this, Chu Tian grants him the power of an internal amplification formation. In that instant, she grants him dominion over 100 million sea beasts, his mission to obliterate any alien filth that dares appear. Suddenly, a void gate tears through the heavens. Chuan screams a warning. The seventh line is about to break. Despair crashes over her, a tidal wave of grief for her brother and all the fallen. An endless legion of nightmares erupts from the celestial wound as an officer's voice cracks with terror. "The enemy's true army has arrived," he roars the order. "Seventh line, fall back. The sixth will buy us precious seconds." But Chu Xinghe seizes command, his voice overriding all others. "All units, full retreat. Our last stand. Our only hope is the fifth line of defense." Just then, Huang Xiao steps forward, offering a desperate gambit, an amplification formation to hold the line, to forge an opening for Commander Wang to lead the retreat. The formation roars to life, a brilliant barrier, surging to halt the monstrous tide. An old veteran barks at the younger soldiers. "The fifth line needs you. We old-timers will hold the rear." One soldier pleads with his comrade to accept their noble sacrifice, reminding him of what's truly at stake. The elders brace for their final blaze of glory, invoking their beast spirits for one last devastating assault upon the invaders. The young warrior bows his head, a silent farewell to the heroes. At that moment, news broadcasts ignite with grim tidings. The seventh defensive line has been completely annihilated. Now the fifth line prepares for the coming storm. The people of the Northwest rise as one, swearing an oath to defend the fifth line with their very lives. Every citizen readies for war, their hearts burning with faith that heaven itself has sent champions for this final battle. Meanwhile, Nanziing completes his masterpiece, the Blazing Skystone Project. Without a moment's hesitation, he begins devouring the limitless energy sealed within the source stones. A cataclysmic torrent of power explodes from within, swallowing his entire being. Raw, untamed energy crackles around him. The system flashes. Source stone reserves. An unbelievable 10 trillion. Simultaneously, he launches the Steel Forest Project, unleashing a forbidden art of the gold element. He then quenches the molten metal, infusing it with 100,000 forbidden steel element spells. Their next stop, a volcanic wasteland. It is time to begin the volcano's Heart Project. With a single gesture, he awakens ancient lava dragons from their slumber, implanting another 100,000 forbidden lava spells. Colossal dragons of magma fill the sky. A system window appears, max level forbidden spellstar origin, the infinite annihilator. They can only gaze upward in utter awe. One companion whispers that such power could shatter the planet itself. Nanziing hardens his resolve. This weapon is for the final moment only. He declares, only beast taming spirits and formations are left. Chutin lead the way. Placing his hand on the earth, he calls forth the ancestors of old. The legendary heroes of Wei, from the Three Kingdoms era, materialize to fight back the darkness. Next, the mythic generals of the Shu Kingdom appear, followed by the fearsome warriors of Wu. And finally, the noble spirits of the Song Dynasty answer the call prepared for war. Then, from the pages of history, the spirits of the Yuan dynasty surge forth, their spectral forms radiating untamable fury. The disciplined soldiers of the Ming dynasty emerge next, poised for a legendary battle. And at last, the heroes of the Qing dynasty assemble their bows, drawn tight atop their mighty warhorses. A system window confirms it. Ancient heroic spirit summoning has reached its maximum level. He turns to the honored ancestors, his voice ringing with power. Prepare for battle at the 5th line of defense. The army of legends charges forth with earth-shattering might as Nanziing chants the terrifying verse of a king's absolute dominion. He then unleashes his beast taming domain. A swarm of venomous insects descends, followed by a horrifying tide of deadly serpents. He roars his command to all mutant beasts. Hear my call, obey my will. The system flashes once more. Era's beast tamer, skill level max. Nanziing taps into an even deeper power, amplifying the beast tide beyond all imagination. Sword in hand, he leads the charge to the 5th line. But the strain is immense. Blood streams from his eyes, a grim testament to his resolve. Xuan cries out in alarm. You're pushing yourself past your limits. You can't possibly keep this up. But he grits his teeth. I have to continue. There's no time. Xuan tries to argue, but he cuts her off. Nanziing states grimly, only the formations are left. Take me to the 5th line, now. Arriving at the colossal 5th line, he unleashes the first layer, the Infernal Sword Chai formation, followed by the Purgatory Fire formation, and finally the Abyssal Thorn formation. Layer upon lethal layer of shimmering energy erupts, creating an impenetrable shield for their homeland. The system announces his ultimate achievement, Genesis God Formation Master. Maxed out model. The system announces it all 5 supreme abilities, now unified, now mastered as one. Instantly, a vortex of pure, untamed energy consumes him. A colossal pillar of blinding light rips through the heavens, striking the earth with world-shattering force. Watching him engulfed by that terrifying dome of power, Chen can only scream his name. Nanziing. From within that raw, surging maelstrom, he roars, his transformation reaching its terrifying climax. From a terrace high above the city, Sun Li declares, "We have returned." Nanziing greets them warmly. "You're just in time," as little Chu Tian rushes to him crying, "Brother." He comforts her, praising her courage. When a young companion notices a stark change, Nanziing's hair, it has turned completely white. The boy asks what could have happened. Nanziing simply explains, it is the price for preparing for this war. Sun Li's eyes widen. Does this mean you're finally ready to unleash your true power? Nanziing confirms it with a single steely glance. Moments later, news flashes across every screen. Alien forces have shattered the world's final line of defense. Before a vast assembly of soldiers, Nanziing stands tall, his voice ringing out. Before this final battle begins, I have a critical announcement. On a colossal screen, his voice booms, revealing a truth that shakes their world. I am all 5 divine-level prodigies of the Northwest. The crowd erupts into chaos and disbelief, shouting, "Who dares spread such an outrageous lie?" Then Nanziing steps forward. It is no lie. His command is absolute. The elderly, children, and wounded will evacuate. You will only fight if our walls fall. Elsewhere, a survivor watches in awe, whispering, "I always knew. Chief Nan was destined to be our savior." Nanziing then lays bare the grim reality. Our entire military might is concentrated here, on this 5th line of defense. But even then, he grimly admits their preparations are not enough for victory. And so, he reveals his final desperate gambit. He is forming a suicide squad of psychics to breach the enemy's void gate and launch a desperate counteroffensive from within. The first to step forward is 9-year-old Chu Tian, a divine-level spatial psychic. It is my duty, she declares, to find a final resting place for you. Next, Chu Xingqi, the 23-year-old prodigy of the Chu clan, volunteers for the suicide mission. Su Cheney, a 25-year-old puppet master, offers his unique services next, boasting he can curse the alien commanders to death, 18-year-old plant spirit summoners. Qinwei and Qinying announce they are ready for war. Lan Chongkong, a 23-year-old water psychic, crashes in on a colossal wave, yelling, "Don't you dare blame me for this one, Nanziing." Jang Yuan follows sliding in on her motorcycle. She volunteers to handle supplies with her expert cooking, subtly reminding him of an old dead. Nanziing grins, "I'm thrilled you're here." A car screeches to a halt. Su Lang, a perception psychic, steps out apologizing for her past harsh words. Finally, Chen Care volunteers explaining her ability to rewind time by 15 seconds will be crucial for their reconnaissance. Nanziing approaches his brother, revealing their father did not want him to go alone, and that he has just awakened a powerful battlefield healing ability. Just then, Chen Liani and Suzy Shan arrive. They insist one healer isn't enough and ask for a chance to atone for past conflicts. Seeing his team assembled, Nanziing offers them all a heartfelt thanks. With the group now complete, he officially declares the formation of the counteroffensive, the Suicide Squad. Moments later, alien invaders blot out the sky. A thunderous voice echoes across the land. Prepare for battle. Ancient formations ignite. Forbidden spells are unleashed upon the swarming invaders. Waves of monstrous beasts surge forward, while an army of undead spirits rides fearlessly into the chaos. High on the city wall, a commander roars at the wavering troops. Reinforcements are here. There is no retreat. Meanwhile, inside the portal, Nanziing rallies his squad. Follow me. We will destroy this gate and end their reign of evil once and for all. Upon reaching a small, secluded house, someone immediately asks, "Where in the world are we?" Chu Tian explains it's a pocket dimension she created where time flows normally. She reveals its name, the Cozy Cabin. Nanziing questions the mission's status. This is no time to settle down. But another voice snaps back. And how long can a human go without food, water, or sleep? A teammate points out Nanziing's visible exhaustion, noting his hair turned white from the sheer stress of fighting for days without rest. We must seize this moment. Even at the world's end, we adults cannot fail the children. Lan Chongkong's face lights up, exclaiming, "This place becomes in something that's literally my dream home." The rest of the group watches his sudden excitement, as one woman remarks that his pure giddiness somehow makes the others look even more masculine in comparison. Nanziing asks the Qin brothers if they aren't curious. They both declare, "We have sworn to follow our benefactor, to the very end." As they step inside, someone mutters in admiration. Those two truly live up to their reputation as summoners. Sunli freezes in his tracks, his face a mask of pure disbelief. The rest of the group piles up right behind him. Lan Chongkong's throat goes dry. Had his dream home turned into a waking nightmare? But Chu Tian just smiles, saying she designed it for her little sister. The main chamber was lined with beds that looked unnervingly like coffins. Someone mused. It felt like a childhood memory, as the view panned across portraits on the wall. Chen just beamed, thrilled they all approved. But Sunli had to ask, how did she know their tastes so perfectly? Twinkie offered a profound thought that it was about embracing life through death. But the girl simply shrugged. There was no deep meaning, she said. It was just smart to prepare early. Sunli, still visibly shaken, collapsed onto a bed, declaring he was already dead on his feet. Despite the grim design, he admitted that once he closed his eyes, it was unbelievably comfortable. In the kitchen, Jang Yuan began preparing a meal, announcing it would be a true feast, since it might just be their last one together. Qin Sui arrived with a basket of fresh vegetables, prompting Jang Yuan to wonder why they were planting instead of just conjuring food. The girl explained that her brother believed vegetables needed to grow in the earth, to forge a true connection with the soil. Jang Yuan, all business, pushed her out of the kitchen, telling her to stop with the poetry and warning that the smoke was bad for her eyes. In the pharmacy, Chenlani and Suan focused their efforts on brewing potions for battle enhancement healing and sheer resilience. Meanwhile, Nanzi Shan stepped into the infirmary, noting the stark white bedding made Chuen's peculiar tastes perfectly clear. Outside, a teleportation circle blazed to life, setting up a forward recon point 30 kilometers from the terrifying vacuum gate. Shenier then asked Chuen why she couldn't just create an entirely new Earth. Without skipping a beat, the little girl shot back. "Then why is your chest so flat?" Stunned by the brutal comeback, Jang Yuan immediately stepped in to mediate. She calmed the furious Shenier, explaining that Chu Tian was just a child who spoke her mind. Chu Tian then added that making the cabin alone cost her 50 years of her lifespan. She might not even live long enough to develop a chest. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, Kenner apologized profusely while Chu Tian secretly smirked to herself. Adults are so easy to fool. Soon after Jang Yuan announced the soup was ready, a special blend of everything for everyone. As the team gathered, Nanziing tried to discuss strategy, but Jang Yuan shot him down, insisting he eat first. Chu Xinghe then took charge, explaining that portals at the front and back were now active with the rear gate leading to their defensive line. He assigned Su Lang and Chenair to the forward recon point, while the rest would remain at the cabin to coordinate support. Nanziing agreed. The plan was sound. But Nanzan immediately protested her assignment, declaring she could offer direct support on the battlefield. Chuen quickly jumped in, promising she would personally guarantee her safety. Nanzishan then pleaded with her brother not to hold back his power just to protect her. After a tense moment, he finally relented, giving her permission to join the front line. Zhu Xinghe then gave the final order. Finish the meal rest for 3 hours, and then prepare to move out. Elsewhere, Chen Laney and Suzy Shan accepted the roles, admitting that on the front lines, they'd only be dead weight. The group ate with surprising energy, making requests and playfully teasing each other about their ages and habits. The friendly banter continued outside, with more lighthearted jabs about who was older and who was the pickier eater. Far away, a massive cube-like object floated in the void, surrounded by a swirling vortex of terrifying energy. At the recon point, Su Lang and Chener's scanners lit up. They detected a horrifying 1 million awakened signatures on the other side of the gate. Standing before the colossal gate, the team received the report. 1 million Buddhas awaited them. The objective was clear. Eliminate the Guardians first. Chuen moved into position, ready to tear open the fabric of space. After a final confirmation, she received the order to activate the portal. A gigantic golden being appeared, its voice echoing in Nanziing's mind, declaring it had been waiting for him, and that he should surrender. The aliens, it boomed, are the true gods. Losing all patience, Sun Li snarled, "Shut your mouth, you clown, before I sew your lips shut myself." With that, the squad charged into battle. Someone roared that using the Buddha's name for such vile acts was utterly unforgivable. The entity thundered that they had left it no choice. They would all be forcibly enlightened, as an ancient monk began a haunting chant. A moment later, the Golden God unleashed a devastating attack from above. In response, Nanziing prepared his own earth-shattering strike, roaring that on this day, gods will fall, and Buddhas will be shattered. Nanziing's attack slammed into the golden entity, completely annihilating it in a blinding flash. Just as quickly, the light reformed its voice, mocking them. "My golden Buddha body is immortal and indestructible." Seeing this, Chuing instantly summoned a massive defensive shield to protect himself. As the barrier groaned under the relentless assault, he realized the truth. The enemy's combined power was overwhelming. They were trying to grind them down. Nanziing yelled that they couldn't afford a war of attrition. They had to shatter this formation right now. In retaliation, the enemy merges 10,000 fists into a single world-shattering blow. But from the observation point, one of the girls scoffs with disdain. They have no idea who they're dealing with. For Nanziing, that attack is nothing more than an invitation. Nanziing roars Chuin's name, a command that needs no explanation. In a flash, she teleports the entire team straight into the jaws of the beast. They materialize amidst a maelstrom of swirling fists, and just as quickly, they're gone again. Reappearing high above the golden entity, Nanziing and his crew prepare to unleash a cursed strike of their own. Sensing the terrifying power about to be unleashed, the old monk screams a desperate mantra. But his warning comes far too late. Their combined power crashes down, ripping through the monks and the entity in a wave of utter devastation. Nanziing barks his orders with authority. 4 of them will crush the protectors. He will face the leader alone. Sun Li instantly accepts the plan. Qin Ying cracks a smile. "He's talking about us, right?" The tough brothers. Su Chang unleashes his puppet wire arena, brazenly challenging the old monk to try any of his dirty tricks. Protector Viger snarls that his mouth needs a good washing, but such Chang just grins back, challenging him to make a move. Chishingi faces an ancient protector trapping the godlike being in an impenetrable dome of isolation. Protector Anup warns them to back down, proclaiming that true followers of the path must save themselves from this madness. Lon Chongkong mirrors the tactic, but his is a prison of shimmering water encircling his foe. Protector Deepak accuses him of fighting the current, a comparison our hero laughs at. Meanwhile, the Qin brothers summon a thorny jungle swallowing their enemy whole. Protector Raja snarls. He has no time for talk. The brothers fire back. Neither do we. At the center of it all, Nanziing commands the fallen to rise and fight for him once more. Instantly, spectral forms of the vanquished monks claw their way from the earth. He points his weapon to the heavens, roaring for the spirits, to annihilate these false idols. The leader's eyes widen in shock. This power, it's unbelievable. But Nanziing's gaze cuts right through him. "You're next." As the spirits charge, the old monk sneers, accusing him of being consumed by greed, anger, and ignorance. The 3 poisons that corrupt the soul. A psychic assault slams into Nanziing, but he just roars back, "Shut your mouth." He unleashes a forbidden sound spell, plunging the world into absolute deafening silence. He advances without a flicker of doubt, his voice echoing in the void. Nothing fuels his rage more than pretender gods. He then hurls the accusation back, calling the monk the true vessel of greed, anger, and ignorance. The monk raises a barrier, his voice laced with false piety. "Who here is the true Buddha? And who is the demon?" Nanziing answers with the searing flames of Asura's fury, vowing to rip that false divine mask right off his face. The monk proclaims this blasphemer has forced him to reveal his true Dharma form. Nanziing scoffs, "A gift from your alien masters, perhaps. How pathetic is your faith if it relies on such a cheap trick?" The monk declares himself the reincarnation of Tathagata himself. Nanziing's response is instant and sharp. "You're a demon." The monk condemns him, claiming his sins will cast him into the Avicii hell of the 6 paths. Nanziing doesn't flinch. "I already live there." He promises to show the monk true hell, activating the 5-element infernal formation. The monk's so-called divine formation shatters like glass. He can't believe his eyes. Destroyed in an instant, Nanziing sneers with utter contempt. "You are no god. Your formation is a pathetic joke. Now it's my turn." The monk scrambles to defend himself, but is crushed by Asura's molten rock. He barely manages a shield, only to be shattered by Asura's frozen ice, giving no quarter. Nanziing unleashes the golden lock formation, trapping his foe completely. Pains erupt, ensnaring the monk. He screams for his alien gods to save him. And suddenly he vanishes. Nanziing knows this interference, an S-class alien. Just then, a desperate cry echoes. A voice he knows all too well. His father's. The monk reappears, a twisted smile on his face, holding Nanziing's father as a human shield. He demands surrender in exchange for the old man's life. An enemy protector attacks with a parasite purge, but the Qin brothers throw up a wall of roots. The impact slams into their barrier, and they realize with horror who the hostage is. Their benefactor's father. The shockwave still breaks through. Chutin immediately prepares an emergency teleport. With no time to think, she instantly teleports Nanziing's father and his captor away from the danger. They materialize beside Nanza, who begins healing them on the spot. While Chuan moves to intercept the protector, she weaves a net of spatial magic, trapping the attacker inside a shimmering, inescapable cube. "I have no time for these games," the enemy roars, struggling to escape. But Chuan just flicks him away, sending him flying. Meanwhile, the true battle against the golden behemoth rages on. "Focus!" Chu Xingyi's voice cuts through the chaos. "Keep your eyes on the fight and trust Nanziing." At the same time, Su Cheng weaves his threads, expertly controlling the massive golden entity. He scoffs. "A pathetic demon won't distract me." He then brazenly mocks his foe's divine whip. Is that sacred weapon supposed to be so ridiculously short? The protector seethes with rage. "Insolent fool, you dare insult a sacred artifact." Instantly, the monk unleashes a terrifying wave of divine punishment. But Lan Chongkong stands firm, ready to meet the attack head-on. "Just mere fire and poison," he declares, before summoning his own boundless ocean. The monk holding the hostage just sneers, pressing the cold blade deeper against his throat. "Aren't you afraid," he taunts, "that I'll kill him right now? Kneel or he dies," the villain threatens. But Nanziing calmly turns to his father. "Do you really want me to sacrifice my pride to save you?" His father defiantly roars, "Yes," and issues a challenge. "Are you going to just stand there and watch me die?" Chuan offers to teleport the hostage away, but Nanziing refuses. "No," he says, "just get me closer." As he approaches, the monk snarls a final warning. "Don't try any tricks." But Nanziing attacks without hesitation, scoffing. "The only trick I'm playing is saving my dear father." The alien dodges with ease, demanding to know why he attacked. Nanziing just smirks. "You seriously underestimated my old man." The creature senses Nanziing's chilling indifference and questions his motives, but Nanziing's reply is ice cold. A species without emotions could never grasp what it truly means to be human. The being gives him one last chance. "Join us!" Nanziing's refusal is instant met by a deadly lunge. The alien snarls, "You stubborn insect!" It prepares to unleash its cruelest methods. But Nanziing strikes first, landing a powerful lava slash. Nanziing declares, "Your power is just an illusion. Your offense is weak, and your defense, Sinjainfen, is a joke. My true obsession," he proclaims, "is to utterly exterminate your entire species." The enemy relentlessly taunts him. "You don't care if your own father dies." And this time, the threat feels horrifyingly real. Suddenly, a memory flashes through his mind. His father arriving home with his mother, deciding to name their newborn son, Nanziing. And then another memory follows. A young Nanzi crying to his father about the bullies terrified because they were bigger and he was outnumbered. Then his father's harsh voice scolding him for his fear. "Always fight back," he commanded, "even if you can't win." Moments later, a young Nanzi is savagely beating one of the boys, who screams for help while the others call him a monster. Watching from a distance, his father's voice was cold and certain. "After this, they will never dare bully you again." Years later, a grown Nanziing finds his father grievously wounded. The man's reply was simple: "The battlefield is a brutal place." Back in the present, Nanziing confronts the alien. "How do you know all this?" The creature just smirks. "I pulled those memories from your father's mind." It reveals, killing him would be effortless. And in that moment, Nanziing's true father appears gravely wounded. The alien quickly denies any blame. "I wasn't the one who hurt him. In fact, I saved him on the defense lines," it claims. Now it's his turn to return the favor, as his father screams in unbearable agony. A chilling message from command cuts through the air. "Lord Nan Songshan has been reported missing in action." Hearing this grim news, Nanziing's response is just 2 words understood. The alien gloats, announcing it has completely merged with his father's blood. It taunts him, "Do you really have the guts to kill your own father now?" Mockingly, it declares, "Insects are weak, forever bound by their emotions," as it prepares its escape. The golden entity then tries to use an earth escape art to vanish. Nanziing confronts it, his voice breaking, "Father, what should I do?" To the alien's shock, his father's true consciousness screams out, begging, "Nanziing, save me!" Enraged by this defiance, the being roars, "Stop playing these games," and unleashes a forbidden lava spell. The golden figure is engulfed in searing flames, crying out, "Why is this happening?" And in that moment, the alien finally understands. Nanziing knew who the real one was all along. Cursing the resilience of humans, it burns. Amidst the roaring flames, his father speaks, You would never understand. But that is precisely why humanity endures. He bids farewell, promising to wait for their next meeting, as Nanziing whispers his apologies. Falling to his knees, Nanziing swears an oath. That day will surely come. He pleads with his father to rest now, vowing to bring him home for a good meal once this entire mess is finally over. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad is locked in a desperate battle with the parasites. The siblings apologize, their voices choked with shame for slowing everyone down. Nanziing reveals the decision was made by her brother and their father, admitting the grief is a raging storm she can barely contain. Tian offers a desperate solution to bring their father back, but is told his father made a choice just as he had for the others. Her sister clarifies his only wish was for them to find eternal peace. And on this cursed battlefield, even the restless dead can find their final end. Little Chuen cries out that these abominations are impossibly resilient. Hearing this, the Qin siblings vow to carve a path, diving headfirst into the writhing sea of parasites. Just then, Protector Raja returns with thunder in his voice, demanding to know what they did to his divine Dharma body. Nanziing, his sorrow turning to ice-cold resolve, tells a comrade it's time to cleanse the filth they've created across this entire battlefield. Xing reveals the crushing truth to one of the monks. The Dharma body was a mere phantom, an illusion spun by the now-dead alien. Lan Chongkong unleashes his fury, mocking the pathetic coward his opponent has become, without his false divinity. Su Ching masterfully ensnares his adversary, explaining they were all fools dancing to an alien's tune. Blinded by illusion, they'd forgotten their own power. Xu Xinghe delivers the final piercing blow. Then Lan Chongkong encases his enemy in a tomb of ice, while Su Chang dismantles the last protector with cold precision. Finally, Nanziing summons a cataclysmic whirlwind, vowing he will purify this land of all corruption. The group watches the Qin siblings from afar, as Chu Xing states they need no aid. This is a trial they must overcome alone. The last enemy scrambles to escape, but the siblings seal his path. In a last desperate act, he unleashes a tidal wave of seashell parasites. However, Qin Ying counters with a forbidden art of reverse parasitism. Vengeful seeds erupt from the parasites, turning the attack back upon its master. The man is instantly imprisoned by a cage of metallic thorns. Completely immobilized, he cries out in despair, wondering why the heavens have abandoned him. The siblings' reply is simple. The divine aids only those who fight for themselves. Nanziing then turns to the lingering souls of the fallen monks, offering them one final path to redemption on the fifth line of defense. The spirits accept their fate, ascending into the light and vanishing towards the horizon. In that moment, Kang Yan emerges from a portal, overflowing with food, announcing that the sun has risen and it's breakfast time. Such Chang greets her stunned. She's already prepared a feast for them all. She simply says it's the one thing she knows she can do to help. Sun Li then tells everyone to refuel their strength and asks Chu Tian to bring Suang and Chen over. Meanwhile, Nanziing and the others stand in solemn silence amongst the ruins of the battlefield. He turns to Qin Ying with a solemn request: plant a tree where his father made his last stand, a living monument so he'll never lose his way again. From a distance, Sun Li and Chuyan observe the somber gathering beneath the newly planted tree. He urges her to bring the others over. They must eat before the food gets cold. Once they've gathered, Jang Yuan offers a meal to Nanziing, his gratitude unspoken. Sun Li also serves him, insisting he must replenish his energy for the battles yet to come. Little Chu Tian sits beside Nanzan, offering her own small meal. Soon, other squad members follow one by one, offering their own food to their grieving leader. He can only stare at the mountain of offerings before him. One of his comrades tells him to eat without hesitation, reminding him their war is far from over. A short while later, not a single grain remains in Nanziing's food box. Next, he issues a new command. Su Lang is to compile a complete bestiary of their alien foes and share it instantly with the fifth line of defense. Immediately, a horrifying report comes in. An S-rank alien has appeared at the vanguard, and it is causing catastrophic casualties. As if on cue, the void gate before them erupts with new horrors, unleashing yet another wave of A-rank aliens. A tide of grotesque abominations pours from the portal, surging directly towards the group. Faced with this onslaught, Nanziing orders Chuten to return with him to the defense line, leaving the others to hold this ground no matter the cost. On the front lines, the 5th Defense Formation has devolved into pure, unadulterated chaos. Immediately after, the sky itself rains down absolute destruction. With a forbidden spell, countless creatures are thrown back by a single devastating blow. Among them, a multi-armed golem is shattered by arcs of lightning, as other monsters are sent flying. Meanwhile, even within this storm of death, humanoid warriors clash fearlessly against a monster with claws like razors. In the spirit sector, a warrior declares his ultimate art, the solitary blade assault wielding 18 spears, as if they were one. High above the creatures, a swirling vortex of destructive energy begins to gather in the sky. Then that devastating force slams into the ground, vaporizing everything, thinning in a flash of blinding light. Commander Wang Lei and his soldiers react utterly baffled by what just happened. One man screams that he cannot see or hear any attackers. Bewildered by the assault, his own energy threatens to tear him apart from the inside. Desperate to remain calm, he activates the Crimson Abyss, silent breath technique. He swiftly deduces the attack is coming from the dark clouds above and orders the colossal steel eagles to tear the heavens apart. A winged bat-like horror tears through the clouds, making him question if this is yet another alien invasion. Analyzing the threat, he grasps the terrifying truth. These beasts use a silent sonic assault to shatter a warrior's internal energy, driving them to self-destruct. Faced with this invisible enemy, an officer roars the command for all espers to fall back to the underground shelters. They must conserve their power and alert Nanziing immediately. In a grimy slaughterhouse, a group of twisted men gloat over the new necromantic abilities they've awakened. Suddenly, a shockwave of raw power ripples across the entire city. The force slams into civilians, throwing them to the ground like dolls. At the 5th defense line, the winged monster clashes head-on with an elemental warrior. Nanziing instantly understands the gravity of the sonic attacks, while his ally desperately searches for a way to shield both the city and their forces. Nice. With no other choice, he prepares to invoke a forbidden sound element spell deep, silence. A massive barrier 500 kilometers wide erupts into existence, sealing the city in a protective dome. As the silent assault fades, Commander Wang Lele sees Nanziing's intervention and rallies his warriors back into the fray. Civilians stagger to their feet, or two. One of them urging everyone to check the frontline broadcast, convinced a true powerhouse has just entered the battle. Nanziing orders Chuen to teleport him directly into the fight, leaving her to manage support from the rear. An instant later, he materializes high in the sky, looming over the creature. The enemy evades his lightning-fast attack, forcing him to realize he must use lightning itself. Meanwhile, another elementalist triggers a forbidden wood spell, desperate to secure his position. Nanziing then unleashes another forbidden art, the legendary lightning cut. However, the creature dodges it with contemptuous ease. He realizes in horror that even his lightning cannot match its speed or land a single scratch. In response, the beast summons a void of pure darkness. He counters with a forbidden light spell, shattering the suffocating gloom with radiant power. Bracing for the next onslaught, he keeps his guard ironclad. The creature then strikes with a sound nullification spell, and he knows a single forbidden art won't be enough to block it. And so he begins to multiply the power of his sound element spell. His comrade screams a warning about the attack's insane range, while Nanziing calculates he can only multiply the power 4 more times. The soundproof barrier screams at its absolute limit. Despite the risk, he pushes the barrier to an impossible overload of 3 billion times its limit. Realizing it's still not enough, he commands Chuen to find a way to teleport both him and the creature far away from the 5th front. At the last possible second, his companion summons a wooden shield to protect her. The man screams for them to protect Chutian and keep her inside the soundproof barrier at all costs. Nanziing then unleashes a forbidden sound nullification spell, overloaded 1 million times. Since direct attacks failed, he'll use sonic interference, turning the monster's own venom against it. He declares that it doesn't matter if he's weak, so long as the attack works. With that, Nanziing unleashes a devastating sonic blast, overclocked 100 million times. The strike lands true, crippling the creature's eardrum, and proving his desperate technique is brutally effective. The creature hisses, calling him a pathetic insect, and fires a devastating blast directly from its maw. In response, Nanziing retaliates with focused sonic waves. Also overclocked 100 million times. Struck, the creature screams for its vines to form a desperate shield. At this moment, Nanziing knows his remaining source stones are dangerously low. He has to win this with a single decisive blow. He concludes that constantly relying on forbidden arts is a path to self-destruction. Then a wild idea sparks in his mind. What if he could transform an ordinary voice into a sonic wave attack? With this gamble, he uses the forbidden conversion spell, turning his shout into a weapon. The creature charges straight into the offensive. The blow lands, but it's far too weak. Nanziing admits his voice alone is not enough, but then wonders about the power of hundreds of millions of people shouting together. A colossal surge of energy begins to manifest on the battlefield. His companions watch as one asks if the battle is lost. Nanziing reveals the barrier will only last 10 more seconds and orders the entire city to shout as one. Through a desperate telepathic broadcast, Commander Wang Lele roars to all citizens to lend their voices to the fight. He screams, "Kath will prevail!" The people respond with a rising, powerful war cry. Through the city streets, the clamor echoes and grows. Soldiers and spirits alike join the chorus, screaming with all their might. Kath will prevail. The very beasts of the battlefield cry out their roars, echoing in a primal chorus. Nanziing unleashes an absorption spell. Seizing the sonic energy, he channels the raw power, blasting the creature with a focused wave of devastating sound. He overclocks his power 1 billionfold, manifesting a magnificent dragon of pure energy. The beast counters with a desperate sonic blast, but the dragon surges forth, shattering the enemy's attack. With a victorious war cry, Kath will not be denied. The energy dragon presses on, completely engulfing its foe. Nanziing roars for the creature to witness Kath's power and repent its arrogance against humanity. The dragon unleashes a furious roar, and the creature can only answer with a shriek of agony. Nanziing informs them he must return to the Void Gate to hold back the advancing horde, and to call him if another S rank appears. He turns to Chu Tian, his eyes filled with concern, asking if she has the strength to teleport them back to the cottage. With all her remaining strength, she manifests a portal confirming she can. In the next instant, she collapses into his arms. Nanziing declares her wounds take priority over everything else and dashes through the portal without a second thought. Outside the Void Gate, the battle rages on as a warrior unleashes his domain of annihilation upon the creatures. Another fighter, swarmed by serpentine monsters, scoffs that they aren't even good enough for soup. A young man declares he's no longer the fool he once was and summons a powerful water vortex to prove it. Meanwhile, two other warriors unleash the Inferno of Thorn Whirlwind, strangling one of the massive beasts. With the battle over, one complains that he's already hungry again. Another man wonders how Nanziing is faring. The reply is grim. On days like these, no news is good news. One of the warriors notices the gate hasn't sent any more A-rank aliens, suspecting a pattern to the teleportation. He immediately orders Su Lang to record all alien waves, tracking the time type and rank of every single one. Suang accepts without hesitation. Suddenly high in the dark sky, dozens of malevolent eyes snap open. Su Chang stares in disbelief, wondering what in the blazes that thing is. Back at the cabin, Nanziing bursts in carrying a gravely wounded Chu Tian. One woman immediately shouts for him to lay her down, while another rushes to find a healing potion. After she takes it, the news is dire. Chu Tian's internal injuries are catastrophic. She won't be using her powers for a very long time. Just then, an officer reports an S-rank alien threat. But he quickly moves to even grimmer news. America has fallen. A rebel army of 1 million Espers, led by an S-rank Reaper, is now bearing down on their 5th line of defense. Nanziing curses his fate. His source stones are completely depleted. Without them, and with no way to teleport, there's no chance he can get there in time. Su Xian suggests a desperate alternative, a power-boosting drug that grants a temporary surge of immense strength. But another woman warns that it drains the user's life force, and for someone so weak, the damage would be irreversible. Nanziing instantly dismisses it. They can't do that to a 9-year-old kid. His only option, he declares, is to summon a falcon and fly. Su Xian apologizes her heartbreaking, promising to think of another solution. Suddenly, Chu Tian sits bolt upright and demands the drug, shocking Nanziing, who thought she was unconscious. He tries to calm her, telling her it was all a dream, but she just scoffs, calling him a terrible liar. Nanziing sternly orders her not to be reckless, but she retorts that she's been reckless ever since she decided to follow him. Declaring she's just a reckless kid, she uses her power to snatch the drug right out of their hands. Nanziing watches in horror as she swallows it whole. She reminds him that this is war as her body begins to writhe on the bed. Panicked Nanziing screams her name as she convulses in agony. But then, with an impossible calm, she gently places a hand on his face. She leaps from the bed, completely transformed. She's overflowing with an energy she's never felt before, declaring it would be a waste not to use it. When Nanziing asks if she's sure, her confident reply is chilling. She could teleport the entire Earth out of orbit without even breaking a sweat. Seeing her conviction, he makes a decision. He demands more of the drug for himself. One woman hands over healing potions to counter the side effects, while another gives them food for the journey. Nanziing gratefully accepts the provisions, and Chu Tian even manages to wolf down a few bites. Meanwhile, back at this Void Gate, a man grimly notes that since Nanziing is a no-show, the S-class monster is theirs alone to defeat. Su Chang wastes no time summoning his powerful puppets into the fray. The marionettes surge forward, assaulting the grotesque multi-eyed creature. The entity unleashes a terrifying energy that instantly corrodes one puppet to dust, revealing its intensely corrosive nature. Moments later, but a sinister energy slithers forth, corroding the puppet master's strings. A desperate cry rings out, "Cut the strings!" The team narrowly escapes disaster as Su Chang grits his teeth, apologizing for his critical error. Thinking fast, a comrade declares their mission. Stop the corruption's spread. The plan, unleash the power of water. Lan Chongkong seizes the opportunity. He calls upon the boundless ocean itself, summoning a colossal water cube to trap the monstrosity. With a thunderous command to seal it, the liquid prison instantly solidifies around their foe. The creature is finally contained, but it thrashes violently within, straining against the walls as the group watches in absolute horror. The barrier groans, threatening to shatter under its immense power. The two brothers act instantly, weaving a root shield to reinforce the prison. A grim warning cuts through the air. It won't hold. Still, they pour every ounce of strength into the shield, enduring a relentless storm of corrosive attacks. Chushing analyzes the situation the water cube is dissolving, but it's bought them precious time. His mind races to the next logical step fire, but his hope falters. Not a single one of them is a fire mage. A brilliant idea sparks. Qinying suggests creating combustible plants, while another warrior vows to ignite them with his blade. In an instant, massive explosive flora erupt from the ground surrounding the chosen swordsman. He takes his stance, ready to unleash a cataclysmic strike. Sword chi clashes with the air, and the perfect spark is born. Flames roar to life, engulfing the beast, but their victory turns to ash as it simply splits in two, revealing a horrifying power of regeneration. The resulting shockwave sends Chu Xing flying backward through the air. Suspended in midair, he's swarmed by fragments of the monster. Sinister tentacles of energy lash out, dragging him toward the sky. But Chu Xing recovers his footing amidst the chaos, shouting to his comrades that he's not down yet. Qin Ying's voice is grim. Their repairs can't match the speed of the corrosion. Chuing asks Lance Chongkong if he can summon rain, but the answer crushes their hope. For now, all he can control is the tainted water they already have. Faced with this grim truth, a desperate plan is forged. Someone must breach the corrosive zone and strike the creature's core directly. Then, a sudden memory surfaces the spatial bubbles Nanza had created. With no guarantee of safety, the main character's sister makes a heroic choice, bravely charging forward inside one. It's their one and only chance. The spatial bubble cuts through the beast's foul flesh, and Chu Xingyi roars that their defenses are holding firm. A wave of cheers erupts from his companions, celebrating the daring move's success. Nanzishan rushes to heal him, but he waves her off, ordering her to focus her holy light on the corrosive blight instead. Just as their shield begins to shatter, she unleashes a brilliant new barrier of pure holy light. The divine barrier holds back the tide of corruption, but she warns them her power is fading. She can only cast it 2 more times. Chushingi asserts that it will be enough. Those 2 chances are all they need. He commands her to expand the shield for everyone, and with a surge of power, she obeys. Deep within the belly of the beast, Chushingi forges ahead, the holy light carving a path before him. And then he finds it the creature's pulsing core. Nanzishin's strength wavers, but she insists he must not worry. A warning rings out. Su Chong must act now before the core regenerates. Hearing the call, Su Chong unleashes his puppets in a devastating charge. The wood element siblings get their orders. Implant explosive seeds into the charging puppets. The wooden soldiers surge toward the core, but as they close in, the core's defenses obliterate them instantly. It doesn't matter. The seeds are delivered. A cry goes out to Chu Xingyi. Detonate them. He activates his domain field, his sword, she erupting in a shower of brilliant sparks. The sparks rain down, striking the core directly. A violent chain reaction begins, and the core erupts from within. The team dives into a spatial bubble just as the entire water prison destabilizes, threatening to explode. The bubble shields them from the cataclysmic shockwave that tears across the battlefield. Inside, Su Chong breaks the silence, grumbling about how long it's been since anyone's had a bath. Nanzi Shan retorts that her family prides itself on cleanliness. Lan Chongkong takes offense, snapping back that he may look like an old pickle jar, but he definitely doesn't smell like one. Then, Chinsui timidly admits the smell might be coming from her. She explains her brother taught her earth was precious, so she stopped washing, leaving him utterly mortified. One of their teammates bursts out laughing at the absurd confession. He then asks if they really need to stay crammed together now that the battle is finally over. With a nod, Nanzishan dissolves the bubble, and the group finally breathes fresh air. She notes a faint, earthy scent, far different from the pungent odor they endured before. Chinuei, looking pleased, declares she won't be needing a bath after all. But her brother quickly shoots that idea down, saying, "I don't think that's what she meant." Lan Chongkong and another companion offer their sleeves for a sniff test, but she pulls back, insisting, "It's not you guys either." Nanzishan's mind begins to race. When you've ruled out every impossibility, he muses. Whatever is left, no matter how unbelievable, must be the truth. Chuingi then turns to him, asking if he has enough energy to heal her. He gently touches her injured arm. "Does it hurt?" he asks before a mischievous smile spreads across his face. "Just kidding." There's plenty of time for that later. But Su Chang cries out dramatically, claiming the pain will surely be the end of him without immediate treatment. Nanzin just scoffs. "No one will think you're mute if you just stay quiet for a second." Beneath a nearby tree, he vows to become a silent guard dog, protecting his brother's happiness from the sidelines. He asks the others to go on ahead while he stands watch. Lan Chongkong immediately declares he'll stay too, earning praise for his unshakable loyalty. Meanwhile, in the frozen plains of Antarctica, Chuen stares in wonder. It's her first time ever seeing real-life penguins. Nanzing makes a solemn promise once the war is over, she will summon back the spirits of all their fallen friends. She then confirms she can bring them victory, and also summon more penguins. Standing before Earth's final source stone mine, he declares that this last shipment of crystals will be more than enough to fuel their war until the very end. He extends a hand, and the raw, untamed energy within the stones surges into his body. With his power fully restored, he prepares to summon the great legendary warriors of Antarctica, reinforcing Kath's fifth line of defense. Instantly, ancient spirits erupt from the frozen ground around him. But Chu Tian notices a glaring omission, asking why he summoned spirits from every lost nation except for Solaria. And his answer reveals a surprisingly selfish hidden desire. He speaks of his ultimate dream, a world finally free from the endless cycle of conflict, where ordinary people can live out their days in peace. Chu Tian calls him an idealist, adding with a smile that she truly wants to see that day arrive, so she can have an army of penguin friends. That day will come, he assures her. With their mission complete, Nanziing decides it's time to visit the Rift Reaper, tearing open a portal through space. Facing the Rift Reaper and its demonic horde, Nanziing casually remarks, "You've picked the perfect spot for a graveyard." The creature bows slightly, introducing itself as the Rift Reaper, a humble admirer of Nanziing's fearsome reputation. Taken aback by its eloquence, Nanziing notes it's the clearest speech he's ever heard from a monster. The Rift. Reaper claims it can now fully comprehend him, to which Nanziing sarcastically replies, "I'm so flattered." Suddenly, Captain John America crashes onto the scene with his elite soldiers. He proudly declares that America has made the one true choice for humanity's future, raising his mighty hammer. He and his troops let out a thunderous roar. "Long live America!" Nanziing looks on utterly disgusted. He scoffs that their over-the-top dramatics belong in Hollywood. Enraged by the disrespect, the captain snarls, threatening to smash his face into the dirt. The Rift Reaper calmly eyes the captain. "If you wish to fight," it says, "then by all means begin. I need to witness your true worth in battle." As the captain charges forward, Nanziing dismisses him as a mere warm-up and invites everyone to attack him at once. With a mighty yell, the captain summons what he believes is the legendary hammer of Thor. Nanziing scoffs at the pathetic display of energy. "You dare call yourself Thor with that little spark?" Then Nanziing unleashes his own power, summoning a true Thor's dragon. "Have you ever seen a real Cathay dragon?" he taunts. "Allow me to teach you a lesson." Nanziing unleashes a forbidden spell, amplifying the very element of lightning to its absolute limit. An immense golden lightning dragon materializes in the sky, causing the captain to shriek in pure, unadulterated terror. He recognizes the legendary creature instantly. The golden beast lunges, completely devouring the captain's paltry excuse for a lightning attack. Captain America can only stare dumbfounded. The sheer scale of this power is something his mind simply cannot comprehend. Desperately, he tries to resist throwing up a lightning aegis as a last-ditch defense. But the divine attack smashes through it like glass. He lets out a final scream of disbelief as the golden dragon slams him into the earth, crushing him completely. Shuton watching the brutal aftermath remarks on the captain's obsession with so-called greatness, and the ironic letter now stamped into the dirt from his helmet, the Rift. Reaper turns to the remaining soldiers, its voice cold as ice. "Your captain proved useless in death. Now I will clean up the rest of the trash." But Vice Captain Johnny America steps forward. He rallies the surviving troops, urging them to avenge their fallen leader in one final suicidal charge. Nanziing sighs. "These fools truly don't know when to quit." "Then you," he declares, "will be the first to witness my newest technique." He then fused two forbidden spells, Razor Gale and Sonic Wave, amplifying their power to catastrophic levels. The devastating technique crashed down upon the vice captain and his utterly bewildered soldiers. A celestial tremor shook the earth, engulfing them in 8 soul-shattering howls. Nanziing scoffed. "A fine tomb you've dug for yourselves." He then graciously offered to grant them eternal rest. He summoned a protective earth dragon, but the focused sonic waves slammed into their crumbling bastion of defense. A soldier screamed in pure terror as his meager earth shield shattered into dust around him. Thrown back, the warrior could only gasp in disbelief, questioning how one man could possibly wield so many powers. Nanziing sauntered towards the fallen, telling them the answer was quite simple. "If you truly wish to be great again." He initiated a forbidden summoning, commanding their spirits to rise, fight for Earth, and bolster Kath's 5th line of defense. Spectral forms clawed their way from the ground. Their spirits reanimated were now ready to fight once more in humanity's name. The Rift Reaper witnessed this overwhelming display of power. It finally acknowledged Nanziing's true worth, declaring that a grand battle between them was now inevitable. Nanziing had to admit this was the most cunning alien he had ever encountered. He almost found himself admiring its audacity. Still, an enemy is an enemy. He commanded his spirits to charge forward in an infernal assault for Earth. The creature suddenly proposed a wager, spinning through the air with astonishing agility. It suggested a battle of wits. The loser would swear absolute fealty to the victor. Nanziing accepted the wager, but immediately changed the terms. If the Rift Reaper won, Nanziing's life would be forfeit. But if Nanziing won, he would only accept the creature's service if it could prove its true worth. He then manifested a reverse cyclone as a counterattack, which collided violently with the creature's fiery assault. The Rift. Reaper accepted the new terms without a shred of hesitation, its hunger for the coming conflict undeniable. In an instant, a relentless barrage of fireballs streaked towards Nanziing. He calmly raised an energy barrier to shield himself, then amplified a glacial formation by a staggering 50 times. His empowered ice attack tore through the fireballs, triggering a massive earth-shaking explosion that ripped across the battlefield. Through the smoke and fire, the Rift Reaper condensed a massive sphere of pure destruction. The fiery orb hurtled towards the glacial barrier, as Nanziing declared he would amplify his ice formation 100-fold. But even as the icy structure expanded at a terrifying rate, it was violently annihilated by the direct hit. The Rift. Reaper scoffed, calling the defense insufficient, before summoning a devastating rain of celestial fire meteors. Watching the incandescent shower descend, Nanziing realized he had no other choice. He had to unleash his ultimate move, a power he had never revealed until this very moment. His aura exploded as he activated the forbidden spell Overdrive, initiating Star Genesis to seize control of the falling meteors. With a will that bent the cosmos, he took complete command of the attack, ordering all projectiles to veer away from Earth and return to the void. The Rift Reaper gaped in disbelief. Could this human truly manipulate the stars? And why had he never used such power to protect the planet before? Stepping forward, Nanziing retorted that cyclones, projectiles, and even fire meteors were now utterly useless against him. He challenged the Reaper to show him any other tricks it had left, as he prepared to strike with the Asura Dragon Hunter technique. Nanziing deftly dodged the creature's incoming attack, commenting that if he had a choice, he wouldn't be brawling with it at all. But since the Rift Reaper had no intention of surrendering, their little chat would have to wait. He immediately reactivated the forbidden spell, Overdrive summoning a colossal magma dragon from the depths of the earth. With a single command to advance, the fiery beast lunged at its opponent, their immense powers triggering a cataclysmic explosion. Nanziing observed that with this move, their forces were finally and truly evenly matched. The magma dragon grappled with the Rift Reaper, its molten body managing to completely immobilize the creature. With the enemy pinned, the young hero decided to add the Asura's infernal slash to the assault. The Rift Reaper reacted violently, making Nanziing wonder if it had triggered some kind of earthquake ability. Analyzing the chaotic situation, he deduced the monster's weak point had to be its back. It was desperately trying to protect it while the dragon restrained its tail. Now that he'd exposed its vulnerability, he declared the fight would become simple and began preparing another forbidden spell. Harnessing the power of the planet, he invoked the Earth's multiple convergence. He then gathered energy from the sky and finally unleashed the myriad tribulations of lightning. Pummeled by the relentless attacks, the Rift Reaper shrieked for him to stop roaring its surrender. The beast bows its head, pledging a lifetime of servitude to Nanziing. But Nanziing's eyes narrow with suspicion. How could he trust an alien, especially one with such terrifying intelligence? He demands proof of its worth and unwavering loyalty. In that very instant, the crackling lightning attack freezes in midair. He reminds the creature of its failed tribulation, a thinly veiled threat. The Rift Reaper claims to understand his concerns and proposes a dangerous gamble, asking Nanziing to recall his magma dragon so it can use its own tail. Nanziing dismisses the very idea of a gamble, declaring the creature wouldn't survive a rematch anyway. The monster thanks him for his wisdom, then raises its own tail, exposing its ultimate vulnerability. It explains that these are its descendants, the final seeds for its civilization's continuation, and entrusts their future into his hands. Stunned, Nanziing questions if he can truly bear such a heavy responsibility, but the Rift Reaper's resolve is absolute. Nanziing's hand moves, coating his blade in a deadly poison. He interrogates the beast. How can he be sure these descendants aren't some hidden weapon or a Trojan horse for a much larger invasion? Without another word, Nanziing strikes. His poisoned blade slashes the Rift Reaper's back as dark liquid erupts from the gaping wound. The Rift Reaper explains it intentionally lowered all of its defenses. It willingly took the blow, and now asks if Nanziing can finally trust it. Nanziing admits he is only halfway convinced, demanding the reason for such a desperate act. The creature then reveals a shocking truth. Its race and humanity are in essence equal. Both were invaded, and both were pushed to the absolute brink of annihilation. Deep down, it too is an enemy of the true invaders. Nanziing challenges the audacity of an invader, calling itself a victim, asking if there's any line it wouldn't cross to survive. The Rift Reaper responds that his doubt only exists because Nanziing is unaware of the terrifying truth behind the 10,000 races invasion. It reveals that this entire war is merely a game orchestrated by a godlike civilization called the Celestials. And Earth is just the chosen arena for their pre-dual cleansing. Faced with this horrifying new reality, Nanziing asks a chilling question. Are humans not even qualified to be players in their game? Just ants, destined to be crushed underfoot. The Rift Reaper confirms his worst fears, and Nanziing presses for every detail about its race and the Celestials. The creature begins its tragic tale of its people, the Sky Scorpions. They once thrived on planet N66, the undisputed rulers of their world. Millions of years of war and evolution forged a civilization founded on peace. But that harmony was shattered in an instant when a Celestial descended upon their planet. The entity demanded they participate in the 10,000 Races tournament. Their refusal was met with a brutal, overwhelming assault from its warriors. The cost was catastrophic. The power wielded by a Celestial was on a scale beyond their wildest comprehension. Comrades and kin were slaughtered one after another as the Celestial commanded the very elements of the cosmos. The entire war lasted less than 30 minutes. Their defeat was absolute, pushing them to choose total annihilation over a life of servitude. As the sole survivor, he was branded a traitor by his own dying people. But he couldn't stand by and watch his entire civilization vanish, forced into this twisted hunting game to survive. Nanziing reels, a whole race wiped out in less than 30 minutes. He asks why the Rift Reaper chose to bet its entire future on him. The Rift Reaper responds that it sensed an aura within Nanziing, an aura disturbingly similar to that of the Celestials. Shocked, Nanziing demands how that could be possible. The creature explains that while the essence was faint, it was identical. The elemental control Nanziing displayed in battle was the undeniable proof. His mind races, grappling with his past life, his rebirth, wondering if it all ties back to these Celestials and their truly terrifying objective. The Rift Reaper adds that it also sensed something within Nanziing that resonated with its own civilization's power. That is why it chose submission over death. Nanziing asks what value the Rift Reaper could possibly offer him. The creature's response is simple. It can obliterate any alien below S rank, and it understands the mechanics of the Void Gate. Nanziing sets his conditions. The monster must obey his every command until the war ends. In return, he will ensure its safe return to its home world. The creature bows low, a gesture of profound and desperate gratitude. With the pact sealed, Nanziing calls for Chutian, announcing it's time to leave. She appears instantly, only to freeze in shock seeing the monster still alive. Nanziing casually introduces the beast as Reaver, the newest member of their squad. He asks her to teleport them back to the Void Gate battlefield, promising a full explanation on the way. Chutian agrees, activating her spatial teleportation. A shimmering portal tears open reality before them. But in that moment, she realizes a critical flaw in the plan. Reaver is far too massive for the gate. The Rift Reaper offered an apology. He explained he could shrink his massive form, or even take on a human shape. But doing so would seal away his combat power. Nanziing agreed to the terms, and the Reaper began its transformation. The colossal beast begins to warp and contort. Its very silhouette shimmers, twisting into something utterly unrecognizable. In its new form, the creature asks, "Is this shape to your liking?" Chuen declares with a twitching eye that she has a sudden violent urge to punch something. Nanziing, face in his palm, admits his own fists clenched on instinct. With that disastrous first impression, Nanziing begs Reaver to try a male form, one that doesn't violate every law of human aesthetics. Swirling energy once again engulfs the alien as the transformation begins anew. And with his brand new look, Reaver asks again if this will do. Nanziing and Chuen can only stare, completely speechless. A heartbeat later, they both lunge forward in pure exasperation. They demand to know how he butchered human aesthetics so badly, and why in the world is his tail on the front. Reaver apologizes, admitting he has much to learn as his body shifts again. Finally, Nanziing gives a nod of approval. Now that's much better. Chuen tosses him some clothes to cover up, which he accepts with a polite nod. Meanwhile, back at the Void Gate battlefield, Lan Chongkong notes to Chu Xingyi how eerily silent the gate has been for hours. Chu Xingyi agrees, sensing a pattern to the invasions. Just then, a portal rips open. Lan Chongkong shouts, "There is a pattern." Both warriors instantly snap into a fighting stance, demanding the figure identify itself. They realize it's not human. But then Nanziing steps through the portal, casually introducing his new S-rank alien ally, Reaver. The two warriors are left completely dumbfounded. Reaver explains they won't need to stand guard all night. Apparently, the gate is only active at dawn for most invaders. Nanziing then gets straight to the point. How do they close this thing? Reaver reveals a shocking truth. Each invading race has its own unique passage. To stop them for good, they must cross that passage, annihilate the aliens on the other side, and destroy their teleportation hub. Nanziing immediately spots a flaw. Couldn't the aliens just rebuild the hub? Reaver confirms they could, but the rules of this twisted game forbid it. He delivers the final, chilling piece of the puzzle. Once a hub is destroyed, the so-called Celestials simply wipe that entire race from existence. As the team grapples with this terrifying truth, wondering if they can even fight such beings, Nanziing cuts right through the tension. He says they should focus on what's in front of them, one step at a time. Chu Xingyi agrees, suggesting they table the cosmic horror for now. Since there won't be any attacks until dawn, they should head back to the cabin. Chuen agrees, teleporting them all back to join their comrades. And back at the cabin, a glorious feast awaits them. Sunli can't believe it. He never imagined they'd be sharing a meal with a former enemy. Susan chimes in that new friends are always a blessing, warmly telling Reaver not to hesitate and to make himself at home. Reaver mutters her words back to himself. "Don't hesitate. Make this my home." And then, without another thought, he becomes a vortex, inhaling every last crumb on the table in a single terrifying instant. Face smeared with grease, he asks with pure innocence, "Was I being too polite? May I have another serving?" The entire team immediately dogpiles the gluttonous alien, while Susan just sighs. She remarks that their culture is vast, and he clearly has a long way to go. The chaos ends with Reaver being unceremoniously launched out of the cabin. Lying battered on the ground, he can only lament his mistake. "If only I knew," he moans, "I would have asked for 10 tables worth." With the feast annihilated, the group has no choice but to start cooking all over again. And this time, they're having a proper barbecue. Qining and Qinwei use their powers to instantly grow and harvest fresh vegetables. Then Lan Qiankong unleashes his own ability to wash every single ingredient in one clean sweep. Next, Chu Xingyi and Sunli team up their blades a blur as they slice and dice the veggies with expert precision. And for the main event, Nanziing himself steps up using his raw electrical power to roast an entire pig's head to absolute perfection. Reaver watches every single step with laser focus, determined not to repeat his disastrous mistake. Nanziing gives him a stern warning: wait until everyone has eaten before you even think about touching the leftovers. Once everyone is finally eating, Nanziing announces their next move. Tomorrow they enter the Void Gate. He immediately gives Reaver a critical mission: eliminate any and all creatures that try to come through behind them. When asked how Reaver can handle another S-rank threat alone, Suchanga offers a chilling solution by using the countless corpses scattered outside with Reaver's unique abilities. Someone immediately protests his gruesome wording, but Su Chang just shrugs, knowing his grim point was understood. Meanwhile, Sulong and Shenye were burning for a real fight. They pleaded to be sent to the front lines for intense training. Now that they knew the enemy's patterns, their own power could evolve at lightning speed. Nanziing instantly approved assigning them to Su Cheng's combat unit. Meanwhile, He Chutian and the main party would breach the gate directly. Zhu Yuan then made a brilliant suggestion: share the brutal lessons learned over the last 2 days of war. The team immediately dove into a serious strategy session, debating how to sharpen their techniques, brew deadlier poisons, and evolve their elemental powers. They also needed to craft far more powerful healing items. The very next day, a void gate ripped open on the desolate battlefield, unleashing a hellish horde of alien monsters. Nanzing's command cut through the air. All forces prepare for combat. He then ordered Chuen to teleport them right into the chaos. Chuen ignited her spatial link, initiating the jump. A shimmering portal tore through reality. She gestured for everyone to charge through, ready to invade the unknown world that awaited. The team arrived, their senses assaulted by a crushing wave of dizziness. Nanziing's voice steadied them. Stay calm. Center your breathing. As their vision cleared, they saw not one portal, but countless shimmering gateways. The truth hit them instantly. The rank of the alien race within was determined by how deep each passage went. With this critical insight, Nanziing made a tactical decision. They would start with a low-rank passage to test the waters. The moment they stepped inside, they were overwhelmed by a world completely unlike their own, an environment terraformed to suit the alien horrors of this domain. 2 nearby guards chatted idly, boasting that their planet's main army would arrive tomorrow. Suddenly, the gate directly behind them violently shattered. The team emerged from the swirling cloud of dust and rubble where the portal once stood. In the distance, a colossal city of stone loomed. They knew at once the teleportation axis had to be hidden deep within its walls. A squad of enraged enemy warriors charged forward, screaming about ants invading their territory and demanding their total annihilation. Nanziing didn't even blink. He prepared to unleash an apocalypse, activating the forbidden spell Windblade Overlay. A massive swirling vortex of razor-sharp blades erupted around him. Moments later, the entire stone city was consumed by a chain of cataclysmic explosions. A terrifying notification appeared. Game over for the Jin Shiking. Their whole planet had just been erased into cosmic dust. His companions could only stare in stunned silence, wondering if following him here had been a fatal mistake. They had just witnessed an entire world get wiped out by a single attack. Amidst the destruction, Nanziing felt something was off. His source stone hadn't been consumed. He quickly pieced it together. The immense energy of the Void Gate must have nullified the spell's cost. But his relief was cut short as a strange, ominous mark began to burn itself onto his hand. Was this mysterious brand the price for using his power inside the gate? And what would the final cost truly be? Jang Yuan noticed the dark look on his face and asked, "What is it? What's wrong?" But Nanziing just brushed it aside. "We need to move faster. The sooner we destroy the teleportation axis, the safer Hakia will be." Jang Yuan saw the strange expression in his eyes, but decided he would ask his questions after they got back. Nanziing issued his commands. Every member would enter a different gate to face their assigned targets, while he alone took responsibility for the S-rank threats. He pressed forward, approaching an area where the portals pulsed with a far greater, more menacing power. This had to be the source of the S-rank aliens. He carefully observed the unique patterns etched on each portal. He wondered if only ranks above S were given such special designs when he recognized the bat symbol of an S-rank race he'd fought on the battlefield before. However, the Rift Reaper's crest seemed faint and weak. He wondered if the entire race was extinct, leaving only Reaver behind. Shaking off the thought, he dashed toward their portal, ready to eliminate some familiar faces first. As he burst through the gateway, he wondered if any residual mental energy still lingered here. While moving deeper, he pondered why the gate was a one-way path, and why this powerful entity didn't just unleash all its armies at once. He couldn't shake one horrifying thought. Was some divine being doing all of this just for its own twisted amusement? Meanwhile, in another desolate realm, grotesque creatures marched in a disciplined column toward a glowing portal. 2 of them chattered excitedly, commenting that today was the day of teleportation. One of them sneered, boasting about how easily they would crush the inferior races waiting for them. Just then, Nanziing smashed through the gateway as the portal exploded behind him. The alien creatures were completely bewildered by his shocking arrival. It wasn't time for the teleport yet. They panicked, wondering if the ants had actually launched a counterattack. But Nanziing charges forward, his spirit unbroken. Their leader screams its orders. Engage, launch a full-scale psychic assault. Nanziing instantly senses it, a collective mental attack of terrifying power. Against this psychic tidal wave, he focuses erecting an impenetrable mental fortress. But then 2 creatures synchronize, weaving an illusion of pure seduction, while the others provide support. 2 captivating figures appear, beckoning him to let his guard down. They draw close, their touch meant to soothe his battle-worn muscles, whispering promises of peace. They urge him to surrender to bliss, to forget the struggle, to forget everything. For a single terrifying moment, he seems to break, whispering, "I will." But then his eyes blaze with fury. He finishes his sentence with a snarl. "I will curse your entire bloodline." He attacks, shattering one of the phantoms with raw power. Nanziing scoffs. You dare underestimate humanity with such a pathetic trick. The creature reels its mind shattered. Their intelligence was a grave miscalculation, and their attack has utterly failed. The alien desperately tries to force a direct mental link, but Nanziing severs the connection instantly. Don't even think about it, he growls, raising his weapon to declare their fate. All of you will perish here. The alien commander shudders with a horrifying realization. They have just provoked a truly terrifying existence. Desperate, the creatures change their forms, shape-shifting into the faces of Nanziing's own comrades. But Nanziing only laughs at their pathetic ploy. Did they truly believe such a cheap trick would fool him? He then unleashes an attack born from hell itself. Hell on Earth. The creatures are immediately swallowed by the technique's absolute overwhelming power. With one final swing of his blade, he erases their very existence from this world. He mutters to himself, that was far easier than before. Without a moment's rest, he turns his gaze to the next challenge, the Sonic Bat King. The beast retaliates with a piercing sonic wave, but a majestic dragon soul erupts from him to intercept the blow. The dragon's resonant roar completely shatters the enemy's attack. As the dust settles, Nanziing declares, this battle is finished. A moment later, the mysterious mark on his hand burns once more. He realizes this must be the price he pays for bypassing the use of source stones. Even with his supplies dwindling, victory in this war is the only thing that matters. Stealing his resolve, he prepares for the next foe, the Spectre of Decadence. Meanwhile, Chutian floats between the portals safe and sound inside her protective barrier. She watches everyone's progress, wishing she'd brought some grilled eggplant to snack on, since right now she's just a spectator. Suddenly, a colossal, fiery explosion erupts right in front of her sphere. Startled, she spots an alien and realizes with pure terror that she's frozen in place. In that same instant, a gigantic dragon appears, its roar shaking the very fabric of space. The dragon lunges its jaws open wide to devour her, and Chutian can only scream in absolute terror. Chutian! Nanziing roars, charging the monster head-on. He instantly weaves a forbidden thunder spell, trapping the beast within a thunder desolation prison. He then sends an urgent command to Qinying and Qinsui. Get the girl to safety now. Just as a mysterious figure darts towards a portal, Qinying and Qinsui arrive on the scene. Qinsui scoops Chutian into his arms as the siblings try to calm her. Qinying remarks, she's the eldest, but still just a kid at heart. But Chutian just scoffs, pushing away their concern. Scared? Why would I be scared when you guys are here? A massive bolt of lightning crashes down upon the dragon, but the thunder prison quickly fades and the spatial lock shatters into pieces. Nanziing sees the beast breaking free and sends an urgent telepathic warning to Su Chang. Meanwhile, back at the fortress gate, the Rift Reaper unleashes a devastating barrage of celestial fire meteors, triggering a chain reaction of explosions that annihilates the enemy ranks. His allies can only murmur in awe, so that's an S rank. He's on a completely different level. The Reaper reverts to his human form, boasting just a light warm-up. His teammates just roll their eyes. Get back to the fight, don't get cocky. He can only apologize sheepishly. Just then, Nanziing's telepathic warning arrives. An S-rank sky dragon is headed your way. Its breath can freeze both time and space. Su Chang receives the grim message just as the dragon lunges, unleashing its terrifying power. A warning screams out, Reaper, watch out for its breath. But the monstrous beast roars, releasing its icy blast, and the Reaper realizes it's already too late. Su Chang tries to activate his celestial puppet threads, but his body is completely frozen in place. Undeterred, he forces his power to obey, weaving a celestial net to ensnare the dragon and sever its forbidden contract. But the dragon unleashes another wave of frost. Su Chang gasps in horror. Even his legendary puppet threads are frozen solid, leaving him utterly powerless. But he has to save the Rift Reaper, no matter the cost. With a mighty crash, a companion shatters the Reaper's icy prison. The impact frees him, but Su Chang roars his name in alarm. Instantly, Su Ling's sacred light mends his wounds. Su Chang glares daggers at the dragon, declaring, the Rift Reaper stands with me now. If you want him, you'll have to get through me first. An overwhelming wave of emotion crashes over the Reaper. He murmurs the word, comrades, but Su Ling, ever the pragmatist, snaps. Quit your whining over a mere scratch. Shenie urgently shouts a warning to Su Chang. Watch out for its breath. The time and space freeze lasts a full 10 seconds. Su Chang just scoffs. Paralysis arts. My ancestors mastered tricks like that while your entire dragon race was still hatching. Enraged, the dragon roars, fool, and charges forward. But Su Chang calmly unleashes a veritable army of puppets. As they morph into deadly beasts, Shenie warns, be careful of their claws. The dragon is pummeled by a storm of piercing strikes, but it retaliates with raw fury, slamming its colossal tail directly into Su Chang. Realizing their communication is too slow, Shenie knows they need a new strategy. Right on cue, Su Chang activates their perception link. In an instant, their senses become one. Immediately, Shenie unleashes the full power of her Eye of Prediction, shouting, I can only hold this for 10 seconds. Seizing the opportunity, Su Chang commands the Rift Reaper to provide covering fire. The Reaper responds in a heartbeat, launching a barrage of celestial fire meteors as the dragon unleashes its devastating freezing breath. But Su Chang capitalizes on the opening, lunging forward with his celestial net and roaring, "Rip this beast to shreds." Su Chang commanded his celestial net to utterly obliterate the creature. He yanked the threads with all his might, roaring for the dragon to be torn asunder. But the beast fought back, a deadly energy brewing in its maw. Then Su Chang saw it, the reverse scale on its forehead, the source of its regeneration. He began to predict its every move. The dragon tried to unleash its power, but Su Chang stopped it at the last possible second. With the threads pulled taut, he ripped the reverse scale from the creature's head, vowing to turn it into a pathetic worm. Holding the scale high, he declared his victory. The dragon's body began to crumble to dust as Su Chang announced the fight was over. But the overwhelming effort had taken its toll. Suling and Shanye collapsed, dragging Su Chang down with them. He quickly scooped them into his arms, shouting their names in desperation. The Reaper rushed over, offering to carry one, but Suling intervened, assuring him it was not necessary. She then conjured a healing dome over them all. Inside, Shanye remarked that they were finally no longer a burden to the team. Su Chang thanked them for breaking the stalemate, only for her to reply that no one on this team was ever expendable. He then offered a vial, explaining it was a rapid recovery medicine created by Chen Linyi. Suling scoffed, saying it was rare to hear kind words from him, while Shanye added that she thought a dog's mouth could only bark. Su Chang merely stared at her, speechless. In an instant, they were both fully recovered, amazed by the medicine's potency. He then asked what they planned to do now that their strength was restored. With a grin, Su Chang declared he was going to escape the girl who complained about his kind words, then swept her up into his arms. Suling watched them go, commenting on how incredibly childish they both were. The Reaper added that the scene reminded him of his own childhood chasing sunsets on his home planet. Meanwhile, Qin Ying and Qin Shui geared up to test new techniques on the final teleportation axis. Qin Ying first conjured the Abyssal Wood, then unleashed the Sky Pillar Tomb Seal. Without missing a beat, Qin Yang prepared his own assault. He struck with Earthroot Annihilation, causing the structure to violently collapse. The siblings' combined attack triggered a chain reaction of explosions. Qin Shui commented that the sheer destructive power of their new technique was incredibly satisfying. Qin Ying agreed, crediting Su Chang for the brilliant idea. She noted her brother's strength had grown. He confirmed it, explaining it was due to the higher spiritual energy density in the area. Qin Ying declared that once they were done here, they would head to the rank area, but not before recovering their strength and developing even more powerful techniques. Elsewhere, Lan Zhongxiong faced off against a formidable fire elemental creature. He deployed a specialized freezing agent in attack that instantly froze the raging flames, leaving shimmering ice crystals suspended in midair. Next, he launched a barrage of ice spikes, hitting the creature squarely with the frigid projectiles. Without a moment's hesitation, he then targeted the teleportation axis itself. Lan Zhongqiong mused on how unbelievably useful the freezing agent he got from Su Zianan truly was. This power allowed him to become a true dual master of water and ice. Elsewhere, Chu Xinghe unleashed his own domain, the realm of his sword aura. He saw it in an instant. Picking off these minions one by one was a fool's errand. True efficiency demanded a single decisive strike against the core target. The Guardians roared, surging forward to defend the tower. They launched a perfectly coordinated assault against the intruder. For a heart-stopping moment, he thought they had seen through his plan. But then, Chu Xinghe activated his domain's true power. The Mirage Sword Aura. Trapped between reality and illusion, the Guardians went wild. They began attacking anything and everything in their sight. A smirk played on his lips. He asked aloud, "Whoever said a domain master must remain inside their own domain?" Chu Xinghe declared their defeat was caused by their own narrow minds. Chuan confirmed their progress was swift. After a brief rest, their next target was the winged sky dragon's teleportation axis. Nanziing announced he would scout ahead. He needed to investigate the rank S alien race, and warned his team not to move until his signal. With a burst of speed, he shot forward, unleashing a devastating blow with his spear. But he was forced back instantly. Shock was written all over his face. At the unbelievable sight before him, Chu Xinghe stared at the swarm of jellyfish-like things. He wondered if this was even a single being. He narrowly evaded a lightning-fast attack. The enemy's reaction time was insane. Dodging once more, he questioned if it even had a mind. Chu Xinghe charged in, blade raised, and unleashed a mighty strike against the beast. But the impact was brutal. A powerful shockwave ripped the blade from his grasp. His sword clattered to the ground as a foul, noxious smoke billowed from the creature's hide. Jumping back to safety, a grim realization dawned on him. This thing wasn't just using lightning. Its very body was highly corrosive. Without a second's hesitation, he ordered Chuan to deploy a spatial bubble. She responded, instantly activating the skill. A protective barrier shimmered into existence around him. But as he watched the creature regenerate, Chu Xinghe knew his sword was useless here. He would need something more powerful. He needed forbidden formations and forbidden spells. He summoned an ice formation with an outstretched hand. A wave of frost surged forward. But would it be enough to freeze this monstrosity? The ice proved completely useless against this bizarre life. Left with no other choice, he unleashed another forbidden art, the Raging Flame Dragon. The fiery dragon slammed into the monster, but the attack only made the venomous mist even more toxic. He watched in horror as the toxic mist began to eat away at his protective spatial bubble. Filled with dread, he urged Chuen to reinforce the barrier. She complied without hesitation. Next, he prepared another forbidden spell, a focused soundwave attack. To his absolute shock, the creature absorbed the sound waves as well. The enemy then fired his own attack right back at them. He knew Chuen couldn't hold on much longer. He had to find its weakness and end this fight now. A new strategy formed in his mind. He would turn its own power against it. He unleashed the ultimate technique, the 30,000 lightning tribulation spell. Every last bolt of lightning was absorbed without resistance. Faced with total failure, he tried to detonate the energy from within. But the creature didn't explode. Instead, it seemed to grow even stronger. Chuen's voice cried out, "The venom's corrosion is too powerful." She yelled, "I can't maintain the barrier much longer." At the same time, Chu Xingyi's arms screamed in agony from the spell recoil. The pain was getting worse by the second. He came to a conclusion. If pushing power into it doesn't work, maybe pulling power out of it will destroy it. Preparing for one final gamble, he gathered his energy for another forbidden art. Xu Xingyi unleashed a spell designed to rip the very lightning element from the creature's body. All of its immense energy was torn from its core, concentrating into a swirling orb in his hand. He compressed the violent power into a dense sphere. He yelled for Chuen to coordinate the teleportation. She confirmed she was ready. Xu Xingyi took aim, ready to unleash the sphere of raw energy. As he threw it, he commanded her to teleport it straight to the opposite gate, ensuring none of its power was wasted. In another location entirely, a massive draconic beast appeared. It roared its intent to devour all and become the one true king. But its triumphant roar was cut short as something massive came hurtling through the sky. The creature looked up. It wondered, what are these insignificant ants? Just then, the sphere of pure energy slammed right into it. Back on the battlefield, Chuen finally collapsed. She whispered that she couldn't hold on any longer. Chu Xingyi screamed her name, just as the protective barrier shattered into pieces. He stared down the weakened monster, realizing with dread, the venom was still active even without its lightning. Facing the toxic threat, he conjured a protective cyclone, another one of his forbidden spells. He was certain of it. The same principle that worked for lightning should work for water. He began extracting the aquatic element. Xu Xingyi unleashed yet another forbidden art, ripping the water element straight from the monster's body. The power concentrated. He channels the stolen energy, forcing it to compress. The water obeys, condensing into a raging vortex of pure, untamed power. The Tempest stabilizes now, a formidable weapon in his palm. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he unleashes the liquid cannonball straight at the enemy's gate. Model. Elsewhere, a monstrous beast is flash-frozen in its tracks, caught by the devastating teleported strike. Then, Chu Xing unleashes a forbidden earth technique, calling forth the legendary Grand Earth Burial. But the price for such power is steep. The cursed marks on his body flare to life, searing him with an intensifying fiery pain. His energy is draining away with every second. As darkness begins to fall, he rushes to Chuen's side, finding her still unconscious. He gently rouses her, offering a healing elixir. He urges her to drink it quickly, promising they can finally go home. Chuen, still dazed, asks if they actually won. A calm, knowing smile is his only answer, a silent confirmation of their victory. Through a mental command, Chu Xing orders everyone to regroup at the passage, ready to return to the cabin's safety. A wave of celebration erupts. The group cheers their victory over the Dragonwing lair, joking that their shift is finally over and demanding overtime pay. Rift Reaver chimes in sheepishly, asking if he should feel embarrassed for wanting the same thing. Sunli just laughs, noting that Rift Reaver has truly mastered the Hakia sense of humor. Su Xiaonan and Chen Liani are already busy with medical kits, one calling to the other for medicine and cotton. She wonders aloud how in the world their team got so completely battered in just a single day. At the dinner table, Jang Yuan assures them their wounds aren't critical. He insists they all eat heartily to speed up their recovery. But the woman quickly points out to Rift Reaver that his portion isn't on the table. He responds smoothly, understanding that his only job is to sit there and add to the celebratory mood. She smirks, clarifying that his main course is waiting outside. The day's hunt was simply too massive to bring into the house. Meanwhile, Lan Chong Kong is boasting to Su Chang, claiming he single-handedly defeated 27 A-rank aliens or less. Su Chang just scoffs, reminding him he barely made it back in one piece, even with the whole team's help. A younger squad mate cuts through their bickering, proudly declaring they actually managed to take down an S-rank monster. Su Chang lets out a chuckle, telling Lanchkong that it seems their little retriever has finally learned how to talk back. One of the young men reports that their abilities have all leveled up, and the Daxia 5th defense line is finally starting to shrink. A woman warns Nanziing not to overexert himself. He simply replies that he'll explain everything after they eat, not wanting to ruin their well-deserved meal. Later inside the clinic, Nanziing makes a secret request. He asks them to examine the strange markings covering his body. He needs to know what they are. Suziana guesses they might just be some kind of elaborate tattoo. But Chenlani has a darker theory. She wonders if it's a curse, a consequence for overusing forbidden arts. Nanziing confirms her worst fear. It is indeed a curse. The woman presses on the strange patterns, but he explains it doesn't hurt. It's a burning sensation, a fire that ignites whenever he uses a forbidden spell. A sample of his blood is carefully drawn, whisked away for immediate analysis. One of the medics asks Nanzan to attempt a sacred light healing spell before she and her colleague make a hasty exit. Outside, the team bombards her with questions, but she has no answers yet. Nanzan begins casting the sacred light purification on Nanziing, but she quickly realizes the holy magic has absolutely no effect on the marks. Unfazed, she decides to unleash an enhanced cure instead. The moment the enhanced cure makes contact, the marks react violently, catching Nanziing completely off guard. Suddenly, the curse strikes back with terrifying force, launching Nanzan across the room. Nanziing screams his sister's name in pure terror. A comrade lunges forward to catch her, desperately asking if she's all right. Shaken Nanzan confirms she's okay. The marks writhe across Nanziing's skin like living things. He wonders if the curse itself directly countered the sacred light. Nanzan explains that the curse feels like a sentient being, capable of launching its own attacks, something she has never encountered before. The other medics rush back in with the results. The analysis shows his skin tissue is completely normal, nothing more than simple pigmentation. She can't believe her ears. How is that possible after it just attacked them? She speculates it might be some kind of horrifying parasite. One of their companions helps support the shaken Nanzan, as the doctor admits the situation is beyond strange and will require far more testing. But Nanziing declares he's prepared for whatever comes next. The doctor decides to try a curse-removing ointment first. Nanziing feels nothing at all. As the curse shows no sign of fading, he declares the method completely useless. With the gentle approach failing, they turn to a folk remedy from Xiaoan, a highly corrosive alien venom. The young woman warns him the pain will feel like being burned alive and asks if he wants an anesthetic. Nanziing scoffs, questioning if she's underestimating his will to endure. He tells her to just begin. The venom is poured directly onto his arm. A raw scream of agony is torn from his throat. The woman observes in horror that the venom is only melting his flesh, leaving the curse marks untouched. This brutal method had also failed. Looking closer at the gruesome wound, her colleague points out the impossible beneath the corroded skin, the flesh and blood still carry the unholy mark. She saw then that the sinister mark wasn't just skin deep. It reached his very bones. Nanziing realized with dread that to truly remove it, he'd have to sacrifice his entire arm. He instantly dismissed the horrifying thought, especially since the curse felt dormant for now. Just then, Nanziing stepped forward, offering to mend the corroded flesh. But as she channeled her healing arts, she discovered the mark fought back, regenerating itself instantly. A shocking thought struck Nanziing. What if this wasn't a curse, but a new power? One that supercharged his regeneration every time he used a forbidden art. Convinced it was nothing more than a false alarm, Su Cheng dismissed the gathering. Deep within the forest, Qin Sui and Qin Ying began to channel their incredible power. They wove a powerful spell, and a wooden cabin erupted from the very earth. The structure grew from the ground, a seamless part of the living forest. Rift. Viver reflected that on his home world, he was always the one building for others. But now, for the first time, they were building a home just for him. When it was complete, the siblings urged him inside to see their creation. Qin Ying explained that the home's design was a reflection of how much they all cared for him. With a flick of a switch, a projector whirred to life, a thoughtful gift from Chu Tian. The gesture shattered Rift Reaver's composure, and he burst into tears, thanking them over and over. His display was so heartfelt that Qin Su and Qin Ying couldn't help but playfully tease him for being such a crybaby. Meanwhile, Chu Chongchong and Chu Tian were having a quiet chat outside the main building. He presented her with the custom rings she had asked for, each one perfectly engraved with the name of its owner. Chu Tian's eyes landed on one special ring, and she immediately began to tease her brother, certain it was destined for Nanzan. Chu Chongxiang simply told her to quit acting so grown-up and get some rest. Smiling, she agreed, then unleashed her spatial injection ability upon the rings. With these new spatial storage rings, carrying supplies and gathering research materials would become effortless for the entire team. Chu Chongxiang agreed, vowing that Chu Tian deserved only the absolute best. A voice suddenly called out for Chu Xinghe, and Chu Chongxiang excused himself to assist. Su Chenga had bad news. Nanzing's blade had been shattered. But he had a solution: 3 legendary reverse scales from a winged sky dragon, perfect for forging a new masterpiece. Xu Xinghe approved of the rare material and immediately proposed a test of its durability. He would strike it with his sword aura, while Su Chong held the scales steady. Accepting the challenge, Su Chong presented the scales. In response, Chu Hinghe unleashed his overwhelming domain sword aura. The devastating blow landed, yet Su Chong confirmed the scales were impossibly hard. The sword aura simply vanished against the scales' innate energy. Chu Xinghe instantly recognized the winged sky dragon's signature slowing ability. He knew then that a weapon forged from a scale carrying such a powerful effect would be a game-changer on the battlefield. Without a moment's delay, the scale was thrust into the forge, hammered on the anvil, and plunged into cooling water. Su Chang held up the magnificent new weapon. He declared it a masterpiece, proudly naming it the Reverse Scale Blade. In the realm of dreams, Nanziing stood before a colossal ancient tree. He demanded to know what it was and why he was summoned. The tree answered him with a cryptic riddle. Your past is my present, and my present is your future. Then the ancient entity's voice boomed. He must become it, and in doing so, liberate it. Bound by chains of pure energy, Nanziing screamed for answers. The tree only urged him to move forward, promising that a far greater future awaited him.